I transmigrated into a world where women drooled and simped over men. I was Cameron York, an adult from Earth. I was trapped in the 18-year-old body of my parallel world counterpart. Here, women were stronger and men were expected to wait. A goddess said I could only go home by refusing that role. 2 mornings later, 3 women forgot how to work when I pulled off my shirt in a tattoo shop. One got a nosebleed, another offered me cash. I pointed at the dragon design again. I still want the tattoo. That was the problem. Every time I fought for control, another woman decided I was more attractive. I had already lost my life and my body. I would not lose my choices too. To understand the shirtless disaster, we need to go back 2 mornings to the blood moon that stole my life. 2 mornings earlier, after a late shift on Earth, I walked home beneath a red moon. My boss had dumped extra work on me, so I walked home muttering about work and being single. Then the street went silent. A bus stood at the curb with its doors open. Nobody sat inside. A coffee shop still had music playing. Nobody stood behind the counter. Every light had turned red, including the moon above the buildings. I called out. Nobody answered. Look, I had watched enough bad movies to recognize the moment a normal man should run, so naturally, I walked toward the brightest red light. The pavement tilted. My chest locked. The moon filled my vision. Then the city disappeared. The next morning, I opened my eyes in a pastel bedroom. My hands were smaller. Smooth skin covered thinner arms. My chest felt wrong. Even the air smelled like expensive face cream. I stumbled to the mirror and found a beautiful teenage boy staring back. He had dark hair, pale skin, and the kind of face advertisers would put beside words like delicate. I touched the glass. He copied me. My adult memories were intact. The body belonged to another Cameron York, my parallel world counterpart. I did not know where his consciousness had gone. Gone, displaced, dormant. None of those answers were available. That question hit harder than the mirror. Before I could process it, my father knocked on the door. Cam, get dressed, he called. Your best friend Alden will be here soon. You two still need groceries. Put on something light, your skin looks tired. I stared at the door. The voice sounded exactly like my father back on Earth. Hearing it from the other side of a stranger's door made my stomach drop. He opened the door, took one look at my bare face and frowned. No makeup? I checked behind me, just in case another son had appeared. Are you talking to me? My father stepped inside and touched my cheek. Who else? Your father's fiancée and her daughter are coming tonight. At least use concealer. He handed me a small cosmetic bag. I held it like evidence from a crime scene. A doorbell saved me. Alden Webb entered 5 minutes later. He was the host Cameron's best friend and another 18-year-old male senior. He was also the first person who proved the whole world had lost its mind. Alden wore a fitted cream jacket, glossy shoes, and enough skincare to survive winter on the moon. My father beamed at him. Alden, your complexion looks wonderful. Alden touched his cheek proudly. New serum. Then Alden looked at me and nearly folded. Cam, why are you dressed like that? I looked down. Jeans, black shirt, normal shoes. I spread my hands. Like a person? Alden pointed at my chest. Like a woman trying to start a fight. Your collar is open. My father gasped as if I had brought a motorcycle into the kitchen. That was when a host memory hit me. The memory gave me one rule. Stronger women had always held power. Men kept house, raised children, stayed pretty, and waited. Alden had just demonstrated the whole system in cream leather and skincare. The local Cameron had followed that script. His face and social life came with the body. I supplied the disobedience. An hour later, on the shopping strip, Alden tried steering me toward a salon. We can do your nails first, Alden offered, then a calming mask. Maybe buy pepper spray. You've been acting reckless. I stopped walking. I need one thing. Alden brightened. A better lip tint? I pointed down the block. A dragon tattoo. Alden stopped walking. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Beautiful. My beauty-conscious best friend had suffered a system error. Cam, Alden whispered, men don't get dragon tattoos. Then today has educational value. Dragged him into the first tattoo shop we found. 3 female artists looked up from their stations. Their eyes moved from my face to Alden, then back to me. The lead artist crossed her arms. You're lost, sweetheart. The salon is next door. I placed a dragon design on her counter. Full shoulder. A second artist laughed. That would swallow you. I tapped the dragon. Good. Make it hungry. Alden grabbed my sleeve. He's stressed. We're leaving. I pulled free. The lead artist tapped my shirt. You'd have to show the shoulder. This isn't appropriate for a boy. The rule was simple. They thought embarrassment would make me retreat, so I took off my shirt. The room stopped. A pen slipped from the second artist's fingers. The third woman turned away, pressed tissue under her nose, and failed to look casual. The lead artist stared for 3 full seconds before shoving folded cash across the counter. Keep the shirt off! I pointed at the design. Tattoo first! She refused. I left with no tattoo and 3 women still staring. Alden held my shirt over my chest like an emergency blanket. Outside, Alden blocked the sidewalk. You stripped in front of 3 women. I held up a hand. They asked to see my shoulder. Alden pointed back at the shop. You showed them the entire economy. Behind the glass, one artist pressed both hands to the window. Another waved the cash again. I pulled on my shirt. They still refused the dragon. Alden stared at me. That's the part you're upset about? I nodded. Yes. Alden stared at me, then looked back at the women. You're going to get us killed. My first rebellion had taught me the world's favorite joke. The more masculine I acted, the more women wanted me. That evening, back at Cameron's house, my father's fiancée moved in with her daughter. Her daughter was Serena Armitage, an adult licensed medical professional and my future stepsister by social shorthand. Our parents were engaged, and the 2 households were already merging before the wedding. Serena carried 2 boxes through the front door without effort. Then she looked at me. She was tall, composed, and wearing a fitted black dress that briefly defeated my ability to form useful sentences. In my defense, the dress had arrived prepared for violence. Serena's gaze stayed on my face. Cameron? The way she said my name sounded familiar. It sounded dangerous to me. My father explained the bedrooms. Serena's mother opened wine to celebrate. I tried staying near the furniture and away from whatever expressions Serena kept giving me. That plan lasted 20 minutes. A little tipsy, Serena caught me in the hallway and wrapped both arms around me. You got prettier, she murmured. I got kidnapped by reality. Serena laughed, tightened her hold, and lifted my feet off the floor. I pushed at her shoulders. Nothing moved. She pressed closer, completely unaware or unconcerned that my brain had lost the next useful sentence. I shoved at her shoulders again. Put me down! Serena lowered me slowly. Still bossy. Still? Her smile changed for half a second. Then my father called us to dinner, and Serena walked away without answering. Serena could lift me without effort. Worse, she knew the old Cameron well enough to call me still bossy. What did she know about the boy whose body I had taken? After midnight, I was still awake in my bedroom when the Scarlet Moon goddess appeared beside my bed inside a red glow. She was the woman who had dragged me into this world, and she looked very pleased with herself. I sat up. Send me home. The goddess looked around the room. You complained about being a virgin, feeling powerless, and women ignoring you. I gave you a world where women chase men. I pointed at myself. You stole my body. The goddess spread her hands. I improved your dating market. The audacity was supernatural. I got out of bed and stood between her and the door, although we both knew doors probably meant nothing to her. What happened to the other Cameron? The goddess's smile stayed in place. She did not answer. I stepped closer. Then tell me how I go back. Her expression finally sharpened. Become a real man in this world. I waited for the rest. She gave me one vague condition, 0 instructions, and one threat. If I could preserve my identity and prove my masculinity here, I might return home. If I failed, I would assimilate into the local male role until the fight stopped mattering to me. I looked at the makeup bag on the desk, then I looked at the body in the mirror. The world had already taken my adult life, my strength, and control of my own name. I refused to let it train me into accepting the theft. How do you measure success? I asked. The Scarlet Moon goddess stepped backward into red light. That is your problem. I reached for her before the light closed. My hand caught empty air. The cosmetic bag slid off the desk and spilled brushes across the floor. One rolled against my bare foot, then the red light vanished. Man, what a helpful cosmic criminal. I searched the papers. One headline warned men against overtraining, none mentioned portals. I considered recreating the blood moon, then checked the host's wallet and school account. I was 18, broke, weak, and knew nobody useful. Even Serena's hug had beaten this body. The cosmic criminal had planned this part perfectly. The next morning in the kitchen, Serena placed breakfast in front of me. She had tied her hair back and traded the black dress for work clothes. The effect on my attention remained unfair. You need protein, Serena told me. You're too light. I took the plate. This world isn't completely terrible. That sentence became a curse almost immediately. That same morning, my father packed lunch while Serena's mother left for work. The domestic roles looked normal to everyone except me. Alden arrived with 2 lipstick options. Warm rose or soft peach? Alden asked. I kept walking. Neither. I'm becoming a Chad. Alden blinked. Is that a skin condition? I looked back at him. It's a warning. On the walk to Westbridge Academy, my new private school, a broad-shouldered girl stepped aside and looked me over with 0 shame. I met her stare. Keep moving. She laughed, but she moved. Tiny victory. Then I tried running the last block to school. My lungs caught fire before I reached the gate. Alden passed me at an easy jog, stopped, and checked my forehead like a worried ant. You ran without stretching? Alden asked. I bent over, gasping. I ran 30 seconds. Alden nodded gravely. Exactly. This body was cooked. Minutes later inside Westbridge, Alden led me into homeroom. Every senior in my class was 18. I reached for a sealed water bottle on my desk. The cap would not move. I adjusted my grip and tried again. Nothing. A girl beside me offered her hand. Do you want help? I kept twisting. No! The cap held. Another girl leaned over. You'll hurt your wrist. I braced the bottle against my chest. I'm opening water, not fighting a bear. I twisted until my palm burned. The girl took it from me, opened it with 2 fingers, and set it back down. 3 other girls immediately offered to carry my books, open my lunch, and walk me between classes. Nobody laughed. That made it worse. At the tattoo shop, my body had made women malfunction. At school, the same body could not open its own water. The bottle loss gave me my next job. I needed strength, money, and a way home before this world decided pretty was the only thing I was allowed to be. After the bottle loss, in Westbridge's second-floor hall, I searched for a Muay Thai gym. The humiliation had given me a clean rule. Only my adult mind had crossed worlds. Muscle started at 0. Skills could transfer. Strength had to be built. That would have been easier if the hallway had stopped treating me like public property. 2 girls behind me discussed my skin, waist, and legs at full volume. A third walked backward just to keep looking. I turned around. You know I can hear you. One girl smiled. That's why we said it loudly. Welcome to being harassed from the other side. Educational. Deeply annoying. I saved the nearest gym's address before anyone could offer to carry my phone. Then someone caught my hand. Monica Easton was an 18-year-old classmate who had known the host Cameron for years. She was bold, blonde, and apparently unfamiliar with personal space. Monica rubbed her thumb across my palm. Your hands feel different. I pulled once. Her grip did not move. Release me. Monica leaned closer. You used to blush when I touched you. Then update your records. The words came out sharper than I intended. Monica's smile thinned. You really did change. She started massaging my fingers like she owned a salon booth. I twisted my wrist. Nothing. This world had turned hand-holding into a hostage situation. The English teacher entered the room and tapped Monica's desk with a book. Monica finally let go. Saved by grammar, Cameron. I flexed my freed hand. I was seconds from winning. Monica snorted. Sure. Minutes later in English, the teacher tested the host's academic record. She called on me with a difficult passage and the expectant look teachers reserve for reliable students. The local Cameron had been gentle, quiet, and near the top of the class. My adult English was even better. I translated the passage, explained the joke inside it, and corrected the answer printed in the workbook. The teacher checked twice. Alden slowly turned in his seat. Monica stopped drawing on her notebook. The teacher lowered the book. Cameron, your answer is right. Your tone is new. I gave her a small shrug. Better packaging. That earned a few laughs and several longer looks. Good. The body was weak. My adult knowledge still worked. Before lunch on Westbridge's outdoor court, a basketball girl hit 3 shots in a row while staring at me after each one. A male student brushed my shoulder, threw himself onto the floor, and accused me of pushing him. I looked at the 3 feet of empty space between us. He looked too. Even he knew the fall was fake, so he got up without another word. Then an 18-year-old girl handed me a confession letter before lunch. Alden counted the stack in my bag and sighed. That makes 20 today. I looked at him. You counted? Alden tapped the bag. I care about data. I took it back. You care about gossip? Alden nodded. Same industry. I could not open water, but 20 girls had confessed before lunch. Priorities. At lunch in the crowded cafeteria, every boy carried a tiny plate. A few had salad. One had half an apple and the expression of a prisoner. I ordered meat, rice, vegetables, soup, and another serving of meat. The cafeteria worker stared at my tray. Are you sharing? I took the tray. No, I'm training. The tray landed on the table hard enough to turn heads. Alden sat opposite me with a cup of yogurt. Cam, that meal has a family. I sat down. Good, I'm adopting all of it. The joke lasted until Corey Maddox, an 18-year-old male classmate, approached. Corey treated male beauty rules like religious law. He looked at my tray, then at my body, and smiled with immediate contempt. Trying to get huge? Corey asked. Women don't like greedy boys. I cut a piece of meat. Then eat your leaf and mind your business. His friends laughed before realizing they were supposed to support him. Corey's smile tightened. You'll get thick around the waist. Nobody will want you. He checked the girls at the next table after every insult. None of them laughed. I set down my fork. You starve because you think attention is the only thing you can earn, I told him. That sounds miserable. It also sounds like your problem. The nearby tables went quiet. Corey's face reddened. You think you're special because girls stare? I pointed at my tray. No, I think I'm eating lunch. He pointed at my tray. You're embarrassing every boy here, I told him, then stopped volunteering as their spokesman. Corey's eyes filled instantly. There it was. The cafeteria martyr reached for tears when the insult stopped working. Before Corey could turn the room against me, Alyssa Park, an 18-year-old classmate and the host Cameron's longtime admirer, stood up. She had watched Corey walk over and start the fight, so his tears did not fool her. Alyssa shoved her chair back. "He ordered food. You insulted his body. Why are you crying?" Corey looked at her like she had broken a contract. Alyssa crossed her arms. "Cameron can eat what he wants." One girl at the next table nodded. Another moved her chair away from Corey's group. The room stopped backing him in real time. Corey wiped his eyes and glared at me. "You changed." I met his glare. Finally, something we agree on. He stormed away with his friends, following 2 steps behind. Alyssa had flipped the room in public. That gave me one defender and one enemy who now needed revenge. Alden watched Corey leave. "You know he'll make this weird." Went back to eating. He arrived weird. Alden nodded. "Fair." With Corey gone, Alyssa and Alden started arguing about a competitive arena game. Alyssa claimed the women's professional league was untouchable. Alden said a boy with enough practice could compete. I cut in. "The issue isn't reflexes," I told Alyssa. "It's map timing. Your favorite team keeps forcing fights before the side lanes move." Alyssa stared. "You watch professional matches?" Tapped Alden's phone. "I played for years on Earth." Alden leaned forward. "How good?" Looked at his build. "Good enough to know your favorite character build is criminal." Alden clutched his chest. "Personal attack." I pointed at his first item. "It became personal when you bought that." The old knowledge gave me another path forward. Fighting needed muscle. Gaming only needed hands, timing, and enough privacy to practice. Back in homeroom after lunch, Hazel Davenport sat alone by the window. She was an 18-year-old transfer student who had answered no questions, joined no groups, and looked ready to disappear into the wall. Every other desk had company. Hers did not. I pushed Alden toward her. "Go introduce yourself," I told Alden. He stiffened. "Why me?" I nudged him forward. "You're friendly." Alden pressed a hand to his chest. "I'm fragile." Hazel looked over. Alden immediately pretended to study a poster. I stepped around him. "I'm Cameron. This is Alden." He was about to say hello before fear took his knees. Hazel blinked. "Hello." "Progress." I pointed toward Monica. "That loud one is Monica. She knows everybody and respects no boundaries." Monica heard her name and dragged a chair over. "You called?" I pulled out the chair for her. "Hazel's new. Act normal for 5 minutes." Monica smiled at Hazel. "He asks impossible things." Hazel's mouth moved slightly. It was almost a smile. The quiet girl had answered. Alden had survived. Monica had acquired a new target for friendship. That evening in my bedroom, Serena leaned over my music player and noticed another change in me. She had finished work and changed into soft clothes. The outfit was simple. The woman wearing it remained a problem for my concentration. Serena tapped the speaker. "You hated this music." I met her eyes. "I don't anymore." Her eyes moved to mine. "Since when?" I reached past her to lower the volume. Serena moved closer instead. Too close. My back touched the bed. Serena planted one hand beside my shoulder. "You've been avoiding me?" "I've been avoiding being carried." Serena smiled. "You fit nicely." I told her. "That defense is terrible." She leaned another inch. My adult instincts told me to move. My new body forgot how, so I caught her wrist, turned with the movement, and rolled us. Surprise put Serena beneath me for 1 second. She was not fighting, which was the only reason physics allowed the scene. I pinned her hands above the pillow. Serena looked up at me without fear. Then a host memory tore through my head. A child's voice said, "You're mine. Wherever you go, I'll find you." The image came in fragments, small hands, rain, and Serena's face years younger. I could not tell which child had made the promise. I released her immediately. Serena sat up. "Cameron, the memory belonged to the host. The fear belonged to me." I stepped away from the bed. "I need air." Serena watched me leave without following. That answered nothing and made the household question worse. The memory gave me no answer. So the next afternoon, I went to a downtown salon and asked for the least pretty haircut available. The stylist lifted my hair and frowned. "Short?" I nodded. "Short, sharp, masculine." Alden sat nearby, flipping through style photos. "He means emotionally unavailable." I turned toward him. "Stop helping." The stylist promised she understood. 40 minutes later, she turned the chair toward the mirror. My hair was shorter. My face looked even cuter. I stared at the reflection. "How did you make this worse?" The stylist clasped her hands. "Worse? You look incredible. Can I use your photo for the salon page?" I shook my head. "No," she asked again. I faced the mirror. Still no. Real man backfire, round 2. The shorter cut made me even cuter. That evening at home, my father reacted like I had shaved my eyebrows. "Cam, why would you cut it that short?" Before I could answer, Serena stepped between us. "He chose it," she told him. "It suits him." My father looked from her to me, sighed, and left to check dinner. Serena waited until he was gone, then opened a small velvet box. Black diamond earrings caught the light. I checked the box, then her face. Are these real? Serena smiled. Of course. Push the box back. I can't accept this. Serena pushed it toward me again. You can. Get my hand off it. I'm broke. Keep the price tag off me. Serena held the box closer. Relax. It's a gift for my little brother. My future stepsister was speed-running sugar mama territory, Serena added. Tell me what else you want. Anything. Serena could buy almost anything I needed. Every gift made my empty wallet harder to ignore. I closed my hand around the box. I was broke, so I kept the earrings. The next evening, while I was still looking for money I controlled, Alden burst into my room waving his phone. My romance novel got a contract. He had been writing romance fiction. Now a platform had signed it. I stared at the acceptance screen. Old world stories were new here. The gender roles were reversed, but greed, heartbreak, and dramatic idiots remained universal. So I opened a blank document. I wrote a story about a delicate prince surrounded by ruthless women, then made every woman regret underestimating him. Yes, I stole from my own suffering. Pain should pay rent. The next morning, the signing approval appeared on my screen. Alden read it twice. You wrote that in one night? I leaned back. I had research. Alden pointed at the date. You've lived here 3 days. Tapped the screen. Exactly. The contract was small. The money would be mine. My old knowledge had finally paid rent. That afternoon, celebrating the approval, I entered the neighborhood grocery store. Bethany Lowe, an adult clerk behind the counter, had the same face as a crush from my Earth memories. Bethany had once rejected my confession because she preferred muscular partners. That rejection belonged to my Earth life. Seeing the same store and face here was the disturbing part. I entered expecting the slim woman I remembered. Bethany turned around carrying 2 heavy produce crates under one arm. She was built like she could bench press the refrigerator. My old fantasy took one look at her shoulders and left the building. Bethany recognized the local Cameron immediately. You got cute, I tried answering. My vision narrowed instead. When I came back, I was sitting beside the freezer while Bethany held out a glass of water. Are you okay? Bethany asked. I took the glass. Perfect. Bethany pointed at the floor. You fainted. I got my feet under me. Strategic reset. Bethany laughed and offered her phone number. I stood too fast, thanked Bethany, and escaped before I embarrassed myself a second time. Back home that evening, Serena found me flexing the hand that had lost to a water bottle. You need actual strength, Serena told me. I flexed harder. I know. Serena placed her elbow on the table. Then prove what you have. 1 arm wrestling wager. Winner chose the loser's punishment. I sat opposite her and locked hands. Serena's fingers were warm. Her smile was worse. Ready? Serena asked. I tightened my grip. My ancestors are watching. Serena smiled. They should look away. She flattened my hand in less than a second. No struggle, no dramatic comeback, just immediate ancestral embarrassment. I stared at our hands. Serena tried not to laugh and failed. Choose your prize, I muttered. She moved to the couch, sat beside me, and rested her head on my lap. I looked down at her. That's it? Serena closed her eyes. For now. My arm had lost. My lap collected the prize anyway. This world kept converting defeat into intimacy, which sounded fun until you remembered every woman involved was stronger than me. Serena settled closer while my phone buzzed with Monica's group invitation. The outing would test whether I could protect someone without strength. One photo from it would destroy my privacy. That Saturday at the amusement park entrance, Monica turned the group invitation into a full operation. She had dragged Alden, Hazel, me, and several classmates out for what she called normal social development. Coming from Monica, that sounded like a threat. Alden's older sister arrived last. A host memory told me she had not seen this body in 4 years. She looked at me once, rushed forward, and hugged me hard enough to test my ribs. Cameron, you grew up gorgeous. Alden sighed. Please don't encourage him. Too late, I told him. I already checked. His sister pulled out her phone and snapped a picture before I could block it. I covered the lens. Delete that. His sister shrugged. It's one photo. That sentence aged badly. We entered the park, argued over rides, and eventually reached the haunted house. Monica assigned pairs with the confidence of someone moving game pieces. Alden protested. Nobody listened. I ended up with Hazel. Inside the haunted house, Hazel disappeared from my side. 1 second, she was holding the back of my jacket. The next, my hand found empty air. A fake corpse dropped from the ceiling. Sorry, buddy, I told it. I'm busy. I pushed past the prop and called Hazel's name. No answer. The next room had mirrored walls, a shaking floor, and 3 cabinets built into the set. I heard one soft breath behind the middle door. Hazel! The cabinet rattled. I opened it and found her crouched inside, arms around her knees. Her face had gone pale. Tears sat on her cheeks and she looked furious that I had seen them. The joke stopped there. I held out my hand. Come with me. Hazel stared at it. You don't have to explain, I added. Just take my hand. Her fingers closed around mine. She was stronger than me. Nearly every woman was. Inside that dark cabinet, strength had nothing to do with lifting weight. I led her through the remaining rooms. Every time a prop jumped, Hazel's grip tightened. I kept moving until daylight hit us. Then her knees buckled. Outside the haunted house, Hazel collapsed before anyone could catch her. I dropped first, guided her head onto my lap, and checked her breathing. Monica started shouting for staff. Alden froze. Two girls crowded in with contradictory advice. Water, I told Alden. Now! He ran. I massaged the tense muscles behind Hazel's ears and kept talking until her breathing steadied. A few seconds later, Hazel opened her eyes. She found her head on my lap and went completely still. You fainted, I told her. Hazel blinked at me. I noticed. I gave her a dry look. You're welcome. Hazel's cheeks warmed. Thank you. She tried standing too quickly. I caught her elbow and made her sit again. I can walk, Hazel insisted. I kept a hand on her elbow. Great. Prove it after the room stops moving. Her fingers stayed around my sleeve. You're ordering me around. I glanced at my shoes. You collapsed on them. I earned temporary management rights. Hazel looked down at the shoes, then back at me. They're ugly. That was her first joke. Tiny, dry, and aimed directly at me. I respected the violence. Monica looked at her, then at my lap, and folded her arms. Another classmate stopped offering water and started looking personally betrayed. There it was. Rescue, recovery, immediate jealousy. This world never let a clean moment stay clean. Alden returned with 3 bottles. I bought options, I pointed at Hazel. My hero. Alden narrowed his eyes. You sound sarcastic. I kept a straight face. I'm emotional. Hazel sat up slowly but kept one hand around my wrist. I could help her without winning a fight. The harder question was why the quiet girl had been so terrified of needing help. Because Hazel still looked pale, we escorted her home. An hour later, at Hazel's estate, a butler opened the gate to a house larger than my entire apartment building on Earth. The group fell silent. Alden checked the address on his phone. Hazel, you live here? Hazel looked embarrassed. Yes. The butler mentioned that Hazel's mother was the city mayor. Her father handled business overseas most of the year. The front doors were taller than the tattoo shop. Uniformed staff waited in the hall. That was enough to understand the money. Still, Hazel kept checking her phone. The butler brought water. Hazel looked up from her phone. Did my mother call? The butler shook his head. She's still working. My father? Still overseas. Neither parent had called. Hazel locked the screen, her shoulders lowered with it. The mansion stopped looking like a reward. The others talked about the park while she sat apart from them. I moved to the chair beside hers. When it gets lonely, call me. Hazel looked up. Why? Because being rich doesn't make an empty house less empty. She studied me for several seconds. Hazel asked, You want nothing? I pointed at the water. That would be nice. Hazel stood. Come with me. She led me downstairs, past a locked steel door, and into a private weapons room. Alden stopped at the threshold. Normal rich person friendship room, great. Cases lined the walls. Hazel opened one and lifted her favorite pistol with careful hands. This is important to me, she said. You can have it. I stared at the gun. Look, some people give friendship bracelets. Hazel offered controlled firepower. Weapons were apparently this world's love language. I closed the case and touched her hand instead. Keep it, give me your number. Hazel's expression softened. Friends for life? Hazel asked. I raised an eyebrow. That's a big contract. Hazel nodded. I mean it. Hazel held out her phone. If I call, you'll answer? Took the phone. If I'm awake. Her expression stayed serious. I gave in. Fine, wake me. That earned the smallest smile in the mansion. Then she hugged me. Her arms tightened with martial strength she had not mentioned. My back immediately regretted the hug. I hugged her back anyway. The gun stayed in its case. Hazel's number went into my phone. The next afternoon, Alden and I stopped at a downtown fast food restaurant during a shopping trip. I tried keeping a lower profile with a cap pulled low over my face. Alden watched me adjust it for the 3rd time. Nobody knows you. I adjusted the cap again. I'm protecting the public. Alden flicked a straw wrapper at me. From what? Leaned back. Unexpected beauty. He threw a napkin at me. Across the room, a woman angled her camera toward our table. I noticed too late. She posted the picture before we finished eating. That night at home, Alden called and sent me screenshots. I learned the full chain. Someone recognized my jacket from the amusement park photo taken by his sister. Another account matched the face. Then the reposts multiplied. By then, my picture sat in the city's top 5 trending topics. Before midnight, the same repost chain had linked my face to Westbridge. The comments kept asking, who is he? Which school? Is he single? On the call, Alden kept scrolling. This is bad. I pointed at his sister's photo on my screen. Your family took the first picture. Alden raised both hands. My sister took it. I refused the distinction. Same criminal media network. Alden pointed at my cap in the restaurant photo. You're trending because you wore a hat like a celebrity. I refused to apologize. I wore the hat because I looked like one. That was when Alden became my unlicensed publicist. He had no license, no plan, and a direct family connection to the disaster. After I hung up, Serena met me in the living room with my trending photo open on her phone. "My little brother is famous," Serena said. I held out my hand. "Delete it." Serena tilted the phone. "It's my wallpaper." I stopped walking. Serena turned the screen toward me. The amusement park picture filled it. I pointed at the screen. "Why is my face on your lock screen?" Serena smiled. "For safety." I frowned. That sentence made it less safe. Serena's smile stayed sweet. "Women are dangerous, Cameron. Tell me before you go out. I can drive you." I could not prove what it meant. I could only see that she had saved my picture, tracked the trend, and started asking for control over my movements. This world was not completely terrible. Right on schedule, the trend reached my school. The next morning at home, Alden sent me a video from outside Westbridge Academy. Girls filled the sidewalk by the gate. Several held printed copies of the restaurant photo. One had a sign asking me to marry her. Alden called from behind the school fence. "They've blocked the entrance!" A security guard tried clearing space. The crowd shifted 3 feet, then filled it again. My father watched the video and refused to let me leave the house. For once, I agreed. Getting educated was important. Getting carried into a stranger's car felt less educational. Fame had blocked school, so I turned the forced day home into a test. I opened the competitive game Alden and Alyssa had discussed. My old account was gone, but years of adult experience remained. The local Cameron's game history showed nothing serious. My mind knew every timing window. The first match felt slow. The second felt familiar. In the third, 5 opponents rushed me near their base. I baited the first ability, cut behind the tank, and dropped the first 2 before their support turned. The third chased. I used the wall to break her aim, then caught the last pair together. A pentakill, 5 opponents down in one fight flashed across the screen. I checked the replay once. The timing had crossed worlds with me. I leaned back. The weak body had finally obeyed something. That evening, alone at my desk, I opened my first livestream. I kept my face behind a dark mask and aimed the camera at my hands. The goal was simple: prove the game skill could become money without turning me into somebody's doll. The stream started with a handful of bored viewers. Then a high-ranked female professional entered my match on a lower account. Her viewers recognized the name and flooded the chat. She attacked early. It looked like she expected the unknown male player to panic. I gave up one small objective and let her chase. She followed me into a narrow lane. That was the mistake. I turned, blocked her escape, and killed her character before her support reached us. The professional typed, "Lucky." The chat exploded. The professional returned with 2 teammates. She saved her escape this time and waited for me to overreach. I let them take ground. She typed a smiling face in chat and pushed deeper. "You know where this was going." I split the support from the fight, forced her escape early, and cut behind the third player. Her character dropped again. The cheating accusations arrived before the fight ended. One viewer wrote, "No boy plays like that." Another demanded, "Show the player." A third insisted, "Those hands are fake." I ignored them and took the map apart. Every lost lane forced the professional closer to the center. Every rotation gave my team another objective. When she finally committed to the last fight, I had already placed the trap. Her team collapsed. Mine ended the match. Only then did I hold both hands under the camera. "No software," I told them. "No substitute player, just hands." The accusations lasted 3 seconds. Then the chat found a new emergency. One viewer typed, "His fingers are gorgeous." Another begged, "Forget the face, keep the hand camera." I had proven I was male, and the audience responded by developing a hand obsession. Of course they did. The viewer count surged so fast the platform alerts overlapped. Share notifications stacked across the screen as people clipped the kills and the hand reveal. The chat moved too quickly to read. New followers filled the screen while viewers dragged friends into the stream. The professional stopped typing. Her audience stayed. My first stream had started as a private income test. It ended with a public win, a crowd, and clips spreading beyond people I could see. I thought recognition was the danger. I was wrong. One woman came with a knife and heard no as a challenge. The other came with a media empire and the same hearing problem. The morning after my first stream, Alden was at my house when the platform sent a contract offer before breakfast. My professional win had crossed their signing threshold. The clips were still spreading, so they wanted me locked down fast. Alden read the offer over my shoulder and whistled. "Cam, this is real money." I scrolled past the number. "I care about the leash." The platform wanted regular streams, promotional clips, and access to my public image. Alden immediately pointed at the easiest route. "Show your face," he told me. "Smile twice, retire before graduation." I looked at my unlicensed publicist. "You caused one citywide disaster already." Alden lifted both hands. "That was organic marketing. I typed 3 demands into the reply. Gaming stayed first. My mask stayed on unless I chose otherwise. No forced dances, cosplay, or offline appearances. The response came back within minutes. Accepted. My numbers had given me bargaining power. Beautiful. I had finally found one place where being treated like rare merchandise let me write the price tag. Then the same visibility followed me outside. The next afternoon after school, Alden and I walked home from Westbridge. 2 women had stayed behind us for 3 blocks. A third waited at the next corner. I caught their reflections in a dark store window and stopped. Alden followed my gaze. Please tell me they want autographs. I kept watching the reflection. One of them has a knife. Alden looked again. That feels less promotional. 1 block later, inside a rougher shopping strip, I pushed Alden toward the crowded avenue. I pointed him toward the crowd. Go home! Alden grabbed my sleeve. Cam, I can stay! Pulled my sleeve free. You can also call for help if I stop answering. He hated it, but he moved. I waited until he reached the corner. Then I turned toward the women following me. The woman in front had bright pink hair and a black jacket. She had the relaxed posture of someone used to other people flinching first. She stopped close enough to block the alley entrance. Cameron York, she said. You're prettier in person. I glanced at the knife clipped inside her jacket. You're worse. Her crew laughed. The pink-haired woman smiled. Zara DeLuca, I run this neighborhood. That was my introduction to the adult street boss who had decided viral fame counted as a dating application. Zara hooked 1 finger under my chin. Be my boyfriend. I'll keep you safe. I knocked her hand away. From you? Her smile widened. Look, I need you to understand how deranged that reaction was. Rejection pleased her. Zara drew the knife and laid the flat of the blade near my cheek. Pretty boy should be careful, she murmured. A scar would lower your value. There it was, the threat under the flirting. I drove my fist into her mouth. Her head moved half an inch. Mine hurt immediately. Zara laughed and caught my wrist. I stepped inside her reach and hit her ribs with my elbow. That strike made her release the knife from my cheek. I twisted free, but one of her women shoved me into the wall. Zara wiped her lip and looked at the smear on her thumb. Her eyes sharpened with interest. Zara stared at me. You hit me, flexed my aching hand. You noticed. She came at me again. I blocked the first grab, took the second against my shoulder, and kicked her shin hard enough to create space. She was stronger. I was angrier. Zara lunged again. I jammed her knife wrist against the wall and kept the blade away from my face. Neither of us had the clean finish she expected. Then a patrol siren sounded from the main avenue. Zara looked toward it, then at the crew watching her struggle with me. She folded the knife and stepped away. Zara backed toward the corner. This isn't over, Cameron. I rubbed my bruised shoulder. That line usually sounds cooler when the speaker wins. Her crew moved with her. Zara laughed all the way to the corner. Discount gangster Cupid had arrived with a knife, taken 2 hits, and left more interested. My real man Backfire had upgraded from embarrassing to dangerous. The next afternoon at Westbridge, a student filmed me during basketball practice. She kept the phone low, but the camera followed every time I moved. I took the ball, stepped behind the line, and sank a 3-pointer. The phone rose instantly, so I walked straight toward it. The student backed away. I caught her wrist before she could hide the screen. Who's paying? The student shook her head. Nobody. I turned the phone toward her. My face filled the recording. Try again. Her confidence lasted 2 seconds. Zara, she muttered. She pays for clear photos, more for video. I deleted the clip and the copies in front of her. Then I released her wrist. Tell Zara the next person filming me loses the phone. The student ran. Now I knew Zara was paying students for photos. She had traded direct force for paid eyes. Annoying. She was learning. That evening at the mall, Alden and I looked for a gift for Serena while reviewing the final streaming terms. The signed page accepted every boundary I had demanded. Alden read the signed page twice. They really folded. I took the page. They like money. Alden looked at my reflection in a store window. They also like your hands. I pointed at him. You are 1 comment away from unemployment. We reached the restroom hallway before Corey's friends stepped from both sides. They were the same boys who had laughed behind the cafeteria martyr. Corey had lost the lunchroom, so he sent friends to recover his status. One boy blocked me. Another grabbed Alden by the collar. You embarrassed Corey, the first boy snapped. I kept my eyes on the hand around Alden's shirt. Let him go. The boy holding Alden spat against his cheek. My next thought lasted less than a second. I punched him. He hit the wall and lost his grip. The other 2 rushed me. Then Alden stopped being decorative. He caught one wrist, turned under it, and dropped the boy across his knee. The second swung. Alden ducked, swept his ankle, and sent him into a trash can. I stared at my best friend. Alden wiped the milk-colored spit from his cheek. I have sisters. I stared at him. Why did you never mention you can fight? Alden straightened his cream jacket. You never asked. The boy on the floor cursed at him. Alden leaned down. Touch either of us again and I'll break your legs before my jacket wrinkles. There he was. My skincare specialist had hidden combat DLC. The boys stumbled outside and started calling someone. Naturally, they needed a stronger woman to finish the argument they started. Outside the mall minutes later, their girlfriend arrived as hired muscle. She was broad-shouldered, furious, and ready to punish whoever had touched her boyfriend. Then, she saw me. Her stride slowed. The boyfriend pointed at my face. "That's him! Hit him!" She looked me over once, then twice. "In my defense," I told Alden, "I didn't summon this." Alden folded his arms. "Your face did." The girlfriend cleared her throat and faced me. "Apologize, and we can end it." I pointed at the spit still on Alden's cheek. "He apologizes first," her boyfriend snapped. "Why are you taking his side?" She turned on him. "You spit on someone?" Her boyfriend pointed at his mouth. "He punched me." The girlfriend looked at him. "After you grabbed his friend?" The boyfriend realized his enforcer had changed teams. His mouth kept moving anyway. Terrible survival instinct. He called her useless. She grabbed his collar and shoved him against a parked car. The crowd around us laughed. A student lifted a phone and started recording. The girlfriend released her boyfriend, fixed her jacket, and looked back at me. "Can I get your number?" Her boyfriend made a sound normally heard from damaged appliances. I shook my head. "No." She accepted that better than Zara had. The crowd did not let her boyfriend recover. Then a bouquet of red roses entered the frame. Zara DeLuca walked through the crowd carrying flowers with one hand. With the other, she took the recording phone from the student. "My man doesn't need more videos online," Zara announced. I stared at the roses. "You threatened my face yesterday." Zara offered me the bouquet. "People grow," Alden whispered. "She grew flowers," refused the bouquet. Zara handed it to Alden instead, leaned close to him, and lowered her voice. "Tell Cameron to meet me at my bar at 8. Alden's smile vanished. Zara added, "If he misses it, I start collecting from his friend." I took the roses from Alden and dropped them into the nearest trash can. I met Zara's eyes. "I'll be there." Zara looked delighted. That woman heard agreement and ignored the threat required to get it. Walking red flag behavior. Before I could leave the plaza, a woman in a dark suit stepped between me and the street. She introduced herself as an assistant from Ashby Media Group. Then she turned a tablet toward me. My restaurant photo sat beside a clip of my masked stream. Her company had already connected my face and my channel. "Ms. Ashby wants to meet you." I lowered the tablet. "I have plans." The assistant reached for my arm. "This won't take long." I caught her wrist and threw her over my hip. She landed on the hood of the company car and stared at the sky. Alden blinked. "Cam." I shrugged. She grabbed first. The assistant sat up slowly. "Ms. Ashby said you might do that." I sent Alden the car's license plate and got into the back seat. A company watching me that closely was a problem I wanted in front of me. 20 minutes later, inside Ashby Media Group's executive suite, I met Lenora Ashby. Lenora was the adult CEO and head of the Ashby family. She stood behind a wide desk in a fitted suit. She was tall, controlled, and attractive enough to make irritation inconvenient. In my defense, the suit was doing hostile negotiations with my attention. Lenora gestured toward a chair. "Sit, Cameron." I stayed standing. "Your assistant tried to drag me here." Lenora looked past me at the woman rubbing her back. "She underestimated you." The assistant's expression said she had noticed. Lenora slid a contract across the desk. "Your face, game skill, and attitude are valuable. I can make you famous nationwide." I tapped the contract. "I'm already signed." Lenora pushed it back. "I can make that contract irrelevant." Lenora had just threatened my contract as a flirting technique. I pushed her off her back. "No." Lenora's fingers stopped on the paper. Most people probably thanked her before refusing. I skipped the worship sequence. The assistant moved behind me again. I turned, caught her shoulder and sent her into the chair. Lenora crossed the room before I could reset. I threw a punch. She blocked it with one hand. I followed with an elbow. She stepped inside, caught my arm, and pinned it behind my back without changing her breathing. "Better than the footage," Lenora murmured. I drove my heel backward. She shifted aside and released me. Her eyes had changed. "I still refuse," I told her. Lenora smiled. "That makes you more interesting." Of course it did. Another real man backfire. This one owned a media empire. I left before she could invent a second contract. That night at Zara's bar, with an 8:30 safety deadline running, I entered her private room alone. Before leaving home, I had clipped a recorder inside my jacket, pocketed pepper spray, and carried a backup knife. I had sent Alden my location with one instruction. If I missed the 8:30 check-in, he called the police. The safeguard only mattered if I survived long enough to trigger it. A woman from Zara's crew locked the door behind me. Zara was absent. The underling sat across from me and placed a phone on the table. "We can take photos. We can edit video. People will believe whatever we post about a pretty boy in a private bar." The threat was clear. They wanted shame, control, and silence. I let her keep talking. She leaned closer. "Agree to Zara's terms, and nothing leaves this room." Her hand moved beneath the table. I saw the knife before she cleared the edge. I sprayed her in the face. She screamed and swung blind. I caught her wrist, slammed it against the table, and took the knife. Then I pulled her upright and locked one arm across her shoulders. The door opened. 3 gang members filled the hall. I pressed the stolen blade where they could see it and moved the underling between us. Back up! Nobody moved at first. The woman in my grip shouted at them to stop. One gang member's hands dropped. Another looked at the knife instead of me. The first stepped aside. The others followed. Their plan needed me frightened and alone. I had their blade and their own woman between us. Bad assumption. I backed through the hallway, kept the hostage between us, and reached the rear exit. Once the door opened to the alley, I shoved the underling back toward her crew and ran. My spray, their knife, and their hostage problem gave me the exit. At 8:27, I sent Alden the safe message. Then I called Zara. She answered laughing. Did you enjoy my bar? I played the part of the recording where her underling threatened fake photos and video. Zara stopped laughing. If you touch Alden or follow me again, I told her, the full recording goes public. Her voice went flat. You think that protects you? I kept my voice flat. It protected me tonight. I ended the call. Only after I was outside did the recorder matter. Zara's laughter was gone. Her crew had backed away while I walked out behind their own underling. The recording bought one quiet night. I expected Zara to answer with another knife. The woman who moved next owned a media empire. The next morning at Westbridge, 2 girls whispered that Ashby security had gutted Zara's crew. The usual lookouts had vanished from the shopping strip. Stores that had paid protection money opened without anyone collecting. One girl lowered her voice. Ashby Media Group found out Zara was using their name. I recognized the company immediately. Lenora had offered me fame the night before. By morning, Ashby Media Group had stripped Zara's territory. My recording had kept Zara away from Alden. The company had made the whole neighborhood move without asking me. Zara needed a knife. Ashby Media Group made an entire shopping strip change behavior before breakfast. That evening at home, Serena and I ate alone while our parents worked late. She had cooked too much food and arranged it like I had returned from war. I looked at the table. You know I went to school, right? Serena set another plate down. You've been losing weight. I tapped my chest. I'm trying to gain it. Serena pushed the plate closer. Then stop arguing with dinner. Fair. The woman had brought meat. After dinner, I finished a 2-hour game stream in my room. The channel grew, but slower than the first viral night. When I shut the camera off, Serena stood behind my chair and pressed both hands into my shoulders. Every muscle complained. I tried to turn. Are you treating me or interrogating me? Serena pushed me forward again. Both. Hold still. Her medical hands found every bruise Zara's crew had left. Then Serena asked why I kept putting myself between trouble and other people. I looked at Serena's hands on my shoulders. A host memory had already tied her to a childhood promise I could not finish. Because this is my family now, I told her. I'll protect it. Serena's hands stopped. Her breath caught once. Then tears slid down her face. The room stayed quiet. I turned and caught her wrist gently. Serena? She wiped her cheek and tried to smile. You said that before. I turned toward her. Before when? Serena looked away. A long time ago. She refused to explain. A promise to stay in this world forever would have been a lie. I gave her the promise I could keep. I squeezed her hand. While I'm here, nobody gets to use this family against me. Serena caught my hand and held it against her cheek. Her grip stayed gentle. That's enough, she whispered. That night, Serena lay beside me on top of the blankets and rested her head near my shoulder. She watched the ceiling until her breathing slowed. Before she fell asleep, she asked, What kind of woman do you like? I glanced at her. Why? Serena kept her eyes on the ceiling. Medical research? I counted on my fingers. Tall, strong, honest. Serena's mouth curved. Convenient, I added, and she respects boundaries. Her smile thinned by 1 degree. Serena warned me away from dating girls at Westbridge. High school romance gets messy. I looked at the bed. You're saying that while lying in my bed? Serena held my gaze. I'm family. Later, Serena asked me to grab a charger from her room. A romance novel lay open beside it. The cover showed a future stepbrother and stepsister staring at each other across a wedding aisle. I picked it up. A host memory hit before I could read the back. 2 children sat beneath a staircase during a storm. Young Serena held the host Cameron's hand and whispered, Even if they separate us, we're still family. The memory ended with someone pulling their hands apart. I set the book down and carried the charger back without asking Serena another question. The game channel was growing too slowly, so the next afternoon in a coffee shop, Maribel Sutton met me with 3 content plans. Maribel was the adult administrator assigned to grow my streaming channel. She had seen the numbers and decided my dignity was negotiable. She fanned the pages across the table. Dance clips, cosplay, masked fitness. I slapped the first 2 back toward her. No dancing, no costume flirting. Maribel looked at my face like I had declined free money. You'd triple your audience. I pushed the pages into her side of the table. I'd also hate my audience. She tapped fitness, masked workouts, 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. That option could strengthen this body and pay me without selling the rest of the package. I took the third page. Maribel smiled. Wear something fitted. I pointed at her. You almost lost the deal. Her smile widened. She had found the exact line and stepped on it for fun. At home, my father objected before I finished explaining. Exercise is private, he insisted. People will stare. Serena opened my existing contract and tapped the control clause. The mask stays on. Cameron controls the camera. Give him one trial. My father looked from her finger to my face, then raised one of his own. One stream. My father kept staring at the fitness page. Serena folded it shut before he could restart the argument. The trial was happening. My father did not look convinced. Serena had won the argument. She also kept the contract beside her like she had won that too. The following night in my bedroom, Serena watched my first masked fitness stream from behind the camera. The slot lasted 30 minutes. I started with push-ups, squats, and a short run on the treadmill. My body still tired fast, but it lasted longer than the 30-second disaster outside Westbridge. That alone felt good. Then the comments arrived. One viewer typed, "Turn sideways." Another offered a large gift if I removed the jacket. A third asked whether I gave private training sessions. The gift alerts kept ringing. I kept the jacket on and finished the circuit. Viewers stayed. The count held instead of collapsing after the novelty wore off. The gift total from 30 minutes passed what I had earned during 2 hours of gaming. A viewer sent another large gift just to ask whether I had a girlfriend. I looked at the alert. Efficient! Serena reached around the camera and covered the screen with her hand. Greedy, she corrected. I moved her hand. Paying customers. Serena pointed at the screen. Strangers buying access. To me, the gifts were income. Serena called them access and kept her hand near the end button. She stared at the comments until her jaw tightened. When the private session question appeared again, Serena reached over and ended the stream 1 minute early. I pulled off the mask. I was still live. Serena folded her arms. You were done. Stood. I decide that. Serena tapped my cheek sharply with 2 fingers. The move was sudden enough to turn my face. Then decide to stream less, she told me. I stared at her. The private session question still glowed on the frozen screen. Serena looked at it once, then left before I could press her. Hours later, I woke and found her asleep beside me. Her arm rested across my waist. She had climbed into my bed without asking and fallen asleep before I could object. Another host memory broke through. Young Serena stood between the host Cameron and 3 older children. One child had tried dragging him away. Serena knocked the child down, spread both arms and shouted, "We stay together, forever!" The memory ended on Cameron crying behind her. I looked at the adult Serena sleeping beside me. The host had trusted her. I still did not know why they had been separated or why she had returned now. At breakfast the next morning, Serena held up a new car key. I bought a car, she told me. I'll drive you tomorrow. I tapped the key against her palm. Did you buy transportation or supervision? Serena smiled. Yes. I still needed strength I controlled. Later that morning behind Westbridge's gym, Hazel agreed to train me. Hazel Davenport had already shown me strength at her estate. Now she revealed the source. My grandmother started my martial training when I was 6, Hazel explained. I never stopped. She wore black training clothes and tied her hair back. The quiet heiress looked unfairly good while preparing to hurt me. In my defense, respect for athletic excellence is a serious virtue. Hazel raised both hands. Attack. I stepped in with the combination I had used on Zara. Hazel slipped outside the first punch, caught my elbow, and vanished from my sight. She tapped my shoulder from behind. Again, Hazel ordered. The second attempt lasted longer. I tracked her feet, forced her to change direction, and nearly caught her wrist. Hazel's eyes brightened. Better. That one word hit harder than the gift alerts. My body had improved enough for an expert to notice. On the third attempt, Hazel disappeared behind me again. 1 second later, she stood behind me. Her arms wrapped around my chest. Win, Hazel whispered near my ear. I tested her grip. Your scoring system feels biased. Hazel tightened the hug and licked the edge of my ear. My entire body forgot the lesson. I broke her grip and turned. Why did you do that? Hazel looked genuinely puzzled. Monica's relationship video showed women doing it. Of course Monica had supplied the tutorial. She caused problems even when she was absent. I pointed between us. Those videos skip the important part. You ask first. Hazel nodded seriously. May I do it again? Held up one finger. Also, you only do that with someone you actually want. Hazel kept looking at me. I want you. That answer arrived with 0 warning and excellent eye contact. I cleared my throat. Then keep it exclusive and ask before trying anything. Hazel nodded again. Only you. Had accidentally negotiated exclusivity during a sparring lesson. Alden arrived near the end of training and found Hazel standing too close. Hazel asked me, "Can we communicate now?" Answered, "No." She touched my sleeve. "Now?" Answered again. Alden looked between us. "What does communicate mean?" I picked up my water. You value your peace, keep walking. Hazel followed me toward class, now kept walking, still no. The running gag had acquired stamina before I did. Later that day in the school hall, Lenora's assistant stepped into my path and handed me a phone. Lenora's voice came through immediately. You rejected fame, she told me. That was the wrong offer. I leaned against the wall. Dragging me into another meeting won't improve it. Lenora ignored the jab. You want strength? I can give you elite trainers, equipment, medical support, and private facilities. The offer hit the one goal money and beauty could not satisfy. I looked through the gym doors at Hazel, correcting Alden's stance. Lenora added, Work with me, Cameron. I'll make that body capable. And what do you get? I asked. Access, Lenora answered, to your training, your progress, and your time. I still distrusted her. I also needed strength to satisfy the goddess and survive this world. Lenora had finally offered something I could not dismiss in one breath. I had not answered her when Serena reminded me about the new car waiting for tomorrow. By first bell the next morning, Westbridge had already turned every powerful woman around me into one ugly rumor. The next morning at Westbridge, Serena's new supercar stopped in front of the student crowd. The door lifted, every phone lifted with it. Serena leaned across the seat. Text me after class. I stepped onto the sidewalk. Try not to buy the school before lunch, Serena smiled. No promises. The car pulled away, leaving half the gate staring at me and the other half staring at its price. Then a teacher called my name. Minutes later in the staff office, a forum post sat open on her screen. The headline claimed wealthy older women were keeping me for entertainment. It used Serena's car, my viral photos, and screenshots from my stream as proof. The comments had already added Lenora's company and several imaginary hotel rooms. Look, I had been accused of many things since arriving here. Being a luxury subscription was new. The teacher folded her hands. Cameron, the school needs an explanation. I read the post once, then called Serena. Come back to the gate, I told her. Someone turned your car into a kept boy rumor. Serena's voice went cold. I'm coming. The teacher started discussing privacy and school reputation. I let her talk until an engine stopped outside. Serena entered the office in work clothes with the same car key hanging from one finger. Students crowded the hall behind her. She looked at the post, then at the teacher. I'm Serena Armitage, she said. My mother is engaged to Cameron's father. We live in the same house. I'm his future stepsister, and the car is mine. Serena turned toward the watching students. If anyone thinks driving family to school proves a sexual arrangement, they should explain that logic with their full name attached. Nobody volunteered. One girl deleted her repost in front of me. Another asked who had written the original. By the time the teacher closed the browser, Serena had already turned the hallway against the rumor. I walked Serena back to the gate. She adjusted my collar. You attract strange problems. I looked at the car key in her hand. You bought a car shaped like a confession. Serena's fingers paused at my neck. Next time, let me handle the rumors sooner. I pulled my collar straight. I handled it. Serena lifted an eyebrow. With my entrance, I held up my phone. With my phone call. Serena smiled. Teamwork. The public shame was gone. Then I noticed Alden had missed first period. Monica found me outside class with her phone in hand. The post came from an account tied to Corey's group, she told me. Alden confronted them this morning. I looked toward Alden's empty desk. The cleared rumor had exposed the real attack. Before lunch, behind a locked men's room door, Alden called my name. I found a mop handle jammed through the outside latch. I ripped it free and opened the door. Alden stood near the sinks with milk soaking his hair, jacket, and shirt. His bag had been dumped into a wet corner. The joke stopped there. I kept my voice flat. Who? Alden wiped his face. Corey's friends! Corey watched. He tried smiling. It failed. They wanted me to say you were sleeping with older women. I told them to choke. I picked up his bag and handed it to him. Good answer. Alden looked at the floor. They locked the door after. Corey had mocked my food and sent boys at us in the mall. Then he posted a sexual rumor and humiliated the friend who stood beside me. I was done giving him warning shots. I took Alden straight to the cafeteria. Corey Maddox sat with the same boys who had run from us at the mall. His smile disappeared when he saw the milk on Alden. I placed my phone beside his tray. The forum post filled the screen. You have two options, I told him. Corey leaned back. I don't know what you're talking about. I pointed toward the hallway. A camera faces the bathroom entrance. Monica traced the account to your group. Post the truth now. Otherwise, I send the timestamps and Alden's condition to every parent and student who shared your lie. Corey looked at the surrounding tables. People were already listening. He tried one last bluff. The school will handle it. I leaned closer. I'm giving you the cheaper option before they do. Alden stood beside me in soaked clothes. The nearest table stopped eating. Corey opened the forum. His hands shook while he typed that the rumor was fabricated. He named himself and his friends. Then he admitted they had targeted Alden after the post failed. I made him read the correction aloud. By the second sentence, the cafeteria martyr had lost his audience. A girl at the next table unfollowed him. One of his own friends moved away. Another stared at her tray. Corey finished the post and looked up. Happy? Took my phone. You still think this was about my mood? Then I walked Alden out. His own name sat under the confession. One of his friends moved tables before we left. The school could add punishment later. Corey had already lost the room. As I closed the forum, Ashby Media Group's name still sat in the rumor screenshots. At lunch outside the gym, I showed Hazel the post and asked how much power Lenora actually had. Hazel answered with one comparison. My mother is the city mayor. The Ashby family deals with her as an equal. That was enough. Lenora's assistant called while Hazel was still beside me. Ms. Ashby left a major negotiation and wants your answer, the assistant told me. I looked at the phone. Tell her leaving work early is her problem. Hazel waited until the call ended. She wants you. I pocketed the phone. I noticed. Hazel's eyes narrowed slightly. For training? I looked at Hazel. Among other control issues. Hazel moved half a step closer. Tiny movement. Loud message. That evening at a downtown restaurant, Serena ordered a private celebration dinner for surviving the school scandal. The same restaurant hosted private corporate dinners upstairs. I noticed the reversed restroom symbols before I noticed any executives. The women's sign showed a broad figure in a suit. The men's sign showed a narrow figure holding a cosmetic bag. After one drink that was stronger than I expected, my earth habits won. I entered the women's restroom. A hand grabbed my jacket and pulled me into a stall. Lenora Ashby shut the door behind us. The CEO final boss wore a dark evening dress and the expression of someone pleased by criminal timing. In my defense, the dress distracted me for several seconds. Annoying. Then Lenora pinned one hand beside my head. Still refusing my offer? She asked. I braced one hand against the stall wall. You left a negotiation to hide in a restroom? Her phone buzzed. The screen showed a conference call waiting. Lenora silenced it, pocketed the phone, and kept watching me. You're more interesting. I glanced at the stall door. That is a terrible business model. Lenora moved closer. Zara used Ashby Media Group's name while collecting protection money. I removed her people, so the empty territory was her work. I asked, did you do that for the company or for me? Lenora touched my collar. Does the answer change your gratitude? I kept my hand near the latch. I'm still searching for it. Her smile sharpened. She blocked the stall door with her body and reached for my chin. I slid both hands to her waist and tickled her ribs. Lenora jerked back with a shocked laugh. I slipped past her, opened the stall, and walked out while she recovered. Cheap move, Lenora called after me. I looked over my shoulder. Effective move. The restroom attendant stared at us. Lenora's assistant appeared at the entrance holding a tablet and looking exhausted. The negotiation is waiting, the assistant told her. Lenora kept watching me. That woman had an empire, a boardroom, and apparently unlimited time for my boundaries. Late that night at home, Serena helped my half-conscious body to bed. The drink had hit harder than expected. I remember her removing my shoes and pulling the blanket over me. Then I felt her lips against my neck. My eyes opened. I caught Serena's wrists, rolled, and pinned her beneath me. She stared up at me, breathing fast. For one dangerous second, attraction and anger pulled in opposite directions. I released her wrists. Then I kissed her forehead and moved to the far side of the bed. Sleep, I told her. Serena said nothing. I passed out before she left. The next morning, red marks covered one side of my neck. I found Serena in the kitchen and pointed at them. What happened? Serena inspected the marks with professional calm. Alcohol allergy. I touched the marks. On one side of my neck? Serena nodded once. Very localized. Her answer was nonsense delivered with a medical license. I remembered enough to distrust it. Alyssa, the Westbridge classmate and longtime admirer who had defended me in the cafeteria, had called during the night. My phone showed Serena had answered. When I returned the call, Alyssa answered on the first ring. Why did Serena answer your phone? She demanded. I gripped the phone. What did she say? Alyssa's voice tightened. She told me to stop pursuing you. Now I knew the call had happened. Serena's motive remained hers to explain. The next afternoon behind the school gym, a male classmate grabbed my collar before Hazel's lesson. Colton Avery was an 18-year-old streamer. He named Alyssa before I could ask what he wanted. Stay away from Alyssa, Colton snapped. I looked at his fist in my shirt. She isn't property. Colton tightened his grip. She chased you for 2 years. I met his eyes. That sounds like a conversation for her. Colton pulled me closer. The host Cameron had avoided fights. Hazel's training had given this body another answer. I trapped his wrist, stepped across his balance, and threw him over my hip. Colton hit the ground shoulder first. A sharp pop ended the argument. He screamed and grabbed the joint. The students nearby stopped laughing. I crouched beside him. You started a fight over a woman who never asked you to. Colton glared through the pain. You think you're better than me? I looked at his shoulder. I think your shoulder voted. His friends carried him toward the nurse. The strongest women around me could still overpower me. Colton had grabbed me and left in his friend's arms. Alden arrived late and stared at Colton being carried away. Cam, did you do that? I pointed toward Hazel. You're training with us. Alden looked at Hazel, then at Colton's shoulder. That sounded like a threat. I clapped Alden on the shoulder. It was an invitation. During core training behind the gym, Hazel lifted the edge of her shirt to show how she braced her abdomen. Defined muscles crossed her stomach. I lost the next useful thought. In my defense, the training demonstration had excellent production value. Hazel noticed me staring. Do you want to touch? I asked permission once more. She nodded. I pressed 2 fingers against the muscle while she tightened it. Unfair, I muttered. Hazel looked pleased. You can have them. That answer bothered me. I stepped back and tested the pattern directly. Give me all your money. Hazel reached for her phone immediately. I caught her hand before she opened the account. Why did you agree? Hazel lowered her eyes. That is what friends ask from me. Alden stopped stretching. I handed Hazel's phone back. Real friends let you refuse. Hazel looked at me. Even you? Held her gaze. Especially me. Hazel lifted her chin. Then I refuse to give you my money. Nodded. Good, Hazel added. I also refused 10 more sit-ups. I considered it. Accepted. 5. Alden pointed between us. That negotiation lasted 3 seconds. Hazel smiled. I reached for her phone to set the next timer. She pulled it back. Ask first, Hazel told me. Good. She had said no, kept her money, and stayed beside me. After training at dusk, I walked home along an unusually empty block. The shops were open, the sidewalks were clear, even the traffic light changed for nobody. Then I saw a childlike girl crouch near a bus stop, crying over a torn candy wrapper. She looked about 12. I approached because leaving a child alone on that street felt worse than stopping. She held out a piece of candy. Is this one sour? Should have walked away. Instead, I took it and bit down. Yes, I accepted candy from a stranger on an empty street. My adult judgment was apparently useless after sunset. The sweetness turned chemical. My knees failed. The child caught my shoulder with adult strength. The street went black. When I woke, my wrists and ankles were tied to a mirrored bed. The room reflected me from every wall. The childlike woman sat at a vanity removing a wig, makeup, and prosthetic pieces. I stared at her real face. She looked over. I'm 30. Tested the restraints. Congratulations. She stood and checked the restraints. My employer wanted you unharmed. I looked at the cuffs. Your employer has a strange definition. A door opened behind her. Lenora Ashby entered. She dismissed the operative with one look and sat across from the bed. I pulled once against the restraints. You drugged and kidnapped me. Lenora crossed her legs. I ordered the pickup. You kept refusing meetings. I tested the knot. That defense should get you studied. She smiled. You already are. I used what I knew as a weapon. Lenora Ashby, CEO of Ashby Media Group, head of the Ashby family, trained fighter. Enough reach to gut Zara's territory. Lenora listened without blinking. I pulled at the restraints. And you still kidnapped a student because he refused a meeting? That is a ridiculous use of power. I requested one, Lenora replied. I refused. That created a problem. For you, I told her. So why am I tied to the furniture? Her smile said she had been waiting for that question. Lenora leaned forward. Before the Scarlet Moon, Cameron York posted fan edits of me. He wrote that assertive men embarrassed themselves. He had never thrown a punch. The host had admired her. I stayed silent, Lenora continued. His game account showed casual play and no advanced rank. Days after the moon, you beat a professional in public. Then she pointed toward my bruised hands. The old Cameron avoided physical conflict. You threw my assistant, fought Zara's crew, and dislocated Colton Avery's shoulder using trained movement. I tested the cuff after each fact. The knot held. Lenora had my old posts, my public win, and my bruised hands. Every cheap excuse was gone. This is Cameron York's body, she said. The soul inside it changed under the Scarlet Moon. I stopped pulling at the restraints. Another human finally knew I was not the original Cameron. I pulled against the restraints again. What do you know about the moon? Lenora's expression changed from amused to serious. Ashby Media Group funds a private research team studying Scarlet Moon anomalies. Your change is the strongest case we have. There it was, the first human lead that might actually take me home. Lenora placed a short contract on the bed. I fund the research, pay you, protect you, and give you access to the findings. You cooperate, train under my supervision, and live where my security can reach you. The last condition sounded like another cage. I looked from the contract to the restraints. You want cooperation? Untie me. Lenora released one wrist. I swung at her. She caught the punch, rolled me onto my stomach, and smacked my backside once through my clothes. That, Lenora said, was for throwing my assistant. I twisted around. You are proving every accusation I made. Lenora looked delighted again. The smack humiliated me. The research still held the first credible route home I had found, and Lenora controlled it. By the time I got home, Serena could smell Lenora on me. Both women were about to start asking questions neither wanted the other to answer. Late that night at home, Serena smelled Lenora's perfume before I cleared the hallway. She was waiting outside my room in a robe, arms folded. Her eyes moved over my wrinkled clothes, bruised wrists, and missing patience. "Where were you?" Serena asked. I kept walking. "A meeting." Serena stepped in front of me and caught my collar. With Lenora Ashby? That perfume had survived drugging, restraints, and my attempted punch. Impressive product. Terrible timing. I removed Serena's hand. "She forced the meeting." Serena's expression went still. "Did she touch you?" "Yes, that's why I'm going to shower." Her fingers tightened around the fabric again. "What did she want?" "Access to my training." I kept the changed soul accusation and Scarlet Moon research to myself. Serena knew neither secret, and Lenora had already turned both into leverage. Serena looked at the marks on my wrists. "Cameron, I got out." The bruises showed how much that answer left out. Serena released my collar and stepped aside. "Give me those clothes," she told me. "I can use a laundry basket." "I know." Her tone ended the discussion. I changed, showered, and slept badly. The next morning, the clothes were gone. I checked the laundry room. Empty. Then I found a blackened shirt button beside the outdoor trash bin. A thin strip of scorched fabric clung to it. Serena walked past carrying coffee. I held up the button. "Aggressive laundry cycle?" She took one calm sip. "The perfume wouldn't come out, so you burned the shirt." Serena looked at the button. "You needed a new one." Look, I couldn't prove a whole bonfire. The blackened button still made laundry a hard sell. Before I could press her, my phone rang. Lenora's name filled the display. Serena watched me decline the call. 5 seconds later, Lenora sent one message. It read, "I checked Serena Armitage's timeline. She moved into your house within days of the Scarlet Moon. Ask why." I read it twice. Lenora had investigated Serena. The charred button suggested Serena had destroyed every trace of Lenora's scent, then Serena's phone lit up on the counter. A message preview showed a man asking whether she had reconsidered dinner. Serena turned the screen toward me. "He won't stop." I frowned. "Block him." Serena handed me the phone. "You do it." I looked at her. "Why?" "He knows I live here. I want him to understand I'm unavailable." The message thread looked suspiciously clean. It contained one invitation and one photo, both perfectly timed. At the time, I thought Serena was testing whether I cared. I pressed block anyway. Her smile appeared immediately. "Happy?" I asked. "Very." Handed the phone back. A notification opened beneath my thumb before the screen locked. The group title used my full name. I saw dozens of saved photos, outfit discussions, stream clips, and arguments over which angle made me look cutest. Serena snatched the phone back. I stared at her. "You have a private fan group about me? It's for safety. Safety keeps getting creepier every time you explain it." Serena slipped the phone into her pocket. "People post your location. I monitor them." That explanation covered part of the screen. It did not explain why someone had raided my sleepwear. Both women had started digging around the host's life while I stood between them with half the memories. The next day at Westbridge, before I could question either woman again, Colton Avery challenged me before first period. The 18-year-old streamer rival still wore a shoulder brace from our last meeting. Apparently pain had taught him nothing. Colton held up his phone. "Gift battle tonight, face cameras on, and the winner takes the ranking." Students gathered before I answered. He wanted a public rematch where popularity mattered more than technique. I looked at the brace. "You need another loss that badly?" Colton smiled. "Your channel survives on women staring at you." I stepped closer. "Then bring viewers." 2 girls laughed. A boy behind Colton raised his phone. Colton's smile hardened. "8 tonight. Try not to quit early." That night in my room, I turned on the camera and accepted. Alden sat off-screen with snacks and the focus of a man attending public execution. "You're showing your face," he whispered. I checked the frame. "One battle." Alden adjusted the light. "Your unlicensed publicist approves." I didn't ask. That has never stopped me. The 2 streams linked. Colton opened with a polished smile and 3 times my viewers. "We play 3 matches," he announced. "The audience can gift either side. Total support decides the winner." Then Colton looked into his camera. "Maybe Cameron can finally earn attention without attacking someone." Alden leaned toward my microphone. "His shoulder has forgotten who signed the cast." I muted Alden before he became evidence. The first match started. Colton chose the safest character on the board and played for clean highlights. I took the riskier role and hunted him. He escaped the first fight with 1 sliver of health. His chat celebrated like he had won a championship. 2 minutes later, I baited the same escape, cut off his route, and dropped him under his own tower. My viewers exploded. The second match went worse for him. I stole the central objective, broke his team's formation, and ended before his audience could finish typing excuses. By the third match, Colton stopped smiling. He started insulting my viewers between deaths. That was when a yacht gift crossed my screen. Then another. Then the alerts became a wall. The sender name belonged to Lenora Ashby. The counter climbed past 100. Colton stared at his screen. 200. Alden forgot the snacks. 400. Colton demanded a platform check. The count kept rising. 990 virtual yachts filled my side of the ranking. The platform showed no dollar figure. The count alone crushed his lead. The public leaderboard flipped so hard his own chat followed it. Colton ripped off his headset. "This is rigged," he snapped. "You're being kept by rich women." I leaned toward the camera. "You challenged me to a gift battle." Colton's mouth opened. I added, "Someone gave gifts. Keep up." Alden slapped both hands over his face to stop laughing on microphone. Colton rage quit before the third match ended. His viewers flooded my stream anyway. The reputation merchant had challenged me in public, lost the games, lost the ranking, and rage quit before the finish. He was cooked. I ended the stream and called Lenora. She answered on the first ring. "I'm returning the yachts," I told her. Lenora sounded amused. "They were gifts. They were a territorial missile." "You won," Lenora replied. "I was already winning." Lenora paused. "That confidence is why I sent the remaining 900. I hung up before she could make the number flirtier. The next afternoon at home, I was still trying to return Lenora's yachts when she called again. Serena had just driven me from school and stood beside me, watching the screen over my shoulder. I answered. "What?" Lenora's voice sharpened. "Someone is following you." Serena leaned closer. "Who is that?" I covered the phone. "Insurance." Serena looked at me. "Your insurance calls like an angry woman? Premium service?" Lenora heard enough. "Come outside, now!" I ended the call before Serena could take the phone. Serena caught my sleeve. "Where are you going?" "To deal with the yachts." That answer was ridiculous enough to be true. Outside the house, a black convoy occupied half the curb. Lenora stood beside the lead car in a long coat. Her assistant waited near the rear door with the expression of someone who remembered being thrown. Serena watched from the front window. Lenora noticed her and smiled without warmth. "Great!" Two final bosses had made eye contact across my lawn. I walked to the curb. Subtle. Lenora opened the rear door. "Get in." "No." She lowered her voice. "A person has followed you since school. My team is nearby, but I need the follower to move first." She pointed toward a side street. "Walk 30 meters into that alley. I'll stay close." I studied the dark entrance. "You want me as bait. I want the attacker away from your house." Serena was still behind the glass. I wasn't pulling an armed follower toward my front door. I sent Alden my location, looked at Lenora and said, "If this goes wrong, I'm haunting your board meetings." Lenora's mouth curved. "Fight first, haunt me later." 30 meters into the side street, the masked attacker charged. A black hood hid her hair. A cloth mask covered her face. The first strike came straight for my throat. I stepped outside it and drove my forearm into her elbow. She spun, caught my shirt, and tried throwing me into the wall. Hazel's training saved me. I dropped my weight, hooked her leg, and swept both feet out. She hit the pavement. I followed, trapped one wrist, and pinned her shoulder with my knee. For one clean second, I had her. Then she bucked hard enough to throw me sideways. She rolled up and pulled a knife. The blade came toward my ribs. Lenora caught the attacker's wrist before it landed. She twisted once. The knife hit the pavement. Then Lenora ripped the cloth mask down. "Zara DeLuca," Lenora said. Pink hair spilled from the hood. Zara stared at me with murder in her eyes. Discount gangster Cupid had retired the roses. "You took everything," Zara snarled. "My street, my crew, my name." Lenora stepped between us. "You used my company name to extort people. I took the street. Cameron only embarrassed you." Zara rushed her. Lenora stepped through the punch and drove one clean strike into Zara's chest. Zara folded onto the pavement. She tried standing and attacked again. Lenora knocked her down a second time. This time, Zara stayed there. I had dodged, swept, pinned, and survived the weapon. Lenora finished the stronger opponent after the fight had already started. I kept breathing. Getting rescued still stung. Minutes later, beside the same alley wall, Lenora told me what Colton had done after rage quitting. "He hired someone to take compromising photos of you," Lenora said. "One of my people intercepted the order. His platform contract is gone, and nobody got near you." So Colton's public loss had produced a separate attack. Zara had come for revenge. Colton had paid for shame. Two clowns, two plots, same target. Lenora stepped closer. "You hung up while I was warning you." Serena was standing beside me. I noticed. She said those two words with open jealousy. Lenora caught my chin. "What are you doing?" "Punishing you." She kissed me before I could move. It was stolen. My body still answered for one stupid second. I kissed back. Then I pushed her shoulders and broke contact. Lenora looked satisfied. I wiped my mouth. "I agreed to the alley." "I didn't agree to that. I'm 18. You don't get to drug me, restrain me, or collect kisses like fees." Lenora held my gaze. "Move into one of my protected residences. Accept the research contract. This stops happening." I pointed toward my house. "Leaving my family puts me inside your cage. You would be safer. You'd have easier access." Her silence answered for her. I added, Reject the move-out clause. Take back the 990 yachts. Then we can discuss the Scarlet Moon research. Lenora's smile returned. You think you're negotiating? I'm walking away. I did. I walked back toward the house. Lenora stayed beside the convoy, still holding the Scarlet Moon research I needed. Serena watched from the front window. I had kissed Lenora back for 1 second. Going home suddenly felt more dangerous than the alley. Later that night in bed, Lenora's kiss put Serena in my head. I couldn't tell whether that pull was mine or the host's unfinished attachment. So the next morning at Westbridge, I stopped feeding the ceiling my problems and walked toward the relationship that felt earned. Hazel met me near the window before class. She wore black stockings beneath her uniform skirt, and I forgot my next sentence. In my defense, the quiet heiress had discovered legwear and weaponized it. Hazel noticed me looking. Do you like them? I recovered badly. They appear functional. Hazel looked down. For what? Destroying concentration. Her mouth curved. I placed a small box on her desk. Hazel opened it and found an AK-style rifle pendant on a silver chain. It was jewelry, not an actual firearm. With Hazel, that distinction needed stating. You tried giving me a real gun as a friendship gift, I told her. This seemed safer. Hazel lifted the pendant carefully. It looks like mine. That was the point. She fastened it around her neck, then touched it twice like she expected somebody to take it back. How much do you want? Hazel asked. Nothing. Her fingers stopped. Hazel looked at me. What do I owe you? You trained me. I wanted to thank you. She sat beside me, still holding the pendant. My old friends asked for money, Hazel said. They wanted rides, gifts, and access to the house. Nobody gave me anything unless they wanted more. I had tested her obedience with money because I thought refusal would protect her. Now I understood why she had asked what she owed. This is yours, I told her. You don't owe me a thing. Hazel's eyes went wet. She lowered her face before anyone else could see. Then she moved onto my lap. I caught her waist before she slid. You skipped a step. Hazel rested one hand on my shoulder. May I sit here? You're already sitting here. May I continue? I looked at the pendant against her uniform. Yes. Her body relaxed against mine. Alden walked in, saw us, and stopped at the door. He pointed at the pendant. Did you buy Hazel a tiny rifle? I nodded. Her friendship language is armed. Hazel looked at him. Cameron promised a bracelet next. I looked at her. I said I could find one. Hazel tightened one arm around my neck. Promise. My unlicensed publicist backed out of the room. I'm leaving before this becomes another communication lesson. Hazel kept one hand over the pendant and the other around my neck. She had asked first, and I had said yes. That same day after lunch in homeroom, a male student tried to shame me with a prohibited adult item. He reached beside my desk and lifted it from the floor. He held it up where half the class could see. Cameron, he announced, this fell out of your drawer. The room turned toward me. I looked at the object, then at the open drawer. Interesting, I told him. People keep putting things in there when I'm gone. He smirked. Sure. Stood and took one step closer. Put your trash in my desk again, and I'll return it to your locker with your name taped across it. His smile weakened. I added, large letters. Your admirers deserve clarity. Several girls laughed. The student dropped the item onto my desk and backed away. That should have ended one ugly joke. The next morning, another item appeared. A boy near the windows asked whether the rumors were true. I opened the drawer in front of him and showed the fresh scratches around the lock. Someone keeps using my desk, I told him. Watch who gets nervous when I say that. He looked across the room. Colton looked away first. By the third day, whispers followed me between classes. A few students stopped sitting near my desk. More started watching it. Whenever I mentioned the scratches, girls checked Colton before they checked me. The room had started making the same prediction I had. Hazel arrived before me and guarded the drawer like an armed museum guide. Alden called it subtle. Nobody agreed with him. By the fourth morning, another item had appeared, and the smear was predictable. Colton had lost to me with fists and on stream. Now his eyes kept jumping toward the drawer whenever I spoke. The class had a suspect. I needed the next hand inside the drawer. Even the students who still avoided my desk stayed close enough to watch Colton from a safe distance. Before classes that fourth day, Alden, Hazel, and I entered the empty room. Alden mounted a tiny camera inside a shelf opposite my desk. Hazel fixed a simple trigger inside the drawer. One opening would trigger the beep and start the recording. Whoever reached inside would still be standing there when we returned. Alden checked the frame. I still think glitter would help. I closed the drawer. We're catching him, not decorating him. Hazel looked at the trigger. Can I break his arm? No. After the beep, I closed the drawer. Still, her disappointment worried me more than the camera. We left the room and waited down the hall. 10 minutes later, the sensor beeped. I reached the doorway first. Colton Avery stood over my open drawer with another prohibited item in his hand. His shoulder brace was gone. His common sense remained missing. The camera light blinked behind him. Colton saw it and froze. I leaned against the doorframe, caught in high definition. His face drained. Then he pointed at the camera. You planted that. I looked at the item still in his hand. Excellent defense, hold it higher for the lens. Two students passing the doorway stopped. Colton looked at them, then at the blinking light. His public confidence disappeared before his hand lowered, then he lunged for the shelf. I blocked him. Colton shoved me hard enough to hit a desk. 3 male students rushed from the hall behind him. They had been waiting to seize the recording before anyone else arrived. Good. Colton had brought witnesses and attackers to his own exposure. Elite planning. The first boy grabbed the shelf. Alden tackled him into the wall. The second swung at me. I caught the arm, turned under it, and drove him across a desk with Hazel's throw. Colton rushed the camera again. I kicked the chair into his path. He stumbled, hit the floor, and the prohibited item skidded beneath another desk. The third attacker caught me from behind and twisted my collar into my throat. I drove my heel into his shin, but his grip held. Then Hazel entered. She saw his fist in my collar. Her expression disappeared. Hazel crossed the room and drove her knee into his face. Blood ran from his nose as he dropped. Colton tried crawling toward the camera. I planted my foot on the shelf before he could reach it. Done, I told him. Colton looked at the blinking light, the item under the desk, and his friends on the floor. His whole plan had recorded its own funeral. Behind me, Hazel dropped onto the bleeding attacker, seized his throat with both hands, and squeezed. His face changed immediately. Hazel. She did not release him. I grabbed her wrists. Hazel, look at me. Her eyes stayed on the boy. He hurt you, she whispered. He's down. He'll do it again. Pulled harder. Then he answers while breathing. Hazel finally looked at me. I used that second to break her grip and drag her back. The boy rolled onto his side, coughing. A teacher reached the doorway after the fight had already turned. She saw Colton beside my open drawer, the item on the floor, the blinking camera, and 3 boys unable to stand straight. The teacher had arrived for cleanup. We had already handled the fight. Later that day, the school expelled Colton for planting the item and attacking us. That evening, I walked home through cold rain, exhausted from the fight and from dragging Hazel off the attacker's throat. That night at home, Hazel answered my call in a whisper. I'm in the warehouse, she told me. I sat up. What warehouse? The dark one behind our estate. My mother uses it when I embarrass the family. Her voice shook. The staff won't open it, Hazel added. They're afraid of her. I grabbed my jacket. Then Hazel added, the staff control the front gate too. They won't let you in. I stopped with one sleeve on. Charging a locked mayoral estate alone would get me stopped before I reached Hazel. So I stayed on the phone. Tell me what you can hear, I said. Hazel breathed once. Rain, pipes, something moving near the wall. It's probably a rat, Hazel whispered. I hate rats. Then keep talking to me. Don't listen to it. I'm here, I told her. Keep talking. She told me the room was cold. I told her to keep her hands inside her sleeves. She asked whether I was angry. I'm angry they locked you there, I said. I added, I'm also angry you kept squeezing after I told you he was down. Hazel went quiet. Then she whispered, I thought he would take you. He didn't. I was scared, answered. I know. Her breathing slowly evened out. I kept the call open until she stopped answering and fell asleep. Colton was gone. Hazel was still locked in the dark because she had protected me. By morning, the rain, the fight, and the sleepless call collected payment for me too. The next morning at home, Serena found me feverish after the rain. I tried getting out of bed and made it 2 steps. The floor tilted. Serena caught me before I hit it. You're burning up, she told me. I'm improving my internal temperature. Serena put me back under the blanket. You're sick. Her adult medical training ended the argument before it started. She checked my temperature, brought medicine, and fed me soup while I complained about the spoon. I can feed myself. Serena held the bowl just outside my reach. Then sit up without swaying. Sat up. The room moved. Serena raised one eyebrow. I opened my mouth. She put the spoon in it. Brutal, efficient, and impossible to appeal. For most of the day, she stayed beside the bed with her laptop and one hand checking my forehead whenever I moved. At noon, I tried walking downstairs for water. Serena caught me halfway through the doorway, lifted me under the knees, and carried me back like the argument weighed nothing. Put me down! Stop trying to fall down! I protested. I was walking. Serena placed me on the mattress and tucked the blanket around my waist. You were negotiating with gravity. Gravity was winning. Hated how safe her arms felt. That comfort made the dependence problem worse. When I woke near evening, Serena was still there. Her laptop had gone dark. She slept in the chair with 2 fingers against my wrist, as if she had fallen asleep counting my pulse. You missed work, I said when she woke. I moved it. You don't have to watch me all day. Serena closed the laptop. I'm willing to take care of you for the rest of your life. The room went quiet. She did not laugh or soften it. I looked at the woman tied to childhood promises I still could not finish remembering. Serena! She pressed the medicine into my hand. Take this first! I swallowed it. She left before I could ask what the rest of your life meant. I kept the medicine in my hand and watched the door close. At 2 a.m, from the same bed, I answered Lenora's call. Her name appeared while the house was dark, and Serena slept down the hall. I whispered, Do CEOs not own clocks? Lenora's voice sounded wide awake. I couldn't sleep. That feels like a personal problem. She ignored me. That trained movement you used on Colton was Hazel Davenport teaching you? I stared at the ceiling. You called at 2 in the morning to ask about Hazel? I can arrange professional instruction, Lenora replied. Private trainers, better facilities, a security path if you want a bodyguard career? She said professional training. She had called at 2 in the morning, named Hazel first, and offered to replace her. Professional, sure, Lenora added. I can train you against adult women, not schoolboys. I looked at the dark ceiling. Is this concern or jealousy? Professional assessment. At 2 in the morning? Lenora paused. I said I couldn't sleep. You also said kidnapping was a meeting. Your labels need work. You kissed back, Lenora replied, for 1 second, then I pushed you away. Remember both. Lenora paused. I added, good, your memory works. Lenora started saying my name. I hung up. Some people send flowers after rejection. Lenora offered career infrastructure at 2 in the morning. The CEO final boss had no off switch. After sunrise, Serena left a note beside my medicine. The first line read, breakfast is downstairs. Take the second dose after eating. Do not train today. Beneath it, Serena added, come choose my outfit before I leave. That request had no medical value whatsoever. I found Serena in her room holding 2 jackets over a fitted top. Black or gray? She asked. I pointed at the black one. That one, it matches your personality. Serena smiled. Elegant? Threatening. She lifted the gray jacket to compare it, and the hem of her top rose along one side. A small tattoo curved along her ribs. I lost the next sentence. Serena noticed my eyes and lowered the fabric slowly. Do you like it? I cleared my throat. I support art. In my defense, Serena murmured, you were staring. I pointed at the black jacket again. Wear that and leave before my fever returns. She laughed, pulled on the jacket, and kissed my forehead. Then she left for work. After Serena left, I called about the $50,000 tip reward. I wanted money without conditions. The program was Ashby funded, so Lenora controlled pickup. Of course she did. That afternoon at Ashby Media Group, a company guard joined me in the elevator. She wore a dark uniform, kept one hand near her radio, and stared at my face through 3 floors. I looked at the numbers above the door. Is there a problem? The guard straightened. 2 floors later, she looked again. Then the woman folded completely. I've seen your streams, the guard blurted. I think I fell for you before the elevator reached 10. I checked the floor display. That's aggressive timing. The guard stepped closer. Can I have your number? Before I answered, the doors opened. Lenora stood outside with her assistant. She looked at the guard, then at the distance between us. You're fired, Lenora told her. The guard's face collapsed. Ms. Ashby, turn in your badge. The guard dropped to her knees before the doors finished opening. It was one question, she begged. Please, stepped between Lenora and the guard. Rehire her. Lenora's eyes moved to me. She abandoned professional judgment. She flirted in an elevator. You kidnapped a student. The assistant stared at the wall. Smart woman. Lenora crossed her arms. My employee broke a rule. I pointed at the guard. Then warn her. Firing her because she looked at me makes me the weapon. Lenora held my gaze. The guard stayed on her knees, hands shaking around her badge. I had come from money. Now the guard was kneeling between us, and Lenora was waiting to see whether I would let it happen. Fine, Lenora said. Win it back. She turned and walked into the executive suite. Seconds later, inside Lenora's office, she opened a polished case and removed a rare luxury cigar. The cigar looked old, expensive, and ridiculous. Lenora held it between 2 fingers. I toss it, she told me. If you catch it before I do, the guard keeps her job. Miss, and you stop questioning my staffing decisions. The rule was simple. 1 throw decided 1 worker's job. The guard stood near the door, barely breathing. I rolled my shoulders. Hazel's training had improved my reactions. Zara's knife had tested them. Lenora had seen the result in the alley. The wager mixed power, flirting, and somebody else's paycheck. Very Lenora. I wanted the job, and my $50,000. Lenora tossed the cigar high. She moved before it reached the top. I read her first step, cut across the desk corner, and jumped. Her fingers brushed the wrapper. Mine closed around it first. Momentum carried Lenora into me. She hit my chest, caught my shoulders, and drove us both onto the couch. The cigar stayed in my fist above her head. The guard made a small sound by the door. Lenora looked down at our position. You're touching me! I stared at her hands on my shoulders. You tackled me. You intercepted valuable property. You made it a game. Lenora's mouth curved. That confidence is attractive. I held up the cigar. The guard keeps her job. Lenora stayed over me 1 second longer than necessary. Then she stood and adjusted her jacket. She stays, Lenora told the guard. The guard's knees almost failed again, this time from relief. She thanked me, retrieved her badge, and left before Lenora could reconsider. I placed the cigar on the desk. Lenora looked offended. Do you know what that costs? My reward is 50,000. That cigar is worth 60,000. I looked at the small brown object. So your office just made me wrestle over tobacco worth more than my entire reward. Lenora smiled. You won. I'm beginning to think rich people need supervision. Her assistant placed a phone-sized payment screen in front of me. The amount read $50,000. The money hit my account. My body had gone from losing to a water bottle to beating Lenora's hand by half a second. Lenora kept watching after the payment cleared. Every boundary made her push harder. I stood and pocketed my phone. We should meet less, I told her. Lenora leaned against the desk. You came to my office. For money I earned. Lenora tapped the desk. You saved my employee. I opened the door. From you. Her smile sharpened. And you still came closer. Opened the door. Enjoy the cigar. The money solved my cash problem. It did nothing for privacy. When I got home, Serena was waiting with a hidden album, and she did not want me to see it. That evening at home, Serena and her friend snapped an album shut the second I entered the living room. Serena's friend hugged the thick album to her chest. Serena kept one hand on the cover. A loose photograph had slipped onto the couch. The host Cameron looked several years younger in it, smiling beside Serena. A handwritten date marked the border. A newer print underneath showed my restaurant trend. Another came from a fitness stream. The photos ran from childhood to last week. I told you not to interfere, Serena warned her friend. Her friend glanced at me. I was only saying this is a lot. I held out my hand. Then let me judge how much. Serena pulled the album back. It's private. I kept my hand out. So are my photos. Before Serena could hide it behind the couch, I caught one corner. The cover opened. One page held the host Cameron as a child beside Serena. The next held recent pictures from the amusement park, my streams, and Westbridge. Some dates came from years missing from my host memories. Serena had kept a clearer record of this body's childhood than I had. I looked at her. How long have you been collecting these? Serena closed the cover between us. The old ones belonged to me. The recent ones were public. Her friend edged toward the door. Serena keeps everything connected to... Serena's fingers tightened around the album. Don't interfere. Her friend stopped mid-sentence. She grabbed her purse and left without looking at either of us. I waited until the front door closed. You just scared your friend silent over pictures of me. Serena carried the album toward the stairs. She was being dramatic. I followed her. She looked scared. Serena kept climbing. She worries too much. I pointed at the album. You have childhood photos I don't remember, recent photos I never gave you, and a private fan group rating my sleepwear. Serena stopped on the first step. Her face stayed calm. Her grip did not. I kept what mattered to me, Serena replied. I asked, what exactly am I to you? Serena took the album upstairs and locked it away instead of answering. 10 minutes later, upstairs in my room, I saw an unfamiliar man standing across the street. He stayed beside a parked car and watched our house instead of the road. He checked the front door, then studied the upstairs windows. That was enough. I opened the curtain wider so he knew I had seen him. Serena entered behind me and followed my gaze. I pointed across the street. Do you know him? Serena barely looked surprised. He's a suitor. I kept watching the man. The one you had me block? Serena gave the window a quick glance. Maybe. The man checked the upstairs windows again. I stepped away from the curtain. A date waits for an answer. A watcher studies windows. Serena caught my sleeve before I reached the bedroom door. I know why he's here. I can handle him. I looked at her hand. How sure are you? Serena kept her eyes on the street. He won't come inside? I reached for the doorknob. That wasn't reassuring. Her grip tightened. He knows better than to cross the gate. Serena had identified him before I finished reaching for the door. I turned the knob. Then tell him to leave. Serena looked at my hand on the door. Would it bother you if I dated him? I faced her. It bothers me that he's outside our house. Serena moved closer. That wasn't my question. Held my ground. You asked the wrong one. Her fingers slid from my sleeve to my wrist. Do you have a girlfriend? I answered. No. Serena's shoulders loosened. Serena murmured. Good. I studied her face. Why is that good? Serena held my wrist for another second. Because I want to keep you close, I asked. As family? She released me and closed the curtain herself. Serena could carry me with one arm. One direct question still made her retreat. The next morning at Westbridge, Alden told me Hazel had been isolated since the fight. Students had watched her nearly choke one boy unconscious. Her mother's punishment had only made the rumors uglier. I found Hazel alone beside the classroom window. The AK-style pendant rested against her uniform. Every desk around her had empty space. 2 girls stopped talking when I approached. A boy gathered his books and moved before I reached the row. I put my bag on the empty desk beside Hazel and sat down where everyone could see me. Hazel looked at me. They think I'm dangerous, I answered. You were dangerous. Her fingers closed around the pendant. I touched the little rifle. You also stopped when I pulled you back. Both things happened. Hazel lowered her eyes. Are you afraid of me? Shook my head. No, she asked. Are you angry? I kept my voice plain. I'm angry they locked you away. I'm angry you kept squeezing after he was down. Hazel nodded once. Hazel admitted. I thought you might avoid me. I leaned closer. I stayed on the phone while you slept in that warehouse. Hazel looked up. I told her, the class is scared. I still came here. Her hand covered mine over the pendant. The students nearest us stopped whispering. One girl moved her chair back toward Hazel's row and unpacked her books beside her. At lunch, Hazel led me to an unused practice room beside the cafeteria and locked the door. Voices moved past outside. Inside, Hazel stood between me and the only exit. I eyed the lock. This lunch meeting feels heavily regulated. Hazel stepped closer. Girls in class mocked me. Asked, what did they say? They said I didn't understand kissing, Hazel replied. They said that's why I follow you. I waited. Hazel's fingers touched the pendant again. Then Hazel asked, will you kiss me? The request was clear. I still checked the reason. I asked, do you want me or do you want them to stop laughing? Hazel looked straight at me. I want you. I want them to stop deciding what that means. I lifted one hand to her cheek. Tell me if you want me to stop. Hazel nodded. I will. I leaned in first. The kiss started gently. Hazel caught the front of my shirt. Her shoulders relaxed, then her grip tightened as she kissed me back. The careful girl from the haunted house had made one clear choice. Her other hand touched my wrist, leaving me room to pull away. I stayed. Someone tried the door from outside. A girl in the hallway called Hazel's name. Another classmate knocked twice. Hazel pulled back far enough to answer them. We're busy. The hallway went silent for one beautiful second. Then 3 voices started whispering at once. Hazel looked at me and kissed me again. I respected the escalation. When we separated, her face had gone warm and her breathing came faster. Hazel pressed one hand over her chest. My heart is wrong. I touched her wrist. It's working. It never does this during Monica's videos, Hazel said. I blinked. Monica has lost educational privileges. Hazel kept her hand over her heart. Why does it happen with you? I answered. Dopamine. Your brain wanted this, so your body reacted before you finished analyzing it. Hazel considered that. Would it happen if I kissed someone else? I answered immediately. Don't run that experiment. Her eyes lifted to mine. I added, don't practice with anyone else. Hazel asked. Only you? Held her gaze. Only me. The door shook again. Hazel smiled, unlocked it, and kept hold of my shirt as we stepped into the hallway. The girls outside looked at her flushed face, then at her fist in my shirt. Their teasing stopped. That night, from our separate bathrooms, Hazel called while I was showering. Water ran on her end too. Hazel opened with, I watched one of Monica's relationship videos. I closed my eyes. I thought we revoked her license. It showed kissing and other communication, Hazel continued. I cut in. Keep the other communication off the report. Hazel ignored that. I felt nothing. Then I remembered you and my heart started again. Forgot the water temperature. Hazel asked, is that because I like you? I answered, yes. Then she asked, do you like me? I stared at the tile. I kissed you in a locked room while people hammered on the door. Hazel considered that. So yes, I admitted. So yes. I heard water on her end and finally asked, are you showering right now? Hazel answered, yes. I pressed my palm to the wall. Why did you call during that? I had the question now, Hazel replied. Of course she did. Hazel treated emotional confusion like an emergency briefing. Then she asked, can we communicate again? Told her, use the word kiss. Hazel corrected herself. Can we kiss again? I leaned my head against the tile. Yes, later, with clothes and oxygen. Hazel sounded pleased. Good. I did not hear Serena stop outside my bedroom while the shower covered her footsteps. I learned where she had been the next morning when Alden showed me the messages she sent during the call. Serena had written, I'm outside Cameron's room. He's talking to a girl. Does he have a girlfriend? Alden answered, no. Why? Serena sent nothing else, but that was information I got the next morning. Back in the shower that night, I knew none of it. Hazel ended the call after making me promise we would talk at school. I dried off and walked back to my bedroom. When I opened the door, Serena was waiting under my blanket. That night in my bedroom, Serena was waiting in my bed, wearing a nightgown and holding the television remote. The fabric was soft, dark, and doing excellent work against my concentration. In my defense, I had just survived a shower call with Hazel. I was making decisions under hostile conditions. I stayed in the doorway. Why are you under my blanket? Serena lifted the remote. Horror movie. I pointed at the blanket. That explains the remote. Try the rest. You've been tense, Serena replied. We should relax. Then her eyes narrowed. Who are you talking to? I answered. A classmate. Serena tightened her fingers around the remote. A classmate who calls during showers? I folded my arms. Alden talks too much. Alden only told me you're single, Serena replied. That told me exactly how far her investigation had gone. I nodded toward the television. Use the movie before this interrogation gets embarrassing. Serena pushed the blanket aside and stood. Then come downstairs unless your mystery classmate already scheduled you night. The word mystery came out casual, her grip on the remote did not. I stepped aside. Lead the way. That same night downstairs, Serena chose a horror movie about a male ghost crawling from an abandoned well. Apparently, even supernatural haunting had reversed gender roles here. Serena dimmed the lights and sat close enough for our shoulders to touch. I looked at the screen. You picked this because you think I'll cling to you. Serena opened a bowl of popcorn. You're very confident. I glanced at her nightgown. You wore that to watch a ghost climb out of plumbing. It's comfortable, Serena replied. I faced the screen. Of course. The movie tested us with a mirror, then a child's bedroom. Serena stayed perfectly still through the mirror. She even checked my face afterward to see whether I had flinched. I took a handful of popcorn. Disappointed? The movie is warming up, Serena replied. Then a toy rolled across the child's floor by itself. Serena's hand stopped halfway into the popcorn. Her shoulder pressed harder against mine, and she checked my face a second time. I smiled at the screen. Her setup was losing control. Then the ghost dragged itself over the well's edge with wet hair covering its face. Serena grabbed my arm. She had picked the movie to make me cling. Now her fingers were locked around my arm. I looked down at her fingers. Comfortable? She squeezed harder. Quiet! The ghost vanished from the screen. Serena leaned forward, waiting for it to return. It appeared behind the heroine. Serena jerked against me and buried her face near my shoulder. I paused the movie. She lifted her head. Why did you stop it? I flexed my trapped arm. Because you're crushing me. Serena released me slowly. I was protecting you. Rubbed my arm. From circulation? She reached for the remote. I held it away. Say you're scared. Serena stared at me. The television had frozen on the ghost's face behind her. Serena glanced at it once and immediately looked back at me. I put the remote down and wrapped one arm around her shoulders. Serena relaxed against me after several breaths. Serena muttered, keep playing it. I gave her an exit. You can quit. Serena took the remote. I chose the movie. I let go of it. Choosing it and surviving it are different jobs. She pressed play. Serena refused to let the movie win. The nightgown and her first two checks on my face had made the setup obvious. Her fist in my shirt came from real fear now. Every time the music dropped, Serena tightened her grip. By the final scene, Serena had one fist in my shirt. Both feet were tucked against the couch. Beautiful. After the movie upstairs, Serena stopped outside my bedroom and kept glancing toward the dark hallway. I pointed across from us. Your room is right there. Serena looked toward her door. The ghost used mirrors. I reminded her. You own mirrors. So do you, Serena replied. I opened my bedroom door. You can sleep here. Sleep is the entire agreement. Serena met my eyes. You think I'll misbehave? I answered. I think your definition of family has experimental features. She almost smiled. Then Serena climbed into the bed and waited until I lay down beside her. The lights went out. Moments later, her arm crossed my chest. I warned her. Serena, Serena whispered. The hallway made a noise. I stared into the dark. It's a house. Her leg pressed against mine as she moved closer. I kept my hands above the blanket and stared at the ceiling. Serena's breathing slowed. Mine did not. I tried shifting toward the edge. Her arm tightened before she woke. Stay, Serena whispered. The request sounded honest. I stopped moving. I'm here. She fell asleep with her head against my shoulder and one hand gripping my shirt. I spent the entire night beside a beautiful woman. I wanted her, kept my boundary, and tried not to get crushed. Naturally, I got no sleep. The next morning in the bathroom, Alden sent me the first sticker. It used a photo of my annoyed face with tiny red cheeks and the caption, Angry Baby. The second sticker showed me glaring over a water bottle. The third used my exhausted face from a fitness stream. I called him immediately. Alden answered cheerfully. Good morning. Notification alerts fired behind his voice. He had uploaded the pack before checking whether civilization deserved it. I ordered, delete the pack. Alden announced, your unlicensed publicist believes in audience engagement. I opened the next sticker. You turned my face into emotional punctuation. People need options, Alden replied, sounding proud. I checked the share count. It had already passed our class group and moved through Westbridge. I said his name once. Alden. He hung up. At Westbridge minutes later, girls asked me to autograph the emoji pack. One held out her phone with the Angry Baby sticker open. Another had printed 3 stickers onto a notebook cover. A third sent the water bottle version into the school group while standing in front of me. 2 more girls waited behind them with phone cases and markers. I looked at the notebook. Why would you print that? The girl hugged it to her chest. Limited edition. I held out my hand. It became limited 30 seconds ago. Then I spotted Alden at the far end of the hall. He saw my face and ran. I chased him through the corridors while students laughed and filmed. I shouted, delete it. Alden looked back. You can't delete culture. I gained 3 steps. You made it before breakfast. That's how fast culture moves, Alden shouted. My unlicensed publicist cleared a stair rail and nearly lost one shoe. I caught the back of his jacket outside the gym. Alden twisted free, sacrificed one button, and kept running. Alden yelled, "You owe me tailoring." I chased him again. "You owe me a face." Alden ducked behind the girls waiting for autographs. They lifted their phones like shields. One girl sent me the angry baby sticker while looking directly at my face. I pointed at her screen. "Delete that." The girl checked the share count. "From my phone or human history?" Kept pointing. "Start with your phone." Alden used the autograph line as cover. "See? Organic reach." I pointed around the crowd. "You are one sentence away from becoming an unpaid patient." The autograph line closed around him. My betrayal had helpers now. By lunch, the angry baby sticker appeared under every complaint, argument, and confession in the school group. The pack raised my public status and stole another piece of privacy. Real man Backfire had reached graphic design. After class near the stairs, Hazel met me with newly cut bangs. She had trimmed them to frame her eyes and softened the rest of her hair around her face. The quiet heiress looked cute and waited for my reaction like she already knew it. "Do you like it?" Hazel asked. I looked once, then again. Yes. Her fingers touched the new bangs. "I cut them for you." I gave her the truth. "That feels dangerous to my ego." Hazel took my hand. "Come with me." I glanced toward the students still sharing my stickers. "Is this an escape or another lesson?" "Both," Hazel replied, squeezing my hand. She led me into an unused room behind the old practice hall and closed the door. Voices passed outside before we could move deeper. When footsteps stopped near the door, Hazel pulled me beneath a wide storage desk. The space was narrow. Her knees touched mine. I covered her mouth before either of us made a sound. Hazel looked at my hand. Then she touched her tongue to my palm. I pulled back so fast my elbow hit the desk. Hazel whispered, "Monica's videos use that." Rubbed my elbow. "Monica is banned from education forever." Hazel touched the sore spot. "Did I hurt you?" Kept my voice low. My dignity took the desk. She leaned closer. "Can I kiss you again?" Answered, "Yes." Hazel kissed me immediately. The first kiss had been careful. This one had confidence. She caught my collar, pressed closer, and forgot to breathe between attempts. Her new bangs brushed my forehead. She had the nerve now. Her breathing still needed help. I put one hand against her shoulder and slowed her. I told her, "Breathe." Hazel took a quick breath and tried again. "Slower," I added. She watched my face. "Teach me." Guided the pace and let her follow. "Like that?" Hazel asked between breaths. I nodded. "Like that." She tried again, slower this time. Her grip relaxed. The kiss became steadier and warmer. I wanted another one. Footsteps moved away outside. Hazel stayed close. Hazel asked, "Was that better?" I answered, "Yes." Hazel smiled. "Can we practice again?" Touched her bangs. "Later." She searched my face. "Only me?" I answered, "Only you." Hazel kissed my palm once, gently this time, and climbed out from beneath the desk. I wanted another kiss. I also had Serena waiting at home and Lenora holding the only human route back to Earth. By mid-afternoon, Alden's emoji pack had escaped Westbridge. Before sunset, the CEO final boss had seen the stickers. Across town that afternoon, Alden's emoji pack reached Lenora at work. I learned what happened from her own mouth less than an hour later. Her staff showed her the angry baby sticker, the water bottle sticker, and the rising share count. Someone suggested licensing the images through Ashby Media Group. Lenora refused, walked out of a business negotiation, and drove straight to my house. Apparently, 990 yachts, a private convoy, and a Scarlet Moon research team had finally met their natural predator. A sticker. Before sunset outside my house, Lenora's car blocked the gate and half the curb. The engine was still running. She had parked crooked. Her phone kept vibrating in one hand as she stepped out in the same suit she had worn to work. She silenced the call without looking at it. The CEO final boss had abandoned business hours because strangers were using my annoyed face in group chats. I stopped beside the gate. "Move the car." Lenora crossed the sidewalk without slowing. "Tell Alden to delete the images." I pointed toward the street. "I chased him through school. The pack is already outside Westbridge." "Make him," Lenora ordered. I shook my head. "He can't pull them back from every phone." Her expression hardened. "You protect him after he turned you into a joke?" I stepped between her and the gate. "I'm going to punish Alden personally. You don't get control over my friends." Lenora's jaw tightened. "My staff can remove the images." I held up my phone. "They can remove posts. They can't turn my face into your property." "Never called it property," Lenora replied. I gestured at the crooked car. "You left work, blocked my curb, and demanded control over every copy. Pick a better word." Then I added, "Your staff can waste the evening chasing angry baby stickers." Lenora closed the distance between us. "They wanted to monetize them." I stared at her. "Of course they did." "I refused," Lenora replied. I gave her a flat look. "Congratulations on declining to sell my face." Her phone vibrated again. Lenora turned it off. "I left a negotiation because those images are everywhere," Lenora told me. "Women are passing your face around like they have access to you." I answered, "They're stickers." They're using your face, Lenora snapped. I kept my voice level. Alden used my face. The women sharing it are enjoying a joke. Lenora moved closer. They're enjoying you. I looked her over. That complaint sounds familiar. Her eyes narrowed. Meaning? I counted the violations on my fingers. You sent 990 yachts, put a convoy outside my house, kidnapped me, and kissed me after I said no. You don't get to complain about access. Lenora stopped one step away. I protected you, lowered my hand. You keep using protection to demand access. Then why are those women allowed to keep reaching you while you keep pushing me away? Lenora demanded. I laughed once without humor. Allowed? I lifted my phone between us. Alden made a stupid pack. I'll deal with him. You left work, blocked my house, and started issuing orders over my face. I came because you refused to understand the risk, Lenora replied. I pointed at her hand as it reached for me. I understand the risk. You keep adding your hands and your orders to it. Lenora caught my wrist. I pulled against her grip. She held firm. Her phone lit with another work call. She ignored it and kept her eyes on me. The woman in front of me controlled a media company, security teams, and the only human Scarlet Moon research. My face still belonged to me. I met her eyes. Erase me from your life, Lenora. Her grip tightened. You don't mean that. I pulled again. I've refused your contract, your house, your gifts, and your stolen kiss. Which part sounded unclear? Lenora's face changed at the word stolen. She stepped close enough that the gate pressed against my back. Then Lenora released my wrist. For 1 second, I thought she had finally heard me. She grabbed the front of my shirt and pulled me close by the collar. Her phone stayed dark in her other hand. Her jaw shook with anger. I couldn't sit there while women circulated your pictures, Lenora snapped. They look at you, joke about you, and act like they can reach you. I caught her wrist at my collar. That still doesn't make me yours. Lenora pulled me closer. Do those women really think they can touch my man? I peeled Lenora's fingers off my collar and marched her toward the car. Serena was still inside the house. I refused to let her walk into this mess. Lenora resisted half a step, then followed with her jaw locked and her eyes fixed on me. I opened the rear door, pushed her inside, and climbed in after her. Then I shut the door between us and my front gate. We're settling this here, I told Lenora. You don't get to stand outside my home and call me yours. Her eyes narrowed. Why are you so determined to reject me? Because you keep treating rejection like a negotiation. Her hand stopped halfway toward my shirt. Lenora had money, guards, and status that made local men fold. This world had already stolen my body. Nobody else got my choices. Lenora leaned back against the leather seat. Then tell me what kind of woman you want. Warm, cooperative, capable of hearing the word no. Her mouth tightened. I want someone beside me, not managing my friends, family, clothes, and breathing schedule. I could give you anything, Lenora replied. A home, staff, security, money. You would never need to work again. You're describing a luxury cage. Look, free money sounded great. Permanent supervision ruined the package. Men here dream about that life, Lenora insisted. Then find one. Her gaze sharpened. Is this because of the world you came from? Lenora had already deduced that the soul inside this body had changed. She still got no details about Earth. We're not discussing my original world. Respect one boundary. The experience might be educational. Lenora's jaw flexed. Hazel doesn't respect boundaries either. The jealousy arrived right on schedule. Leave Hazel out of this. Lenora caught my familiar tone. You sound comfortable with her. I am. Hazel listens when I speak. What does she have that I don't? A working relationship with the word no. She asked for honesty. I gave her the rude version. Lenora leaned closer. You would choose a sheltered student over me? I'm choosing my decisions over your money. She reached for my wrist. I moved first. Here's the only offer, I told her. We can be friends. You stop following me, stop threatening people around me, and stop treating my life like company property. Friends? With distance. Lots of it. I softened 1 inch. Behave like a friend, and maybe you'll earn a harmless nickname. Lenora blushed and looked away. That was not a promotion. Her eyes snapped back to mine. You would give Hazel more than friendship. Hazel earned trust. You keep arriving with guards. Lenora's dangerous calm returned. I can learn. Start by letting me leave. She unlocked the door. I left before she turned that into another contract. Lenora watched me through the window until the car turned the corner. Minutes later, I reached the front gate and found another problem holding a gift bag. Serena's adult lab coworker waited by the intercom. He had sent her inappropriate pictures after she rejected him. I'm here to apologize, he claimed. I set his gift down. You sent pictures she never asked for and started watching this house. Contact her again and I call the police. They were private, the coworker protested. I was showing sincerity. Sincerity asked permission. Serena told you to stop. He looked toward the windows. I blocked him. Leave. The coworker backed away so fast he caught the curve and nearly fell. Good, he finally understood. That evening, Serena brought fast food into the kitchen. Did he come again? Serena asked. He left and learned what the police are for. Her shoulders loosened, then she slid over her phone. My face stared back in 6 emoji poses. Alden, my unlicensed publicist, had committed another publicity crime. Those reached work, Serena muttered. Everyone kept zooming in. On my face? She looked at my shoulders and attacked her fries. Some pictures show too much. They show my neck. Exactly. Strangers shouldn't study parts of you that belong in private. I leaned closer. Which parts? Serena pointed a fry at me. Don't make me answer that. In my defense, I had asked the medical professional. She locked the phone. Become less famous. I can keep you fed while civilization recovers. After dinner, Serena worked beside my desk while I handled my writing. Then my phone showed a $3,000 transfer. What did you do? I gave you today's shift pay, Serena replied. I assisted on a cardiac case. I'm licensed and finishing specialist training. $3,000 for one shift. I checked the transfer twice. I can earn my own money, I told her. You can. I can still give you mine. Red glove marks crossed Serena's fingers. I earned it. Let me spend some on someone I care about. That made refusal harder. I left the money untouched. Powerful women clearly shared one provider group chat. Then Serena added, I also pay for our parents' weekend trip. I turned from the desk. They're what? They leave Friday and return Sunday night. Serena reopened her notes after casually clearing the house. That timing feels suspicious. Serena traced a line with her pen. You're suspicious of generosity? I spent the afternoon with Lenora. I developed survival instincts. She capped the pen. Then used them on Saturday. We're going out. Shopping? Serena opened the next page. A date. Look, she had funded the trip and cleared the house. My vote clearly wasn't required. Later that night, Serena came back to my bedroom wearing shorter pajamas and carrying none of her medical notes. The outfit was simple. The effect on my concentration was criminal. In my defense, the pajamas were winning the argument. Serena sat with her back toward me. My shoulder hurts from work. Massage it. You have a hospital full of trained people. None of them live here. I put both hands on her shoulders and worked the tight muscle carefully. Serena exhaled and leaned back a little. Your hands are better than I expected. That sounded like a review. 5 stars. I would book again. The clinic is closed. Serena caught my wrist before I could stop. The patient disagrees. The patient also ambushed the staff in suspicious pajamas. She glanced down at herself. These are normal. Normal pajamas cover more. Serena laughed and guided my hand back to her shoulder. Her grip lingered after the joke ended. Relax, she murmured. I only asked for a massage. That's how every dangerous sentence in this house begins. She laughed, then turned her head toward me. Her face was close enough to make the room feel smaller. Are you nervous about our date? Serena asked. You declared it a date without a vote. I funded the trip. I earned naming rights. She leaned back another inch, caught herself, and stood abruptly. Her smile vanished as she smoothed her pajamas and walked toward the door. Saturday morning, she reminded me. Don't make other plans. She left before either of us made the evening harder to explain. Near midnight, while I was still in my bedroom, my phone rang again. Lenora! Of course! Lenora had decided midnight counted as office hours. I answered. What now? Lenora's voice came through low and controlled. You asked why I dislike dependent men. I asked why a woman who claims to dislike men keeps chasing me. She ignored the jab. My father spent his life waiting for stronger people to decide everything for him, Lenora said. I watched that weakness destroy our family. Her voice tightened on every word about him. I stayed quiet long enough for her to continue. He called obedience love, Lenora said. Other people chose his work, money, and future. Everyone praised him for being easy to manage. So you decided nobody would manage you. Lenora's voice sharpened. Nobody will ever make my decisions for me. That explains what you hate, I told her. It doesn't explain why you're chasing me. Because you refuse the life other men beg me to provide, Lenora answered. You work and train in a body this world expects women to protect. Everyone else asks what I can buy, you tell me no. I rubbed my forehead. So this is attraction by repeated disobedience. Lenora's voice hardened. Do not cheapen it. I leaned back. You called at midnight after I rejected you twice. I'm describing the pattern. For once, Lenora did not threaten me. Her voice dropped. You tell me I'm wrong to my face. Everyone else asks what I want to hear. That was honest. It still did not erase the guards. Then Lenora listed her achievements like a hostile resume. I served in the military, built Ashby Media Group, and funded research other companies were afraid to touch, she said. Including rockets, I added. Lenora's tone stayed matter-of-fact. Including rockets. If Earth matters that much, I can take you beyond this planet. You think enough money can solve distance, I said. Given time, it can. I'm a person, Lenora. You don't solve me. She answered. No, you're the only person who keeps refusing what I offer. You can't buy my old world by launching me away from this one. Lenora's voice cooled. I can put you somewhere no other woman can reach. Lenora had just offered me space travel as isolation from every rival on Earth. That sentence did not help your case. It was meant to reassure you, she replied. Your reassurance needs adult supervision. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at Serena's closed door across the hall. You keep offering more control, I told Lenora. A mansion, guards, now space. Every offer ends with you choosing for me. I would protect you. Protection that ignores my answer is control. Lenora went silent. I pressed the point before she recovered. You say you want me because I'm different from the men you despise. Then you keep trying to remove the exact independence you like. Her voice hardened. I can learn. You called me at midnight after I asked for distance. Your first lesson is going badly. A soft breath escaped her. It might have been a laugh, but her tone stayed hard. I have never wanted anyone the way I want you, she said. That line deserved honesty, so I gave it. Wanting only me doesn't give you permission to control me. You will understand me eventually, I told her. Try understanding me first. I ended the call. The next morning, Hazel asked for the exact closeness Lenora kept trying to claim. The next morning at Westbridge Academy, Hazel blocked my desk before the first bell. She was the same mayor's daughter who had already kissed me twice and treated directness like a competitive sport. Hazel placed both hands on my desk. Cameron, kiss me! No greeting, no warm-up. The woman had the subtlety of a fire alarm. We're at school, I reminded her. Hazel glanced around the classroom. I know, that was not the problem. She leaned closer. Then what is the problem? I lowered my voice. Kissing is private. People usually define the relationship first. Hazel considered that with complete seriousness. Fine, she decided. Come to my house. We can kiss there. My definition had lasted 7 seconds. New personal record. Later, I told her. After we talk. Hazel smiled as if I had agreed to the important half. Then shouting filled the hallway. A crowd of students rushed through the classroom door holding phones, notebooks, and printed copies of my emoji face. Someone shouted, It's him, the once in 70,000 years heartthrob. Alden's publicity crimes had reached every classroom. Girls surrounded my desk and pushed pens toward me. One asked for an autograph, another wanted a selfie, a third invited me to become the honorary president of my own fan club. What would I do? Stand there and look handsome, she answered. Look, I respected the honesty. I still wasn't accepting the job. Then another student reached through the crowd and grabbed my arm like she had found a limited edition product. Hazel caught the girl's wrist. The girl yelped as Hazel twisted just enough to make her release me. Ask first, Hazel said. The crowd pulled back. I put my hand over Hazel's before she twisted harder. Let her go! Hazel released the student immediately. The girl stumbled into her friends and stopped smiling. I faced the crowd. Pictures are fine if I agree. Grabbing isn't. A few phones lowered. Several students apologized. The rest suddenly remembered personal space existed. A staff member arrived after the hard part and ordered everyone back into the hall. Classic authority timing. Show up after the wrist twist, then claim crowd control. Across the corridor, 2 boys watched the scene and looked furious. One had green hair and kept his phone angled toward me. His purple streak companion was the former campus celebrity whose crowd had moved to me. He's just a face, the purple streak boy muttered. The green-haired boy zoomed in anyway. I noticed. I filed it away. By lunch, the fan crowd had moved to Westbridge's front curb. Lenora was waiting there too. A line of luxury cars blocked the curb beside Westbridge. Bodyguards unfolded tables while catered trays appeared fast enough to feed half the school. Lenora stepped from the lead car wearing a suit that probably cost more than the restaurant I planned to use against her. The entire courtyard turned toward us. Students abandoned lunch tables and rushed toward the curb. Phones rose in a wave. One girl whispered that Lenora had come to claim the heartthrob personally. Hazel heard her. Her smile disappeared. Lenora looked past her and focused on me. Cameron, I brought lunch. You brought a hostile takeover with desserts. The students can eat too. Cancel it. One bodyguard froze with a silver tray in both hands. Lenora's expression hardened. I arranged this for you. I told you to stop making public claims. Cars, guards, and a feast outside my school count as public. Students had already started recording. Hazel stood beside me with her shoulders tight. Lenora glanced at her, then back at me. Come eat somewhere private. The feast goes first. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then Lenora lifted one finger. The bodyguards packed everything away. One gesture had started the feast. One refusal made her bodyguards pack every tray away. Hazel caught my sleeve. You don't have to go with her. Her voice dropped, but I heard the hurt. I touched her hand. I'll be back. Hazel let go. The smile from her kiss request was gone. I got into Lenora's car because removing her from campus was faster than arguing beside a wall of phones. No posts, I warned her. No announcements. Nobody at school needs details about us. Lenora's mouth curved at the word Do not enjoy the grammar. Her smile widened. Minutes later, Lenora's car stopped outside the shabbiest noodle shop I knew. The front sign leaned sideways, and half the menu lettering had faded. I had chosen the place because plastic stools and ordinary food should have sent her running back to private chefs. I had underestimated how competitive jealousy could make a billionaire. The restaurant owner recognized me immediately. "You're that heartthrob from the videos," she said, smiling as she led us inside. "Sit near the counter. I'll give you extra toppings." Lenora watched the owner touch my chair, and her stare sharpened. "We need the private room," Lenora told the owner. "There is no private room." Lenora placed a thick stack of cash beside the register. The owner found privacy in under 2 seconds. She pulled a folding screen from the storage corner and cleared the best table herself. I looked at Lenora. "You paid for a private room that does not exist. I paid for comfort. Other people were already eating. Leave them alone." Lenora glanced at the customers. Every one of them stared into a bowl. She withdrew the demand to clear the room. "Small win. I took it." We sat, and the owner brought my bowl first with extra meat and an egg. Lenora's eyes followed every movement. Lenora watched the owner. "Why is she serving you personally?" "Because she owns the restaurant," I told her. Lenora's fingers tightened around her cup. "She is staring." I lifted my tea. "You parked a convoy outside my school. You lost the right to complain about staring." The owner set down Lenora's bowl. "Careful, it's hot." Lenora inspected the noodles like they had insulted her family. I waited for disgust. She took one bite, then another. "I've eaten worse in the army," Lenora said. "My sabotage failed after 2 bites, so this doesn't bother you?" "Food is acceptable. The owner is too friendly." The CEO final boss was now competing with lunch service. "Incredible!" Lenora leaned forward. "You think I only understand expensive things? You tried to build a banquet outside a high school. I wanted you fed. I tapped the table. You wanted everyone watching while you fed me." She did not deny it. Lenora lowered her voice. "You may hate my methods, but you would never be hungry, unprotected, or ignored beside me. If anyone hurt you, I would end the problem. People are not problems you get to erase. Anyone who harms you becomes one." 2 bodyguards stood outside the folding screen while Lenora called that protection. Lenora studied my face. "You have no interest in living comfortably with a powerful woman?" "I have no Cinderella complex. I can work. You should not need to." "I need the choice." The owner returned with tea and called me handsome. Lenora's fingers tightened around her cup. I set my tea farther from her hand. Then her eyes dropped to my mouth. "Who taught you to kiss?" Lenora asked. My tea nearly went the wrong direction. "Why are we discussing that over noodles?" I asked. Lenora leaned closer. "You spoke Hazel's name like a man who has practiced." "That sentence made no sense," I told her. Her gaze hardened. "If another woman taught you, I will handle her." I set the cup down. "This is why friendship is your current ceiling." Lenora's brows pulled together at the reminder. I finished my bowl, paid my own share before she could object, and left her staring at the receipt. After lunch, Alden dragged me home for emergency cosmetics advice. My unlicensed publicist had infected Westbridge with my emoji face, but eyeliner was apparently the crisis. "Cam, this shade makes me look tired," Alden complained on the stairs. "You stayed awake turning my face into reaction stickers. You are tired." He opened his older sister's room to borrow a mirror. We found her drawing me in the center of 6 women. She slammed the sketchbook shut. Too late. A hard drive beside her tablet held 500 gigabytes of romance edits, clips, and fictional pairings built around my face. I stared at Alden. He raised both hands. "This one is not my crime." His sister lunged for the drive. I reached it first. "Give that back," she pleaded. "You stored half a terabyte of my face. I'm conducting a public safety seizure." She promised to delete anything private. I held the drive behind my back. "Behave, clean the archive, and I'll grant one harmless request later." Her eyes lit up. Alden looked betrayed. "You never offered me a wish. You used yours. It became the emoji plague." Serena later told me what happened at work that afternoon. Her coworker invited the lab staff out for drinks. Serena declined. "I have a date Saturday." Her coworker nearly dropped a folder, then handed Serena a small precaution item wrapped in an opaque bag. Serena refused to explain what it was when she told me this story. I respected the mystery for my own mental health. The teasing got loud enough that her persistent suitor at the next workstation heard the mall location. She called that detail an accident. That night, I started another live stream from my bedroom. The chat identified me within minutes. Messages flooded the screen calling me the once-in-70,000-years heartthrob. Viewers connected the emoji pack, my channel, and my school within minutes. Then Serena entered, reached past me, and shut the stream down. The screen went black while the chat was still throwing gifts. "Serena, that was live!" She stood between me and the camera. "Please stop becoming more famous. People at work talk about you. Students follow you. Strangers know where you study." Serena gripped the edge of my desk. "Stay home. I can take care of you." I rose and moved the camera away from the window. I'm not forgetting this family, I told her. Money and viewers don't replace you. Serena searched my face. Promise? I promise I won't disappear because a stream went well. Her hand loosened. She still did not step away from the camera. The next morning, I checked what that interrupted stream had earned. Quitting suddenly became much harder. The next morning in my bedroom, my streaming dashboard showed a 5-figure payout from one interrupted broadcast. I stared at the number twice, then closed the dashboard. On Earth, that money would have solved several ordinary problems. Here, strangers had paid 5 figures to argue about my shoulders. Look, the payout tempted me. It still could not buy my old life back. Lenora still controlled the only human Scarlet Moon research lead. I could not solve that from a payout screen, so I went to Westbridge Academy with the larger problem still open. A fan club was waiting at the gate. Girls held signs with my emoji face. Several called me the once-in-70,000 years heartthrob. One asked me to sign her phone case. Another offered breakfast and looked ready to fight anyone who reached it first. Alden appeared beside me wearing the proud smile of a criminal returning to the scene. Cam, your engagement numbers are incredible. Your emoji pack has produced a cult. Alden corrected me, a supportive community. I pointed at one sign. They printed my face on a pillow. Alden studied the pillow. High quality too. My unlicensed publicist had no remorse. Tragic. Behind the crowd, the green-haired boy and his purple-streak companion watched us again. He can only sell his face, the purple-streak boy said loudly. Take that away and he's useless. A few students heard him. Nobody stopped asking for my autograph. The green-haired boy kept his phone low beside his leg. I remembered the angle. Later that morning, in a Westbridge changing room, our class prepared for a school activity. I stepped behind a divider and caught a tiny reflection in the wall mirror. A camera lens pointed through the gap. The green-haired boy stood on the other side with his phone raised. I crossed the room before he could hide it. Give me the phone. He pulled it against his chest. I wasn't taking anything. I caught his wrist, turned the screen toward me, and found several pictures of me changing. Caught in literal 4K. He watched my face, waiting for panic. I did not give him that reward. Delete those, Alden snapped from behind me. The voyeur looked around at the other boys. Why should I? He shows himself online for money. Look, I need you to understand the threat. The pictures only mattered if I acted ashamed. If I begged, he could keep using them against me. So I took the phone, stepped fully into view, and held it back out to him. You wanted pictures? Take them while I'm looking at you. His fingers stopped. Go on, I told him. Use a better angle this time. Your first set looks nervous. The room went quiet. Color drained from the voyeur's face. Behind the camera, he could no longer look me in the eye. I leaned closer. Post 1, and everyone hears that you hid in a changing room with a camera. Alden folded his arms. I can help with distribution. For once, my unlicensed publicist used his powers for good. The voyeur snatched the phone and backed toward the door. At the far end of the hall, a woman in Lenora's security uniform watched him leave and spoke into her sleeve. After school, I saw the green-haired boy moving quickly behind the gym. He kept looking over his shoulder toward the rear lot, so I followed. At the alley entrance, 2 women in dark suits grabbed him by the arms and dragged him toward a black vehicle. Lenora's guards. Let him go, I shouted. Both guards stopped, but neither released him. The voyeur looked at me with pure panic. Whatever he had expected from a few stolen photos, private security had not been on the list. I called Lenora immediately. She answered on the first ring. Cameron, call off your guards. He violated your privacy, I said. That doesn't give you permission to abduct students behind my school. Lenora's voice stayed calm. I am protecting you. You are proving my point from yesterday. Stop following me. Stop deciding which people around me deserve punishment. The guards finally released the voyeur after Lenora gave a short order. He ran without collecting the phone he had dropped. I stared at the black vehicle. How many people are watching me? Lenora ignored the number. Enough to keep you safe. Then you have too many. I ended the call before Lenora turned surveillance into another sales pitch. The next day, the green-haired boy returned to class. He held doors open for me. He called me sir. When a black sedan passed outside, his entire body tightened. I never learned what Lenora's guards had said before I reached the alley. I only knew that a passing black sedan now made him flinch. At lunch, Hazel found me pressing 2 fingers against my temple. Headache? She asked. Too many fans, too many guards, one extremely committed criminal photographer. Hazel moved behind me and began massaging my temples. Her hands were strong but careful. Better? A little. She wrapped her arms around my shoulders from behind. A hug helps too. Hazel treated affection like medicine with unlimited refills. You cannot prescribe yourself for every symptom. Why not? Because you keep increasing the dosage. Hazel rested her chin near my shoulder. Then kiss me, that will help more. We're still at school. My house is available. She had remembered the loophole. Of course she had. I turned toward her. Hazel, physical closeness means something. It should come with love, trust, and a choice both people understand. She studied my face. I trust you. I choose you. The answer shut down my weak lecture faster than I liked. I touched her hand. I care about you, but I need time to understand the rest. Hazel nodded, then hugged me again without pushing further. Hazel's hug loosened my shoulders. Serena made my pulse jump. Lenora made me check exits. Alden watched us from across the table. When Hazel stepped away, he leaned closer. Cam, are you sure she isn't taking advantage of you? I almost laughed. Then I remembered Lenora's guards dragging a student toward a car. If her watchers treated Hazel as competition, public affection could make Hazel their next target. So I decided to keep my distance at school until I stopped the surveillance. Bad plan or not, I chose it. That night I started another stream from my bedroom. Serena walked in before the first match ended and closed the door behind her. Again? She asked. The last stream paid 5 figures. So, strangers paid for more access to you. She reached around me and muted the microphone. Serena, I am working. You are tense. Sit here. She dropped into my chair, pulled me back against her, and started massaging my shoulders from behind. The chat could still see us. Messages accelerated so quickly I could barely read them. They think you're my girlfriend, I whispered. Serena glanced at the screen. Let them think. That answer did not help my pulse. Then she produced a measuring tape. Why do you have that? Your viewers keep guessing your measurements. Their numbers are wrong. I reached for the tape. We are not correcting them. Serena looped the tape across my shoulders anyway. Then she measured my sleeve and waist while the muted chat lost its collective mind. 3 measurements, I told her. The lesson is over. There should be 4. Her hand lowered with the tape, then stopped. Serena's entire face turned red. She threw the tape onto my desk and stood so quickly the chair rolled backward. Forget the 4th one, I already forgot it. Happiest memory loss of my week. She covered the camera with her palm, ended the stream, and marched out. Massages in this house were never just massages. They were surprise boss fights with lotion. Saturday morning, Serena waited downstairs in a fitted outfit chosen for our mall trip. She smiled when she noticed my stare. In my defense, the outfit was winning the argument before breakfast. Serena folded her arms. You are staring. I'm assessing the danger level, I admitted. She lifted one brow. And? Ha! Her smile widened. Good, let's go. At the mall, we walked past the first row of stores before I noticed a familiar reflection in the glass. Serena's lab coworker followed a short distance behind us. He pretended to inspect every display we passed. The man had the stealth of a rolling suitcase. I leaned toward Serena. Your admirer is here. She looked once and moved closer to me. Then help me end this. How? Serena held out her hand. Pretend to be my boyfriend. If he believes I'm taken, he may finally stop. I only had to make the relationship look real before he reached us. I took her hand. Serena's fingers closed around mine immediately. We walked through the mall together, close enough for our shoulders to touch. Serena squeezed my hand whenever the coworker drifted nearer, then kept holding it after he fell back. She dragged me into a claw machine arcade and made me win a stuffed cat after 3 failed attempts. 3 tries, she teased. Your heroic reputation is damaged. The machine cheated. Of course. The plastic box feared you. She placed cat ears on my head while I held the prize. Remove those. Boyfriends cooperate. I pointed at the cat ears. Fake boyfriends file complaints. The coworker kept following. He ignored the hand-holding in the arcade. Even the cat ears failed, which was honestly insulting. As we reached the main atrium, he quickened his pace and called Serena's name. Serena turned toward me. Sorry, she whispered. Then she kissed me in front of him. Her hand caught my collar. The stuffed cat dropped against my leg. For one stupid second, I forgot the atrium existed. I had agreed to play her boyfriend. I had not agreed to that kiss. My body still reacted before my judgment caught up, which was deeply unhelpful. The lab coworker stopped dead. 2 shoppers slowed beside us. A group near the fountain recognized my emoji face and immediately raised their phones. Serena needed one witness. Half the atrium started recording. She kept the kiss brief, then looked past my shoulder. The man turned and ran. He nearly collided with a directory sign on the way out. Good. 1 stalker gone. Serena's fingers stayed wrapped around my sleeve. I looked toward the exit, then back at her. Her timing looked rehearsed. You knew he would find us here, I told her. Serena watched the exit. I made sure he heard where we were going. I needed him to see me choose someone else. That explained how he found us. Serena still had not explained why she chose me for the performance. That kiss chased off 1 stalker. Serena kept hold of my sleeve, and the way she studied me made the next question obvious. What else had changed? Serena kept hold of my sleeve while phones followed us across the mall atrium. The man she wanted gone was already halfway to the exit. The fake couple job had worked. Serena tightened her grip instead of letting the act end. Before I could speak, she lifted one finger. Our parents are engaged. We don't share blood and we aren't legally related. You prepared that defense suspiciously fast. Serena's grip tightened. Did you hate the kiss? I looked at the phone still pointed our way. You skipped the permission part. I needed him to believe us. Need doesn't replace permission. Serena looked away for half a second, then her eyes came back to my mouth. You still didn't answer, she murmured. Did you hate it? That was the problem. I hadn't. My silence gave her more confidence than a yes would have. Serena slid her hand down and linked our fingers again. Then we keep pretending until the date ends. The stalker left. The date ends tonight. She had stretched. Pretend couple, like a lawyer billing by the hour. I tried pulling my hand free. Serena laced her fingers tighter. Cameron, she warned. Boyfriends cooperate. Fake boyfriends charge overtime. I already pay for lunch. Apparently, I had been purchased with noodles and arcade tokens. Tragic. We made it 2 stores before the mall supplied another problem. Near the west exit, 2 adult women stepped across our path. One wore a designer jacket, the other watched Serena's bag, then looked at my face and smiled like she had found easy money. The woman in front deliberately bumped Serena's shoulder. Her phone dropped onto the carpet. She picked it up and showed us a cracked screen. You broke it. Serena glanced at the old crack beneath the case. I barely touched you. The second woman moved behind us. Pay for the phone and apologize. I stepped between them and Serena. Move! The first woman looked me up and down. Cute boyfriend. It would be a shame if that face got marked up. Look, threatening my face was already stupid. Announcing the plan first made it charity work. She reached for my chin. I slapped her hand away. Her smile died. You little... She swung at me. I shifted aside, caught her wrist, and used her momentum. Her shoes left the floor. 1 second later, she hit the carpet hard enough to lose the rest of the insult. The second woman lunged towards Serena. I stepped into her path before she reached her. Try it, I told her. Then you can carry your friend home. She looked at the woman coughing on the floor. Her courage folded immediately. Both extortionists backed away. The second one dragged her partner toward the parking doors while several shoppers recorded the retreat. No police, no mall speech. One bad swing had solved their business model. Serena stared at me. I glanced behind me. What? Serena's voice softened. You protected me. I pointed over my shoulder. You were behind me. Serena held my gaze. Would you do it again? I won't watch someone hurt you. Of course I would. The old Cameron would have hidden behind me. I stopped rolling my shoulder. Serena stepped close and touched my forearm. Her eyes followed the angle I had used, then the balance in my stance. He used to apologize when strangers raised their voices, she said. You dropped one before she finished threatening you. People change. People do not rebuild themselves in 1 month. Her thumb pressed lightly against the muscle in my arm. Where did you learn that? She asked. Training. Serena pressed her lips together. You never trained before. I rolled my shoulder. I do now. She didn't argue. Her eyes stayed on my hands a second too long. For the rest of the afternoon, Serena kept our hands linked. She called it maintaining the performance. The stalker had left 10 minutes earlier. Serena kept holding my hand anyway. By the time we returned home, the parents were still supposed to be away until Sunday night. I went upstairs to shower after the mall fight. Serena stayed in my room because she claimed she needed to charge her phone. When I came back, my laptop was open. So was the novel file I had been writing about another world. Men were stronger there, women were expected to be delicate, and every familiar social rule ran backward. Serena sat at my desk with both hands folded. That posture was worse than yelling. You read it, I said. Serena turned the screen toward me. This world feels too complete for fiction. I folded my arms. I write for a living. Serena pointed at my hands. You also fought 2 adult women today. One of them swung first. Her finger moved toward my stance. You knew exactly how to make her fall. I practiced. Serena tapped the desk. You started exercising after the Scarlet Moon. You changed your clothes, your voice, your habits, and the way you look at people. She tapped the novel file once. Now you write about another world like you miss it. I closed the laptop. You searched my computer while I showered. You left it open. That explains access. It does not create permission. Serena's gaze sharpened. Then answer one question. She stood and faced me. Do you remember the daycare yard? My stomach tightened. Serena continued before I could fake recognition. We were 5. I sat alone every day. You walked over, sat beside me, and kept coming back. I had no memory of it. The host's past sometimes surfaced through people, places, and stress. This memory gave me nothing. Serena saw the gap on my face. You forgot me, she whispered. I forgot pieces. Pieces like our childhood? I needed a lie close enough to the truth to survive another question. After the Scarlet Moon, I started having dreams, I told her. In them, I was older. I lived somewhere men fought for themselves, so I copied what I remembered and trained. Serena watched me without blinking. The dreams feel real, I continued. They also leave my older memories scrambled. Some things come back when something triggers them. Her anger shifted into worry. You should have told me. I didn't want you treating me like a patient. Serena touched her chest. I'm a medical professional. That is literally my best skill. I pointed at the laptop. You also shut down my streams and measure me without warning. Those are separate skills. I almost laughed. Then Serena stepped closer and placed her palm against my cheek. Do you still know who I am? She asked. Serena Armitage, the woman who funds vacations, ambushes massages, and turns one fake date into a full-day contract. Her mouth softened. I'm mean to you. I held her wrist gently. You know this life better than I do. If more memories go missing, I need someone who remembers me. Her shoulders lowered. The cover worked because it made me sound dependent on her protection. I hated using that weakness. I hated exposure more. Serena moved her hand from my cheek to my ribs. Then your punishment for forgetting me is simple. Her fingers attacked. I folded immediately. Serena, stop! You forgot 5 years of daycare. I caught one wrist. That doesn't equal 5 years of tickling. Serena used her free hand and chased me backward until my knees hit the bed. Then she climbed over me before I could recover. A second later, Serena had both my wrists pinned against the blanket. Her hair fell around her face. Her breathing had changed. Neither of us laughed. Serena looked at my mouth again. You wanted me to ask first. Yes. Then I'm asking, may I kiss you? The front door opened downstairs. My father's voice carried through the house. Cam, we're home early. Serena launched off the bed. The bedroom door opened before either of us fixed the blanket. My father stopped in the doorway. Serena's mother appeared behind him and looked from Serena's red face to my rumpled shirt. Nobody spoke. Then the sight of my father triggered something deeper than embarrassment. A host memory broke through. I saw a woman leaving with a suitcase while a little boy watched from the hall. His biological mother never came back. His father worked long hours and dropped him at daycare before sunrise. In the next image, 5-year-old Cameron stood in a playground doorway. A little girl sat alone beside the fence. He walked over and sat beside her. The girl was Serena. The fragment ended there. No explanation followed. I still didn't know what happened during the missing years. At dinner, my father kept glancing at me. Serena's mother kept glancing at Serena. Serena calmly served herself more food. Cameron took very good care of me while you were gone, she announced. I nearly inhaled my drink. My father set down his fork. Care of you how? She had a problem at the mall, I cut in. I handled it. Serena smiled into her bowl. He handled several things. The woman had chosen violence at the dinner table. I recognized the memory as the host's. I also recognized my own attraction to Serena. Our parents' engagement made that attraction dangerous and awkward. The attraction remained. There might have been a path someday. Thinking about that path inside the same house was how people made terrible decisions, so I left before Serena created another double meaning. Later that evening, I arrived at Hazel Davenport's mansion. Hazel was the mayor's daughter I had been avoiding at school because Lenora's surveillance made public closeness dangerous. She opened the door herself and looked me over. Hazel's voice dropped. You came. I said I would visit. She folded her arms. You also disappeared every time I approached you this week. We'll talk. Hazel nodded, then cut off the conversation. First, swim with me. She led me through the mansion to an indoor pool long enough for an Olympic final. Staff had already placed towels and 2 folded swimsuits beside the water. Hazel stepped out in a sleek racing suit. My plan to discuss boundaries lost several points immediately. In my defense, she knew exactly what she was doing. The suit prepared for me covered nearly everything. Men in this world were expected to dress modestly even in a private pool. I held it up. This is swimming armor? Hazel tilted her head. It looks normal. I pinched the inner fabric. It has an entire second layer inside. Hazel stared at me. That is the privacy lining. It feels like packaging. I pulled the loose inner panel free and tossed it beside my clothes. Hazel watched me. Are you sure? Completely. That confidence had a very short life expectancy. At the pool edge, Hazel pointed toward the far wall. 1 lap. I pointed at the far wall. Winner? Hazel nodded. Gets 1 request. Reasonable request. Hazel raised 1 finger. You cannot postpone it. That clause sounds targeted. It is. Hazel smiled. You are already afraid of losing. I am afraid of your definition of reasonable. She stepped onto the starting block with the confidence of an Olympic finalist. I took the lane beside her. The winner got 1 request. The race lasted less than a second. Hazel pushed off the starting block. Then she sank straight to the bottom. There was no race, no kick, no attempt to surface. I dove after her. The pool was deep enough to hide both of us, but Hazel had dropped near the wall. I caught her around the waist, pushed off the floor, and dragged her head above water. She coughed against my shoulder while I hauled her to the shallow steps. Hold the rail, I told her. Do not let go. Hazel gripped it with both hands. I kept 1 arm around her until her breathing slowed. You can't swim. Hazel looked offended by the discovery. I watched people do it. Watching is not training. Hazel pushed wet hair from her face. They made it look simple. Why didn't you tell me? I would have taught you in the shallow end. Hazel looked down. I wanted to impress you. You skipped the tutorial and entered the final race. Hazel leaned into me, wet hair against my shoulder. You saved me. You own an Olympic-sized pool. How has nobody taught you? Hazel held the rail tighter. I never needed to enter it before. Then why challenge me? Hazel's eyes dropped. I wanted the request. What request? Her face warmed. Another kiss. You asked me for those before breakfast. Hazel lifted her chin. I wanted one you could not postpone. You used an Olympic pool as romantic blackmail and forgot the swimming part. Hazel looked toward the water. The plan had one weakness. One? Of course. The mayor's daughter had nearly drowned for relationship DLC. One of the household staff hurried over with towels. She looked at Hazel first, confirmed she was safe, then looked at me and froze. Hazel followed her stare. The outer layer of my swimsuit had turned nearly transparent in the water. Nothing explicit showed, but the missing privacy lining had become the most educational piece of fabric in the mansion. Hazel's face went bright red. I grabbed the nearest towel and wrapped it around my waist. You said the lining was packaging, Hazel reminded me. I was confidently wrong. She covered her mouth, but the laugh escaped anyway. Hazel laughed once, then looked back at the pool and went quiet. Later, after we changed, we sat in a quiet lounge overlooking the pool. Hazel held a warm drink with both hands. Why have you been avoiding me at school? There it was. Lenora's guards had dragged one student toward a car over photographs. If they decided Hazel was a threat, public closeness could paint a target on her. I couldn't tell Hazel the full reason without dragging her deeper into Lenora's surveillance war. People around me are getting dangerous, I said. We should spend less time together. Hazel's fingers tightened around the cup. Did I do something wrong? No. Hazel stood. Then why are you leaving? I'm trying to keep you out of trouble. Hazel set the cup down. I didn't ask you to decide that for me. She was right. I still pushed forward. At school, we need distance. We stop the public hugs and avoid giving anyone a reason to focus on you. Hazel's eyes filled. You said physical closeness needed trust and choice. I remember. She reached for my hand. I took it, then felt her fingers trembling. You made me choose you, Hazel said. Now you are choosing for me. I trusted you and chose you. I had no clean answer. Hazel stood before the first tear fell. You sound exactly like everyone else who decided what was best for me. She walked out and closed the door softly behind her. That quiet door hurt worse than a slam. I left the lounge and headed toward the mansion entrance. Hazel's butler stopped me near the stairs. The older man had managed her household for years, and he had watched her walk away crying. Mr. York, you misunderstand what your absence cost, sir. I turned back. The butler kept his voice low. When Hazel was younger, children used her family name and demanded gifts. They beat her when she stopped giving them what they wanted. Her mother retaliated so publicly that the entire school learned to fear Hazel. He looked toward the upstairs window. After that, nobody came close without an order or an angle. Her father traveled, her mother governed, and the staff could not give her a childhood. You are the first person she trusted by choice. I had called it protection. Hazel had heard another goodbye. I turned around. The butler pointed toward a sitting room at the end of the west hall. Hazel stood alone by the window when I entered. She wiped her face before turning. I thought you left. I almost did. She looked away again. I stopped a few feet behind her. My plan was stupid. Hazel did not answer. I still need us quieter at school, I continued. There are cameras and people watching me. Public scenes make you easier to target. Her shoulders tightened. But I am not abandoning you. Hazel turned slowly. I'll call every day, I told her. I'll visit whenever I can. We can train, swim safely, and finish the mansion tour. Hazel searched my face. Even when Lenora calls? Especially when Lenora calls. Her mouth trembled. Every day? I nodded. Every day, Hazel pressed. You promise? I promise. Hazel crossed the room and wrapped both arms around me. I held her back. She pressed her face against my chest. Then I will trust you again. And I won't abandon you either, Hazel whispered. You should make me earn that. You came back. Her grip tightened. I held her until the shaking stopped. After a quiet minute, I added, also, this mansion is the size of a small country. You still owe me the game room tour? Hazel laughed against my shirt. I learned later from Lenora's assistant what happened at Ashby Media Group that afternoon. Lenora woke at her desk from another combat nightmare. In the dream, she stood on a battlefield covered in blood. The Scarlet Moon hung above the smoke. Her assistant brought the latest research update. There was no progress. Lenora dismissed the report and returned to work. Then her security team confirmed I was still at Hazel's mansion. The CEO final boss answered uncertainty with more surveillance. Extremely normal. That evening, I was still at Hazel's mansion. The butler had brought tea. Hazel sat beside me on a couch, close enough that our knees touched. You kept your promise for one day, Hazel said. A flawless record. She leaned closer. Then I get a reward. I pointed toward the pool. You lost the race. Hazel shook her head. There was no race. There was a rescue operation with a swimsuit malfunction, I reminded her. Hazel ignored the argument and moved toward my mouth. My phone rang. Lenora's name filled the screen. Hazel looked at it and stopped smiling. I answered. What do you want? Lenora's voice came through cold. Come outside. No, Lenora replied. Then I will visit your parents and explain why you are spending the evening here. My hand tightened around the phone. Leave my family out of this. Lenora repeated. Come outside. Headlights swept across the mansion windows. The butler reached the front hall before Hazel and me. When he opened the inner door, a wall of black vehicles filled the drive. Bodyguards stood shoulder to shoulder outside the gate. Lenora waited at the center in a dark coat, calm as if she had arrived for a scheduled meeting. The butler's voice shook the entryway. This is private property. Remove your people. Lenora looked past him at me. Cameron, get in the car. Hazel stepped in front of me. He said no. Lenora's eyes moved to her. This does not concern you. It concerns me when you surround my home. Lenora glanced at the mansion. He came here because I allowed the situation to continue. Hazel's hands curled. He came because he chose to. Hazel handed her phone to the butler and walked down the steps. I caught her arm. Hazel, stop! She keeps threatening you. Lenora took one step forward. Move aside. Hazel attacked. She drove a fast kick toward Lenora's ribs. Lenora caught her ankle, turned, and threw Hazel onto the grass. Hazel rolled up immediately and charged again. This time, Lenora blocked the strike, trapped Hazel's arm, and forced her down before she could reset. Two bodyguards moved in and restrained Hazel's shoulders. Release her! I snapped. Lenora did not look away from me. Get in the car! Hazel fought against the guards. Cameron, don't go! The butler shouted for the household staff, but more guards closed around the drive. More guards closed around Hazel. Any longer fight would land on her first. I walked past her and opened the rear car door. Let Hazel go first. Lenora lifted one hand. The guards released Hazel. She stumbled forward. The butler caught her before she fell. Only after the guards released Hazel did I climb into the car. The door locked behind me. As the vehicles left the mansion, I turned on Lenora. You attacked an 18-year-old student outside her own home. Lenora's eyes stayed cold. She attacked me. You arrived with an army and threatened my parents. You created the fight. Lenora sat across from me without blinking. I came to protect you. You followed me, surrounded her house, and forced me into your car. That is control. Lenora looked toward the mansion behind us. She cannot protect you. She listens when I say no. Lenora's jaw tightened. She attacked me. You gave her a gate full of guards and told me to obey you. What did you think she would do? Lenora crossed one leg over the other. I expected better judgment. You arrived carrying enough bad judgment for everyone. Her stare sharpened. She nearly drowned in her own pool. I leaned toward her. And I rescued her. That still gave you no right to invade her home. I stayed forward. You punish everyone around me, then call it protection. Keep doing that and there will be nobody left near me except the people you hired. Her eyes dropped to her hands. You have no idea how relationships work, I told her. Lenora's fingers tightened once, then released. I know how to command soldiers and companies. People do what I say. That is the problem. She looked toward the window. I have never had a partner. Then start with the easiest rule, I told her. When someone says no, stop. Lenora did not promise. Then the car passed through her gates and the security barrier locked behind us. Lenora's car stopped inside her secured residence. She led me into a private sitting room and dismissed every guard beyond the door. I stayed near the exit. You dragged me away from Hazel, threatened my parents, and brought me here, I told her. Ask whatever you plan to ask. Lenora faced me with her hands behind her back. I intended to propose. I stared at her. The CEO final boss had skipped dating and gone straight to acquisition. No. Lenora's expression did not move. You have not heard the offer. I heard the kidnapping portion. Lenora's brows drew together. Most men would want a proposal from me. Most men didn't arrive after watching you pin a student on her own lawn. Lenora lifted her chin. I could learn the softer parts later. You skipped the tutorial, bought the final boss armor, and called it romance. Her eyes hardened. I can give you protection, money, and every resource Ashby Media Group controls. You can also hear the word no for free. She stepped closer. I take responsibility for what I want. You take control of it. Lenora stepped closer. I want you. Still not property, I told her, reaching for the door. Lenora's next line stopped me. Leave now, and you leave my Scarlet Moon research with me. She had found the one threat that stopped me at the door. Lenora remained the only human lead connected to my transfer. I could reject her proposal. Walking away from the research could cost me Earth. I turned back. You use the one thing I need every time your relationship pitch fails. Lenora folded her arms. You use my research while refusing me. Research cooperation does not equal marriage. Her voice went colder. I am offering permanence. You are offering a locked door with better furniture. Lenora reached for my arm. I stepped back. My elbow struck a display stand. A white ceramic plate tipped from its holder, hit the floor, and broke into several pieces. The room went silent. Lenora looked down at the fragments. "That was a royal ceremonial plate," she said. I looked at the pieces. "How royal?" $200 million. I looked back at her. "You expect me to accept that number because you said it?" Lenora placed one fragment on the table. "Have it appraised." Her confidence made the number worse. She was inviting proof. My breathing stopped for one full second. "Put the pieces back together and say a smaller number." Lenora crouched, picked up one painted fragment, and examined the break. "Because you are important to me, I will reduce your personal debt to 100 million. You cut the number in half and left it impossible. 1 month, Lenora continued. Pay 10 million in the first month. We can discuss the rest afterward. She placed the largest fragment into my palm. The painted edge alone looked older than the mansion. And if I do not? Lenora's gaze settled on me. Then you start repaying me personally. I looked at the broken plate, then at her. You planned a proposal and created a payment schedule anyway. She had turned one broken plate into a marriage contract in under a minute. She stood. Marry me, and the debt disappears. No. Then repay me another way. Her gaze moved down my body slowly enough to make the meaning clear. You are insane. You considered it. For one ugly second, I did. 10 million in 1 month was absurd. 100 million was worse. Lenora wanted access. I didn't want to sell, yet my mind still calculated the fastest escape. A red glow appeared beside the broken display. The Scarlet Moon goddess appeared beside the broken display. She had dropped me into this body, and only I could see her. She lifted one finger and flicked my forehead. The sting snapped my thoughts back into place. That was her entire contribution. Then, she vanished. I touched my forehead and looked at Lenora. I will pay you with money. Lenora smiled. Then earn quickly. You sound very pleased for someone whose plate is in pieces. The plate can be replaced. Her eyes stayed on me instead of the shattered plate. She packed the fragments into a padded case and sent me home carrying a $100 million problem. That night, Serena found me at the kitchen table staring at the case. I kept the proposal and bodily repayment terms to myself. How much money do you have saved? I asked. Serena sat across from me. How much do you need? A ridiculous amount. She unlocked her banking app and slid the phone over. Take all of it. I pushed the phone back without looking at the balance. No, you asked. I asked what was possible. Emptying your account is not happening. Serena's expression tightened. Did Lenora do something? I broke something expensive. Serena's eyes narrowed. She made you pay? She made the number dramatic. Her hand moved toward the phone again. How expensive? Expensive enough that telling you would make you transfer money while I slept? Serena considered it. I could set an alarm. That sentence proves my point. Serena reached across the table. Cameron, let me help. I will. I just won't solve this by draining you. My savings are for family, Serena replied. Then keep them for the family. I am solving the mess I made. Her hand stayed over mine for a moment, then withdrew. The provider offer felt warm. Accepting it would have put another person's money between me and my choices. So I went upstairs and turned on the stream. Gaming had already paid well. 10 million in 1 month needed something louder. Tonight, I'm trying something different, I told the viewers. The chat offered yachts for lowered camera angles, private outfits, and several ideas no tax auditor deserved to hear. I blocked the worst request. You get songs. The dignity auction stays closed. My rule was simple. 3 yachts bought 1 harmless song request. Clothes, private calls, and camera tricks stayed off the menu. The chat tested it. I rejected 2 requests and accepted a ballad. I had sung enough on Earth to trust the skill. This younger body gave the notes more range. Then I sang. The first verse quieted the chat. 1 yacht crossed the screen before the chorus, and then the gifts stopped arriving one at a time. Requests piled up faster than I could answer, so I capped the deal and kept singing. When I finished, the chat demanded another. I gave them 1 more and ended the stream before the requests became feral again. The payout estimate was the biggest I had ever seen. It still came nowhere near 10 million. Beautiful. I had discovered a profitable talent and remained financially cooked. My phone buzzed before I closed the dashboard. Lenora wanted a new photo. I called her instead of answering the message. 1 normal photo, I told her. No posting, no sharing. Lenora replied immediately. Full length, head and shoulders. Lenora lowered her voice. Cameron, 7 figures off the debt. A pause followed. Then Lenora agreed. Selective capitalism saved the last scraps of my dignity. I took 1 clean photo in an ordinary shirt, sent it, and watched her confirm the reduction in writing. Lenora called back within 10 seconds. Send another. The store is closed. Lenora answered without hesitation. I can reduce more. 1 photo. 1 discount. Learn scarcity. I ended the call before selective capitalism became a subscription service. The debt was still impossible. At least I had made Desire pay rent. The next day, my streaming manager Maribel Sutton called while I prepared another stream. She had one useful sentence. "Play the new shooter," Maribel told me. "Your audience likes skill, and sponsors are already asking." I loaded the game and went live. The first match had barely started when Serena entered my room. Mall footage had already connected her to me. The chat recognized her and immediately started posting forbidden romance theories about my future stepsister. Serena read 3 messages, muted the microphone, and stood behind my chair. "They are discussing us again. They discuss my shoulders as a public resource. Their standards are low." Serena put both hands on my shoulders and began massaging. Massages in this house were never just massages. They were plot devices with lotion. The chat moved even faster. I kept one hand on the controls. "You are feeding the rumors. Maybe I don't mind these rumors." Serena leaned close enough that her hair brushed my cheek. "I thought of a way to test something," she whispered. "What?" Serena's thumbs pressed slowly into the muscle beside my neck. "Whether the kiss changed anything. What kind of test? I will tell you when the house is quiet." Serena smiled and kept massaging while wedding ring icons flooded the chat. Great, her private test already had a public audience. I ended the stream before the chat crowdfunded our wedding. After Serena left, I messaged Hazel that Lenora had turned a broken antique into a huge debt. I kept the proposal and bodily terms out of it. Hazel's reply came back immediately. "I'll help tomorrow." The following morning at Westbridge Academy, Lenora sent another message. The message read, "At your current pace, the month will end before your pride does." I locked the screen. Hazel saw my face and approached carrying a heavy backpack. "You need money," she said. "I need a legal amount of money from legal sources." Hazel placed the backpack on a desk and opened it. The desk creaked under the weight. 2 classmates nearby stopped talking and stared until Hazel closed the classroom door in their faces. Inside were gold pieces, antique jewelry, carved ornaments, and a diamond ring large enough to start a family dispute by itself. I looked at her. "Where did you get these?" Hazel patted the bag. "My family stores them downstairs." "So you stole them?" She shook her head. "I borrowed them for you. Did anyone approve the borrowing?" Hazel considered the question. The lock opened. Hazel's friendship language had officially progressed from weapons to grand theft heirloom. I closed the backpack. "You are taking every item home." Hazel pushed the bag toward me. "Cameron, sell them. Your mother will send half the city after me." Hazel shrugged. "She has more. That's not a defense." Hazel touched the padded plate case beside my chair. "Then let me help another way." Her hand stayed on the case. "You came back for me yesterday. I'm not watching you handle this alone." I could reject the stolen ring immediately. Rejecting her loyalty took longer. I opened the case and showed her the fragments. "Do you know anyone who can tell me whether this is worth what Lenora claims?" Hazel nodded. "My aunt works with antiques. She can arrange an appraisal and repair." A legitimate expert gave me a possible route out. I could use the plate itself and leave Hazel's ring in her bag. "When can she see it?" I asked. "Tomorrow." Hazel pushed the backpack toward herself again. "If the plate fails, my offer stays. It fails with the ring, then I'll bring smaller jewelry." I accepted the appraiser and rejected the backup crime plan. I thought the dangerous thing in that shop was the plate. The criminal heiress took one look at me and changed the inventory. The next afternoon, I carried the padded plate case into the antique shop Hazel had arranged. Hazel's aunt met me at the counter with a second appraiser. The second woman recognized my face before she touched the case. "You're the once-in-70,000-years heartthrob. Today, I'm the man who broke something expensive." Hazel's aunt opened the lid. Her smile vanished. The 2 appraisers fitted the fragments together, checked the seal, and compared one edge with a reference image. Less than a minute later, Hazel's aunt removed her glasses. "The value is real, intact. The broken royal ceremonial plate could sell near $200 million. My stomach dropped. The second appraiser turned one fragment toward the light. "The break is clean. We can repair it." The repair quote hurt, but I could earn it. Fixing the plate could kill Lenora's monthly demand. Then the second appraiser looked at me again. "You came alone?" Hazel connected us. "She should have come too." The appraiser slicked her arm through mine. "People would pay to see the 3 of us together. I'm here to clear debt, not launch a fan page." She turned toward the waiting customers. "He's my date, family discount." Hazel's aunt stared. "You already work here." "Then employee discount." "1 photo," the second appraiser offered. "I'll cut the inspection fee." I agreed. She raised her phone and leaned close. The front door slammed open. A tall woman in an expensive coat entered with 4 crew members. 3 spread through the shop. The 4th stayed near the door with her hands in her pockets. Hazel's aunt went rigid. "My sister," she whispered. The crew supplied the rest. Whatever family dispute lived between those sisters had arrived with hired muscle. The criminal heiress glanced at the broken plate once, then her eyes moved to me and stayed there. "Who is he?" the heiress demanded. The second appraiser kept her arm near mine. "My date." The heiress's eyes narrowed. Sell him to me! Nobody moved. She took out her phone and named a number large enough to buy the whole shop. I stared at her. You understand I can hear you, right? The heiress looked me over slowly. You'll live better with me. Your opening offer was human trafficking, she smiled. Men say dramatic things when they're nervous. Look, most entitled people pretend to be polite first. This woman opened with a price tag. Hazel's aunt stepped between us. Get out! The heiress reached toward my face. Her hand never made it. The second appraiser slapped it away, then struck her cheek. Everyone in the shop heard it. The heiress touched the red mark and stopped smiling. You hit me over him? I hit you because you offered to buy a person. The heiress turned toward her crew. Break her arms. 3 women moved at once. I stepped in front of the appraisers. The first attacker grabbed my shoulder. I caught her thumb, turned under her arm, and drove her into the counter. The second swung from my right. I ducked, kicked the side of her knee, and shoved her into the first. The third tried to circle behind the counter toward Hazel's aunt. I vaulted the low display, caught the attacker's wrist, and sent her across a padded bench. Glass cases rattled. Customers ran through the side door. The criminal heiress watched 3 crew members hit the floor and looked offended, like competence had violated her warranty. You're stronger than you look, she told me. You're worse than you sounded. The first attacker rose again. I drove my shoulder into her chest and put her back down. Hazel's aunt pulled the second appraiser behind the counter. I kept my eyes on the 3 women in front of me. That was the mistake. The fourth woman had stayed near the door for a reason. A short baton struck the back of my head. The shop tilted. My knees hit the floor before I could turn. The last thing I saw was the criminal heiress crouching beside me and smiling through the handprint on her face. When I woke, my wrists were tied behind a chair inside a warehouse. A gag covered my mouth. My head pounded. The criminal heiress sat across from me while 6 gang members watched the exits. A metal bar rested beside a stack of crates just beyond my feet. The heiress leaned forward. The buyer already paid. One gang member mentioned the buyer's reputation. The others stopped joking immediately. I never saw that buyer. I only learned that I would be delivered before nightfall. The world had turned my face into money again. This time, nobody was discussing virtual yachts. The heiress pulled down my gag. You have one easier option. Let me guess. Become yours. Her smile returned. You learn quickly. I've met your personality type. Then you know I get what I want. She placed one boot against the leg of my chair. Agree to stay with me, and I cancel the sale. I tested the ropes once. Too tight. Begging would keep me tied. Threats would make her enjoy the chair more. The ropes wouldn't budge, so I made her pride do the work. My gaze moved from the gang members back to her. I like strong women, I told the heiress. She leaned closer. I know. I haven't seen one yet. Her smile vanished. I nodded toward the ropes. 6 people, a baton from behind, and a chair. That's your proof? One gang member warned her. Don't untie him. The heiress stood. He can't beat me. I gave her a slow look. Then prove it without the ropes. In my defense, fake admiration was cheaper than dying. The heiress ordered one woman to cut me loose. Beautiful. She had untied her own problem. I learned later what happened across town at that same moment. Inside Lenora's operations room, her surveillance team traced the abduction to the warehouse. Her assistant reported that their prepared rescue and takeover team was in position. The kidnapping was not ours, the assistant reminded her. Lenora stood and buttoned her coat. Then the people who took him made themselves useful. She authorized the raid. Back inside the warehouse, the rope fell from my wrists. The heiress raised both hands. Come on, show me what makes you so arrogant. I stood slowly and rolled, feeling back into my fingers. She attacked first. Her right hand reached for my collar. I caught her wrist, stepped beside her, and drove my weight through the joint. Her arm locked. I turned harder. The heiress screamed and dropped to one knee as the shoulder came out of place. Every gang member moved. I kicked the chair into the nearest woman and reached the metal bar beside the crates. The second attacker swung. I blocked, struck her forearm, then swept her legs. She crashed into the crates and stayed there. A third charged from behind. I turned the bar across my back, caught the hit, and drove an elbow into her ribs. The woman who had struck me at the shop tried the same trick again. I saw her this time. I ducked the baton and cracked the metal bar against her wrist. The baton hit the floor. New strategy, I told her. Try facing me. 2 gang members stopped moving. The heiress clutched her ruined arm and screamed at them to attack. Nobody wanted the next turn. A warehouse door exploded inward. Lenora entered with her assistant and a wall of bodyguards. The gang members who had ignored my warnings dropped their weapons immediately. The CEO final boss looked at the rope, the bruise near my temple, and the criminal heiress kneeling beside me. Her face went cold. Who touched my man? Lenora asked. I am still not your man. Later. Terrible answer. Excellent timing. The criminal heiress tried to stand. This is family business. Lenora walked past the gang members as if they were furniture. Your assets are under my control now, she told the heiress. You will withdraw from the inheritance dispute. Your brother takes your claim. The heiress's mouth fell open. Several gang members lowered their heads and started apologizing. One offered Lenora the warehouse keys. Another gave up the account phone before anyone asked. The heiress looked from her crew to Lenora. Her own people lowered their eyes. You planned this, she accused. Lenora's assistant answered first. We prepared to move against your operation. You kidnapped Cameron before our team acted. Lenora looked at me. I located you after they took you. The timing made sense. Lenora's takeover still made my skin crawl. The heiress refused to surrender. She grabbed the fallen baton with her good hand and rushed Lenora. A bodyguard intercepted her. The bodyguard caught her and broke her neck in one motion. The heiress dropped dead. Everyone in the warehouse froze. She had tried to sell me. Watching her die still shocked me. I tightened my grip on the metal bar and faced Lenora. You found a kidnapping and turned it into an acquisition. Lenora's eyes stayed on the bruise at my temple. I used the opening. I did not create it. You still arrived ready to claim everything. I arrived ready to remove everyone who touched you. That is exactly the problem. Lenora looked down at the metal bar in my hands. The gang had stopped trying to own me. My rescuer reached for the weapon. Lenora grabbed the metal bar before I could pull it away. She bent it across one knee and snapped it. Then she lifted me over her shoulder. I had escaped a trafficking gang, beaten a warehouse full of attackers, and survived the baton to the head. My rescue ended with the CEO final boss carrying me out like stolen luggage. Put me down. Lenora kept walking. You were unconscious 20 minutes ago. I can walk. You can complain from there. I pushed against her back. She swatted the back of my thigh once. Stop moving! Every surviving gang member watched Lenora carry me through the warehouse doors. Look, public humiliation was already rude. Adding a helicopter made it premium. The aircraft waited beyond the loading yard. Lenora carried me up the steps, set me into a seat, and fastened the belt herself. Her bodyguards boarded behind us. As the helicopter lifted, I turned toward her. You understand what just happened, right? Lenora checked the bruise near my temple. You were kidnapped. Then you took me somewhere else without asking. I rescued you. The gang used ropes. You used a helicopter. Her hand stopped near my face. They intended to sell you, Lenora replied. I destroyed them. Anyone who harms you will suffer. And now you are deciding where I go and who deserves punishment. Lenora's jaw tightened. Hazel sent you into that shop. Hazel found an appraiser. Criminals made the criminal decision. You defend her after this? I defend my right to choose who I blame. The helicopter noise filled the pause. Lenora leaned closer. You accept Hazel's hugs, her kisses, and her house, then you call my protection control. Hazel stops when I tell her to. Lenora caught my chin. Do you want me to stop? Yes. She kissed me anyway. I shoved her shoulder and broke the contact. That was not permission. Lenora looked at my mouth. You reacted. My body reacting does not rewrite my answer. The attraction was real. The violation was real too. I refused to let one excuse the other. Lenora sat back with her jaw tight. Saving me had made her expect consent I never gave. Minutes later, the helicopter landed at her secured residence. Lenora led me into a private suite and shut the door behind us. I stayed beside the nearest chair instead of letting her corner me against the bed. You owe me an honest answer, she said. I owe you a repaired plate. You changed the rest every time it suited you. Lenora stepped closer. Date me officially. No. Then repay the debt personally. No. She reached for my shirt. I caught her wrist. Stop. Lenora looked at our hands. You are attracted to me. That gives you information. It does not give you access. Her eyes narrowed. You keep demanding that I follow your rules. What do I receive for obeying? One chance to prove you can do it. Lenora released my shirt. Name the condition. She had finally agreed to one condition. I made it measurable. I sat in the chair and checked the clock on my phone. Sit on my lap for 3 minutes. Lenora stared at me. Lenora kept staring. You wanted me to stop touching you. I want you to follow one rule, I told her. Sit still. No grabbing, kissing, threatening, or changing the deal. Her chin lifted. And if I do, I'll consider whether you're capable of dating like a person. Lenora raised one brow. Only consider? You're starting below zero. The CEO final boss could command companies and armed teams. 3 minutes of obedience offended her more than any insult I had used. Lenora's eyes narrowed. Then she accepted. She lowered herself onto my lap and folded her hands in front of her. In my defense, I muttered. This sounded smarter before you sat down. Lenora's mouth curved. You are nervous. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. She shifted closer. I raised the phone. Timer resets if you move. Lenora froze. For once, the most controlling woman in the city sat exactly where I placed her and followed the rule she hated. Her breathing changed. Mine did too, Lenora whispered. You enjoy giving orders. I enjoy them being followed, I told her. She glanced at the phone. 1 minute left. What happens when I pass? You receive a progress report. Lenora's mouth tightened. You are cruel. You created $100 million debt after a proposal. Romance requires creativity, she replied. Your romance department needs an investigation. 2 minutes passed. Lenora kept her hands folded, though her eyes kept daring me to weaken first. I held the timer where she could see it. Every second under my rule irritated her more. The suite door opened. Lenora's assistant stepped inside holding a tablet. She saw Lenora sitting on my lap and nearly dropped both the tablet and her glasses. Nobody spoke. The assistant pushed her glasses back into place. I can return later. Stay, I told her. We need a witness. Lenora followed instructions for almost 3 minutes. Lenora stood so fast the timer never finished. Her assistant stared at the carpet. Hazel Davenport is at the front entrance. Her aunt called after Cameron was taken. Lenora's face hardened. The assistant added, It may be better to avoid another fight. You are suspended, Lenora replied. The assistant finally looked up. For warning you? For interrupting. Lenora, I cut in. She brought useful information. Unsuspend her. Lenora opened the door. We will discuss it later. That meant no. One useful warning had just cost the assistant a suspension. At the front entrance, Hazel stood between 2 security lines with her fists clenched. She saw me and rushed forward. Cameron, are you hurt? My head hurts. I can walk. Hazel's eyes moved to Lenora. Release him. Lenora crossed her arms. Your aunt's shop exposed him to criminals. My aunt called me after your surveillance found him, Hazel shot back. You took him from the warehouse and hid him here. I saved him. You carried him away after he escaped. Hazel had learned the correct distinction fast. Lenora stepped down 1 stair. You cannot protect him. Hazel raised her fists. Then fight me alone. The guards shifted. Hazel pointed at Lenora. Winner takes Cameron. Lenora removed her coat and handed it to a guard. I accept. I stood between them. No. Both women looked at me. Hazel spoke first. Cameron, I came to rescue you, Lenora added. I already did. You both turned rescue into ownership within 5 minutes. Hazel lowered 1 fist. Lenora kept hers raised. I am not a trophy, I told them. I am not the prize for whoever wins a fight. Lenora's expression sharpened. Then choose. I choose to leave. I walked past both of them and headed toward the street. Hazel followed immediately. Lenora called for her car. A black sedan rolled to the curb. I kept walking and raised my hand toward an approaching taxi. Lenora stepped beside me. Use my car. No. The taxi is filthy. Then survive the sight of it. The taxi stopped. I opened the rear door. Lenora handed the driver enough money to buy the vehicle and climbed in beside me. Hazel slid in on my other side. The driver checked the cash twice and decided questions were for poorer people. Every ride home had become a hostile takeover. Lenora folded her hands. Repair the plate and return it. I'll drop the monthly payment demand. Repair and return, I said. No body repayment and no marriage condition. The marriage offer remains available. It can remain lonely. Hazel leaned across me. I'll pay the repair. I'll pay it, I told her. Lenora looked at Hazel. He already owes me, Hazel replied. He owes you a plate. He owes me a kiss from the race. You sank before the race began, Lenora reminded her. Hazel looked at me. There was no race. The driver's eyes widened in the mirror, then returned to the road. At Hazel's mansion, Hazel refused to get out. I'm going home with Cameron. Lenora opened the door, lifted Hazel by the waist, and carried her toward the gate. Put me down, Hazel demanded. You are home, Lenora replied. The butler caught Hazel when Lenora deposited her beyond the gate. Hazel shouted that the fight was unfinished. By the time I reached home, both women were messaging me. Hazel accused Lenora of cheating by owning the taxi. Lenora claimed marriage would simplify transportation. I silenced both conversations. Serena found me collapsed on the living room couch. She sat behind me and pressed both hands into my shoulders. You smell like a warehouse, she said. I had a complicated appraisal. Serena found the bruise near my temple. Her fingers stopped. Who did this? A gang. They're gone, I told her. Her voice lowered. And Lenora? Still extremely present. Serena massaged the tight muscle beside my neck. You keep leaving the house and returning with another woman's problem. I left for a plate. You returned from a helicopter. Fair point. Serena's mother called from upstairs. Serena stood, picked up a paper shopping bag beside the couch, and carried it toward the stairs. 10 minutes later, her mother came down holding several romance magazines featuring women and an unopened lingerie package. Serena, her mother demanded, why were these hidden in your room? Serena looked surprised half a second too late. I don't know, she replied. Her mother held up the magazines. You reject every man I introduce, and now I find this? Serena lowered her eyes. You are going on a proper date, her mother continued. No excuses. You need to give men a chance, Serena answered softly. If you insist. Her mother carried the evidence away and started calling relatives before she reached the stairs. Serena watched her leave. Then she looked at me and smiled. What was that? I asked. Progress. Toward what? Serena picked up the massage lotion and walked away. I'll tell you when the house is quiet. I had survived a gang, a helicopter, and a duel over my ownership. The quiet plan inside my own house had just moved first. The next morning at Westbridge Academy, my fan club had doubled again. Girls waited beside the gate with signs, snacks, and clips from my singing streams. One student tried inventing a second nickname. I made her use the once in 70,000 years heartthrob label instead. I had standards. They were low, but they existed. Alden met me near the classroom wearing the proud face of my unlicensed publicist. Alden grinned. Cam, your singing numbers are insane. Your emoji pack turned my school into a merchandise booth, I told him. He spread both hands. Growth has side effects. So does food poisoning. Hazel arrived looking pale and exhausted. I touched her sleeve. Did you sleep? Hazel showed me her phone. My stream history filled the screen. 10 hours, she admitted. Alden looked impressed. Elite engagement. Your publicity crimes have become a sleep disorder. Hazel leaned against my shoulder. You kept singing. You could have stopped watching. I wanted the next song. Before I could send her to the nurse, our teacher announced Friday's swimming session. I remembered Hazel sinking in her mansion pool. You're staying in the shallow end. Hazel straightened. You'll teach me. I'll supervise you. That sounds less romantic, I told Hazel. It also sounds less fatal. After school, Serena dropped her purse onto the kitchen table. Her mother had already forced the first blind date after finding those magazines in Serena's room. How bad was he? I asked. Serena opened the refrigerator, stared inside, and shut it again. He praised his face, then asked me to fund his hobbies, cook every meal, and quit working whenever he felt lonely. He speedran every warning sign, I said. Serena's mouth tightened. My mother called him gentle and suitable. What did you call him? Dependent, she answered. Her gaze moved toward my laptop and the streaming equipment upstairs. You train, write, stream, and still help with the house even when you have money. That was almost praise. It was praise. Serena fixed my collar. You carry responsibility instead of becoming someone else's. The touch lasted longer than the sentence needed. In my defense, being compared favorably to a decorative house husband felt excellent. Serena pulled her hand back. My mother scheduled another date. Then your progress is attacking you. Her smile returned. Temporary cost. She still refused to explain the plan. The swim announcement sent Hazel, Alden, Monica, and me to a clothing store the next afternoon. Monica Easton, the bold blonde who treated my public disasters like free entertainment, looked at Alden's knee-length suit and sighed. Alden, that covers your knees. That is the point, he replied. Monica looked him up and down. You are 18, not 80. Alden hugged the suit closer. My dignity has seniority. Monica turned to me. Cameron, help him. I removed a swimsuit lining last week and learned several lessons. Alden immediately returned the longer suit to the rack. Traitor, I told him. Survivalist, he corrected. While we argued over male swim armor, Monica chose a sleek red suit for Hazel. Hazel stepped from the fitting room and looked directly at me. My concentration left the store. In my defense, the swimsuit was winning the argument. Monica caught my expression. Good choice, right? Hazel's cheeks warmed. Cameron? It works, I managed. Only works? Monica pressed. It works aggressively. Hazel smiled and pulled Monica back into the fitting room. When they returned, both women looked awkward. Outside the store, Monica sent Alden and Hazel ahead, then faced me beside the mall railing. Hazel and I admitted we both like you, Monica said. Graduation is coming, and I don't want to leave without saying this properly. She took one breath. Cameron, date me. The confession was direct. She deserved the same. I don't feel that way about you, I told her. I like you as a friend. That is all I can offer. Monica looked over the railing. That hurt. I know. But no vague maybe? I told her. No vague maybe. She exhaled and bumped my shoulder once. Fine, friendship survives. The next confession targeted Alden, and it went much worse. A girl who had exchanged letters with him for years asked us to meet near the back courtyard after class. She held the old letters in both hands and told Alden she had loved him since middle school. Alden listened. His face softened. Then she stepped forward and kissed him without asking. Alden shoved her away. His hand moved before his voice. The slap cracked across the courtyard. The girl touched her cheek and stared at him. Alden wiped his mouth with his sleeve until the skin turned red. Do not touch me again, he said. The girl dropped to her knees and apologized. She said the letters made her think he wanted it. Alden's hands shook. They did not give you permission. I stepped between them and told her to leave. She stayed on her knees until Alden turned away. I kept myself between them until she left. An unwanted kiss was a violation, even in a world that expected men to feel lucky. That evening, Alden produced several cans of cheap beer from a bag and refused to tell me where he got them. We sat on a quiet bench near Westbridge while he stared at the unopened first can. Alden crushed the unopened can in both hands. "She took my first kiss." "You did nothing wrong," I told him. His gaze dropped. "I slapped her. You panicked after she grabbed you. The important part is what you do next." He opened the can. "I want to forget today. I should have taken it away. Instead, I opened one too." Excellent friend. Terrible judgment. 2 cans later, Alden was crying about the letters. I was arguing with a streetlight because it looked judgmental. Hazel found us after I sent her a message with more spelling mistakes than dignity. Late that night, her car stopped at Hazel's mansion with 2 impaired boys inside. The butler saw us at the entrance and nearly dropped his umbrella. "Miss Hazel," he said carefully, "this is a significant development." Hazel frowned. "They are drunk." The butler looked at Alden, then me, then Hazel. Of course, his tone believed nothing. I called Serena from the front hall before the situation grew another rumor. "Alden had a bad incident," I explained. "Hazel brought us to her mansion. We are staying here tonight." Serena went silent. Serena's voice sharpened. "Both of you?" "Yes," I said. "In Hazel's house," she repeated. "That is what mansion means in this sentence." Her voice cooled. "Come home in the morning. We need to talk." The household staff put Alden in a guest room. Later that night, I woke in another guest bedroom at Hazel's mansion. The alcohol haze had mostly burned off. My head hurt, but I could think clearly. Hazel sat beside the bed and explained that the staff had changed me after I passed out. "That is never happening again," I told her. Hazel nodded. "I told them the same thing." She looked tired now too. "Can I stay?" she asked. I moved over and gave her room on the edge of the bed. Hazel sat beside me. "I want to keep you here where nobody can take you." "That sounds suspiciously like Lenora." Hazel winced. "Then I will ask instead." She turned toward me. "Cameron, will you be my boyfriend?" That question finished waking me up. Hazel's hands tightened around the blanket. "You trust me, come back to me, and you've said you care about me." "I do." "Then choose me." I owed her honesty, even when it hurt. "I like you as a woman," I told her. "I'm attracted to you, and I feel safe with you." Hazel's eyes brightened. I kept going, "But I also like someone I should not like. My heart is divided, and I will not call you my girlfriend while that is true." Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. "Serena?" Hazel asked. I stayed silent. That was answer enough. Hazel leaned into me. "Then do not leave tonight." "I won't." "Can I hold you?" I opened one arm. "Yes!" She curled against my chest, and I held her until we both fell asleep. The next morning at Westbridge, Serena arrived before lunch. She saw Hazel beside me and walked straight through the courtyard. Students recognized her from the mall footage. Phones came up before she reached us. Serena slipped one arm around my neck and pulled me against her side. "Cameron," she said clearly, "we are talking in your bedroom after school." Half the courtyard stopped pretending not to listen. Hazel's face tightened. Serena looked at her. "You must be Hazel." Hazel stepped closer. "You must be Serena." Both women smiled. Neither gave an inch. Serena adjusted my collar like she owned the daily maintenance contract. "He stayed at your house," she said. Hazel answered, "He chose to." Serena's hand stayed around my neck. "He comes home to me." I removed her arm and stepped between them. Neither sentence decides me. Serena looked at me. "Bedroom, after school." Then she walked away while the courtyard exploded into whispers. Hazel waited until Serena was gone. "She sees you every day," Hazel said quietly. "She walks into your room, touches you whenever she wants, and gets every ordinary part of your life." Jealousy made her voice shake harder than anger. I took her hand. "You get to tell me when it hurts. It hurts." I had no clean answer left. I thought jealousy was the next problem. The lie waiting inside my own house hurt more than every public claim that week. After school, I returned home for the private talk Serena had announced across Westbridge. I heard a slap before I reached the stairs. Serena's mother stood in the living room with one hand raised. Serena was beside the couch, shielding her face. Red marks crossed her arm, and one corner of her lip had split. I caught her mother's wrist before the next strike landed. I ordered, "Stop!" Her mother tried pulling free. "This is a family matter." I tightened my grip. "You're hitting Serena in front of me. It became my matter." Serena's mother pointed at the confiscated romance magazines on the table. "I found those filthy things in her room. She rejects every decent man I introduce and keeps claiming she feels nothing." Serena pushed herself upright. "I told you I tried." Her mother snapped toward her. "Then try harder." I stepped fully between them. I repeated, "No more." Her mother glared at me, then at Serena's bruises. She grabbed her coat and left without apologizing. The front door slammed. Serena tried standing without help. Her knees shook once and she grabbed the couch. "Do not tell me you are fine," I warned. Serena tried a weak smile. "I was going to say I can walk." I pointed toward the kitchen. "You can walk there." I locked the door, found the medical kit, and sat Serena beneath the light. She flinched when I cleaned her lip. "Where else?" I asked. Serena pulled back one sleeve. Dark bruises were forming along her upper arm. I held ice against them and kept my voice even. "She did this because you rejected those blind dates?" Serena stared at the floor. "Because I told her I couldn't make myself like men." I held the ice pack against her arm. "You kissed me at the mall." Serena looked away. "I was trying." Her answer came too quickly. I checked her ribs, then wrapped the bruised arm. Nothing felt broken, but every touch made her jaw tighten. I set the ice pack down. "What did you build here, Serena?" She closed her eyes. "I planted the magazines," Serena admitted. "Mom kept bringing strangers into my life. You were the one man I wanted her to see as safe." I looked at the magazines. "So, the props were aimed at me." Serena looked at the bruises. "They were aimed at her. I thought she would accept you as the safe option. I didn't think she would hit me. Her injuries were real. So was the setup." Serena caught my hand. "I have tried to feel what other women feel. I cannot. If Mom thinks I refuse marriage entirely, she will keep doing this." I shook my head. "Then we stop her. We do not treat you like a broken machine." Her grip tightened. "Help me prove I can change." That evening in my bedroom, I searched for anything useful while Serena sat beside me. The first forum result claimed gradual physical exposure to a trusted man could train attraction. I closed the page. "Nonsense. Attraction is not an illness, and a random forum does not prescribe cures." Serena touched her split lip. "Then what do I tell my mother? The truth gave me these bruises." She looked at the closed bedroom door. "If I keep rejecting every man, she will keep arranging dates." "She already thinks my career made me cold." I hated the forum answer. I hated the pressure behind it more. Serena touched my wrist. "You are the only man I trust. Look, I saw the trap. I also saw the split lip. One gradual experiment," I told her. "Either of us can stop at any second. No pretending discomfort to protect my feelings." Serena met my eyes. "I won't pretend." I made her repeat the stop rule once. She did, with a steady voice and both hands visible. Later that night, Serena waited on my bed while I changed in the bathroom. Local modesty rules treated a man's bare arms with the same drama my old world reserved for stockings. So I wore a fitted lounge shirt, shorts, and long black gloves that reached above my elbows. I looked like a romance cover model who had lost a bet. In my defense, helping Serena had sounded less ridiculous before the gloves. When I stepped out, her eyes traveled from my shoulders to the black fabric. Serena swallowed. "You prepared?" I held up my gloved arms. "You said gradual." Serena nodded. "I did." She shifted toward the wall and gave me room. I sat beside her. "First step, we sit close." Serena leaned against my shoulder. Her breathing changed immediately. At the time, I read the tension as discomfort. That made me slow down. "Still okay?" I asked. Serena nodded against me. "Yes." I put one arm around her. She curled closer until her cheek rested against my chest. The experiment had reached cuddling in under a minute. Scientific standards were collapsing fast. Serena lifted my gloved arm. "May I touch it?" I raised an eyebrow. "You're already holding it." Serena loosened her grip. "I am asking properly." I nodded. "Then yes." Her fingers moved slowly over the fabric from my wrist to my forearm. She stopped whenever my breathing changed, then continued after I nodded. Serena whispered. "The gloves help." I asked. "With your discomfort?" Serena's thumb paused. "With concentration." That answer did not clarify anything. She pressed closer and traced the seam along my arm. Her face grew warmer. I thought she was forcing herself through the exercise, so I made the next decision for both of us. I told her, "We stop here." Serena looked up quickly. "Why?" I touched her wrist. "You are shaking." Serena held on. "I can continue." I shook my head. "You do not have to prove anything tonight." Her hand stayed on my arm. Then Serena asked, "Would a kiss tell us more?" The mall kiss had already told me plenty. I still wanted another one. That was exactly why I needed the question clear. "Do you want to test it?" I asked. "You can say no." Serena's eyes dropped to my mouth. "I want to." I leaned in slowly and let her close the last inch. The first kiss stayed gentle. Then Serena caught the front of my shirt and kissed me again. The second one lasted longer. The third drove me backward against the pillows. Serena's pulse hammered beneath my hand. She showed hunger, hesitation, and zero sign that the kiss disgusted her. Her careful pace disappeared. She kissed like the experiment had offended her personally. I caught her shoulders and pulled back enough to breathe. I warned, "Serena." She followed me and kissed me once more. Then a name slipped from her mouth. Serena breathed, "Shang!" I went still. Serena froze above me. "Who is Shang?" I asked. Her eyes moved away. "A woman," I asked. "What woman?" "A cover name," Serena answered. I imagined I was kissing a woman so I would not panic. She had just kissed me 4 times without showing much panic. I sat up. "You told me you could not make yourself want men." Serena swallowed. "I am trying to explain." I kept my eyes on her. Then explain why that name came out. Serena stood and smoothed her shirt with unsteady hands. Shang is only a name I used to make the experiment easier. I asked, is she real? Serena looked directly at me. I would never lie to you. That was not an answer. She left my room and closed the door behind her. I stayed on the bed with one black glove half removed and one question unanswered. Shang could have been a real woman, a cover, or another layer of Serena's setup. I had no proof either way. Friday morning at Westbridge's indoor pool, the class turned swimming into another public inspection of me. Girls crowded the rail before Alden and I reached the water. Several openly rated our shoulders. One asked whether the once-in-70,000 years heartthrob needed help applying sunscreen indoors. Alden wrapped his towel around himself like body armor. Alden whispered, "Cam, they are staring." I glanced at Alden. "You made my face into public property." My unlicensed publicist looked wounded. "This is organic engagement." I pointed at the crowded rail. "This is your emoji pack learning to swim." Then Hazel stepped onto the pool deck. Her school swimsuit was sleek, fitted, and far less modest than the armor she had given me at her mansion. My attention left Alden mid-complaint. Hazel noticed and smiled. "You are staring," I told her. In my defense, Monica clearly committed wardrobe sabotage. "This is the conservative one," Hazel replied. One girl beside the rail asked whether Hazel and I were official. Hazel answered before I could. "Not yet." The girl looked at me with sympathy, as if I had delayed my own promotion. I looked at Hazel again. That sentence created several safety concerns. Hazel leaned closer. "The private swimsuit is at my house." I lowered my voice. "You still need private swimming lessons." Hazel smiled. "Then come teach me tonight." I pointed toward the shallow end. "After class, shallow water, no races." Hazel nodded. "And you stay close." I promised. "I will be within arm's reach." During the lesson, I kept Hazel beside the shallow steps. She held the rail while I showed her how to breathe out underwater. Then I supported her waist and helped her float for 3 seconds at a time. Hazel managed the first attempt. She managed the second. On the third, I loosened my support while keeping one hand beneath her back. Water covered her ears. Hazel's entire body locked. She sucked in water, clawed for my arm, and dragged both of us sideways. I caught her before her head went fully under, but panic made her fight the support. Her heel slipped from the pool floor. I lifted her against my chest and carried her to the steps. Hazel coughed hard and clung to my neck. "I have you," I told her. "You are out." She kept shaking. I sat beside the pool and held her until she could breathe without choking. Hazel pressed her face against my shoulder. "When I was little, I fell into deep water. Nobody noticed quickly enough." I tightened my arms around her. Hazel whispered, "I thought I was ready. When the water covered my ears, I was there again." I told her. "I pushed too fast." Hazel held on. "You stayed close," I answered. "I still caused the panic." Hazel did not argue. She just held on. Later at poolside, I wrapped her in a towel and massaged the tight muscles across her shoulders. Hazel finally relaxed enough to tease me. Hazel murmured, "Boyfriends do this for girlfriends." I reminded her. "We are still negotiating the first word." Hazel looked back at me. "You said you like me as a woman." I nodded. "I did." Hazel smiled. "So, the massage is evidence." I kept working her shoulder. "The massage is first aid." Hazel turned her head. "Couples also kiss after rescues." I told her. "You nearly drowned. Your bargaining window is closed." She caught my wrist before I stopped. "Then give me a new bargain." I considered it. "If you learn to swim safely, I will grant one reasonable request." Hazel's eyes brightened. "Any request," I repeated. "Reasonable," Hazel asked. "Is a kiss reasonable?" I told her. "You are the reason that word needs review." Hazel smiled for the first time since the panic. "Then teach me well." She leaned against my shoulder again, carefully this time. "I will," I promised, slower this time. When Hazel stood, she kept one hand on my sleeve. I kept the rail between us. The next lesson would move at her speed. Lenora's assistant later told me what happened that afternoon at Ashby Media Group. Lenora had spent an entire meeting checking the photo I sold her instead of the reports on her desk. Her mother, the former head of the Ashby family, walked into the office and caught her looking again. Lenora covered the photo too late. Her mother tapped the frame and asked, "Who is the man powerful enough to make you ignore work?" Lenora refused to answer. Her mother smiled once. "Then I will meet him myself." The next afternoon, I met Lenora's suspended assistant at a quiet cafe. I needed a way to make the CEO final boss lose interest without causing another private security incident. Call it emergency dating research. The assistant stirred her coffee. "You asked what kind of man Lenora dislikes. Dependent. Passive. Easy to control." Her spoon stopped. "That came from her father," the assistant told me. "He obeyed stronger people until the family chose everything for him. When he got sick, he waited for help that came too late. Her mother was not there when he died." I stopped smiling. The assistant lowered her voice. "Lenora hates helplessness, but she hires soldiers everyone else discarded." She pays their families and never breaks a promise to them. What if I act helpless? I asked. No work, no opinions, permission before breathing. That might disgust her, the assistant admitted, or make her think you are injured. My plan died before the coffee cooled. The cafe door opened. An older woman entered in a dark coat with 2 silent guards. Her face resembled Lenora's around the eyes, and every conversation died when she swept the room. Lenora's mother had once led the Ashby family. She had also noticed my photo one day earlier. The cafe owner flipped the sign to closed. Lenora's mother stopped beside our table. So this is the young man my daughter cannot win. I am not a prize she misplaced. Her smile widened. Good, you may actually survive her. The assistant stood. You should leave. Lenora's mother moved first. Her fingers struck the assistant beneath the jaw. The assistant collapsed before her chair hit the floor. I caught her shoulders and lowered her beside the booth. Lenora's mother watched me check her breathing. Protective, my daughter chose well. I told her, she did not choose me. Lenora's mother corrected herself. Possible son-in-law then. I looked up at her. You skipped several hundred boundaries. The dangerous mother banter ended when one guard opened the cafe's private back room. Lenora's mother pointed inside. Come, unless you want this conversation beside your unconscious friend. I followed because the assistant needed those guards focused on me. Inside the private room, Lenora's mother placed a bank draft on the table. The number was large enough to leave the country, buy a home, and never work again. She placed a pen beside it and turned the signature line toward me. You dislike my daughter, she said. Help me remove her, and you can disappear before she finds you. I asked. What does help mean? Lenora's mother tapped the draft. Invite Lenora somewhere private. Keep her occupied. My people will capture her. She spoke about kidnapping her own daughter like scheduling a haircut. Lenora's mother folded her hands. The Ashby family belonged under my leadership. Lenora took it while I was away. Help me take it back. I looked at the bank draft again. Freedom from Lenora's guards, debt games, and marriage proposals sat 6 inches from my hand. Too bad the price was betrayal. From the corner of my eye, I caught the assistant's thumb press a small emergency switch on her wrist. I kept my face turned toward Lenora's mother. I pushed the draft and pen across the table. Take the money back. She tilted her head. You reject Lenora every day. I kept the draft between us. I reject her control. That does not make me your bait. Lenora's mother counted the charges on her fingers. She has threatened your family, followed you, and forced you into her car. I nodded once. All true. Lenora's mother leaned closer. Then why protect her? I pushed the draft farther away. Because Lenora built loyalty you could not buy back. Those former soldiers follow her because she fed their families when everyone else discarded them. I am not luring her into a trap for the woman who abandoned her father. You heard one servant's version, Lenora's mother said. I pointed at the untouched draft. I heard enough to know your story is missing pieces. You call Lenora a thief, yet she kept the people your family discarded. Her fingers tightened beside the draft. You know very little about our family, Lenora's mother replied. I answered, I know the offer in front of me. It is the same control Lenora learned from all of you. She leaned forward. Your opinion changes nothing. I can reach your father, Serena, and every person you keep using as an excuse. The room went still. I stood. Threaten me again. One guard shifted beside the door. Lenora's mother did not blink. Sit down. I moved around the table and set my feet, touched my family, and this stops being a conversation. She was stronger. The guards were armed. None of that mattered after she named my family. The assistant lifted her head from the cafe floor. Her eyes moved from the untouched draft to me, and her shoulders dropped. Lenora's mother studied my stance for several long seconds. Then she laughed once and pushed the draft away. Lenora's mother said, Enough. I did not lower my hands. The coup was a performance, she said. The money, the capture, and the threat were a loyalty test. My anger stayed exactly where it was, I told her. You knocked out your daughter's assistant and threatened my family for a test. I needed to know whether Lenora's obsession had finally found a liar, her mother said. A man willing to sell her for freedom would become the easiest weapon against this family. I snapped. You could have asked. Lenora's mother glanced toward the door. She would have answered for you. The backroom door slammed open. Lenora entered with 2 guards behind her. She had come fast enough to leave her coat unbuttoned. Her eyes moved from her mother to my fighting stance, then to the assistant on the floor. The assistant had earned that arrival with one hidden signal. No rescue speech required. Lenora's mother looked almost pleased. He refused enough money to escape you. Lenora's gaze settled on the untouched draft. Her mother continued. He also prepared to fight me when I threatened his family. Lenora's expression softened for one dangerous second. Real man backfire. I defended her freedom and she looked even more interested. Her mother removed a small wrapped box from her coat. Lenora's birthday is coming, she told me. Give her this. I answered, no. Lenora's mother stopped extending the box. Lenora looked at me. Lenora's mother tightened her grip on the box. You defended her, I told her. I defended her from betrayal. I am not repairing your family for you. Her mouth hardened. Lenora's mother lowered the box. Lenora's grandmother forced me into that marriage because the family wanted an heir. I fought for control and left Lenora's father trapped inside those rules. He died before I came back. Lenora never forgave me. Her mother held out the gift again. She will refuse it from me, I told her. Then earn a conversation first. Lenora's mother frowned. You are remarkably stubborn. I pointed toward Lenora. That is why your daughter is ruining everyone's schedule. Lenora almost smiled. Her mother did not. The former family head placed the box on the table and walked out. Lenora waited until the cafe door closed. Then she looked at me. My mother threatened your family, I answered. She claimed it was a test. Lenora's voice stayed hard. That does not excuse it, I agreed. No, it does not. Lenora looked toward the gift. My father kept waiting for her to come home. She never did. My biological mother left when this body was young, I told her. A missing parent does not earn forgiveness by returning with a box. Lenora's voice lowered. Would you refuse her if she came back? I answered, yes. Lenora looked at the abandoned gift, then back at me. Her shoulders lowered. Then Lenora made the worst possible lesson from the threat. I will move your family somewhere secure, she decided. My guards can protect them. I answered, no. Lenora pointed toward the door. My mother proved they are vulnerable, I told her. She proved that powerful women keep using protection as an excuse to take choices. Lenora stepped closer. My parents surrendered each other. I will never surrender you. I held my ground. You do not own me to surrender. Stop claiming me. Lenora's voice hardened. I will never walk away. I pointed toward the exit. That is not romantic when you keep ignoring the door. I turned toward the cafe exit. Lenora caught the sleeve of my jacket before I took the first step. Her perfume stayed on the fabric. My phone rang before she answered. Serena's name filled the screen. I looked at Lenora, the assistant waking outside, and the former family head's abandoned gift. Then I chose the dumbest cover story available. I answered, I am with Alden. Lenora's eyebrows rose. Serena's voice came through carefully. Put Alden on, I answered. He stepped away. Serena asked, where are you? I lied again. Near school. Serena ended the call. 30 seconds later my phone rang again. I called Alden, Serena told me. He is at home. I closed my eyes. Lenora watched me get cooked in real time. Serena asked, who are you with? I told her, I will explain when I get home. Serena cut me off. You could have explained before lying. The call ended. That evening at my house, Serena waited in the living room with swollen eyes. I closed the door behind me and started. Serena! You tell me I am the person who remembers you, she cut in. Then you treat me like a stranger whenever another woman appears. I reached for her hand. Serena pulled away. Serena said, I let my hand drop. I was trying to keep you out of a dangerous family dispute, I told her. Serena's eyes sharpened. Whose family? I answered. I cannot explain all of it yet. Serena shook her head. That is supposed to help? I admitted. No. Tears gathered again. Serena wiped them away before they fell. You asked me to trust you after the Scarlet Moon, she said. You asked me to help when your memories failed. Then you lie about where you are. I told her, I made a bad choice. Serena wiped her eyes. You made me feel stupid, I answered. I was afraid the truth would drag you into another elite family threat. Serena shook her head. Then tell me you are afraid. Do not invent Alden and make me discover the truth alone. I stepped closer. Serena backed away before I could touch her. Serena caught the sleeve of my jacket and brought the fabric near her face. Her expression hardened. Serena said, that perfume is not mine. I looked at the sleeve. Lenora had caught it before Serena called. Serena checked the collar next. Did she touch you? Serena asked. I answered, yes. Serena asked, did you kiss her? I told her, no. Serena searched my face and found no comfort there. You were with a woman, she said. Serena had proved the lie and found another woman's perfume. She still did not know whose. The next morning at my house, Hazel arrived with 2 art exhibition tickets and perfect timing. Serena was still investigating the perfume on my jacket. My father and his fiancée were already tense from the growing parade of women at our door. Hazel stepped into the living room and held the tickets toward me. Cameron, come with me this weekend. My father looked between us. As friends? Hazel answered him directly. I want to date him. Nobody breathed for a second. Hazel had walked into my house and dropped the relationship question on the family table. No warm-up. Very on brand. My father stood. Hazel, Cameron has been followed, kidnapped, and dragged into fights because women keep treating him like something to claim. Hazel's hands tightened around the tickets. I came alone to ask him. There are no guards, threats, or contracts. And I never kidnapped him, Hazel added. That is an alarmingly low standard, I told her. Serena crossed the room before the argument sharpened. She slipped one arm around Hazel's waist and smiled with sudden sweetness. Your perfume is lovely, Serena murmured. What is it? Hazel went rigid. Why are you holding me? Serena replied. Women can complement each other. Serena leaned close enough to check Hazel's hair and collar. I watched the detective work happen in real time. Hazel pushed Serena back gently. You are acting strange. Serena glanced at me. She leaned close, compared Hazel's perfume with the scent still clinging to my jacket, and relaxed for half a second. Hazel wasn't the match. Then Serena's jaw tightened. The unknown woman was still out there. Serena stepped away. I was only being friendly. Hazel looked at me. Is she always friendly like that? I told Hazel. Only when gathering evidence. My father's fiancé cut through the chaos. Hazel, you need to stop visiting for now. Hazel's expression tightened. My father added, no dates, no private stays. Cameron needs space from all of this. Hazel looked at me instead of arguing with him. Do you want me gone? I want the fighting and forced decisions gone, I answered. I do not want you erased. My father's fiancé folded her arms. Every visit turns into another emergency. Hazel's voice stayed firm. Then judge my actions. I came alone and asked. You cannot decide who he sees, Hazel told them. They can set rules for this house, I told her. I will speak to them. Hazel placed the tickets on the table. Then speak quickly. She looked at me before leaving. I will accept your answer. I will not accept everyone else giving it for you. She left without taking back the invitation. By lunch, visiting relatives had filled the dining room. My father's cousin sat across from me in a fitted designer outfit. His girlfriend had bought the clothes, the watch, and apparently most of his confidence. You work too much, Cameron, he told me. A handsome man should marry a successful woman and let her handle money and decisions. I already look good while working, he frowned. Security matters. Until the rich wife decides you are furniture? Then he looked at Serena and smiled. A woman with a medical career understands responsibility. If I were unattached. You are attached, Serena cut in. He adjusted the watch his girlfriend bought. Relationships can be flexible. Serena's eyes went cold. Try flexibility somewhere else. The cousin returned to lunch. My father hid a smile behind his glass. Serena leaned toward me. We are talking privately after everyone leaves. My phone rang before lunch ended. The antique shop had finished repairing the broken royal ceremonial plate. The appraiser sounded cheerful. Your girlfriend already paid the full repair bill, I told her. I do not have a girlfriend. The appraiser laughed. The woman who sent the payment disagrees. A message arrived while she spoke. Lenora had written one line, bring the plate to Ashby Media Group, now. The repaired object was my only practical route out of the debt, so I left before Serena and I could repair anything between us. That afternoon at Ashby Media Group, Lenora waited in her office beside the restored plate. The repair had erased every visible crack. The artifact looked untouched, priceless, and finally useful. I set it on her desk. Your property is repaired. The debt is finished. Lenora looked at the plate once. Then she swept it off the desk. It struck the floor and shattered into dozens of pieces. A staff member outside the open office door stopped walking. Lenora closed the door without looking back. I stared at the wreckage. $200 million had just become trash. You paid to repair it, I said. Lenora answered. I did. I pointed at the shards. Then you destroyed it. Lenora did not blink. Yes, I counted every cost. You made me sing for money, sell you a photo, carry this thing through a kidnapping, and arrange the repair. I looked at Lenora. The debt was never about money. Lenora stepped around the desk. The debt kept you speaking to me. I crouched to inspect the pieces. Lenora grabbed my wrist and yanked me away from the sharp ceramic. Pain tore through the joint. I pulled free and held my arm against my chest. The joint held, the tendon burned, and every finger movement hurt. Lenora's face changed when she saw the swelling. Her hand opened, then closed at her side. Lenora said, I was stopping you from cutting yourself. I told her, you injured me while protecting me from an object you smashed. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Do not touch it. Lenora stopped. Lenora looked at the floor and did not reach again. She called for ice and dismissed the staff before anyone could turn my injury into office procedure. Later that evening at Lenora's secured residence, I stayed because she promised the Scarlet Moon answer and because my wrist needed ice. I refused her bedroom and took the couch in the main room. Lenora changed out of her office suit and returned in a fitted black shirt. My eyes followed her for 1 second too long, she noticed. You stare while accusing me of obsession, Lenora said. I told her, I can find you attractive and still reject your methods. Lenora smiled. That sounds like progress, I answered. It sounds like eyesight. Lenora sat beside me on the couch. Stay overnight and I will tell you what happened during my last combat deployment, I answered. Lenora tapped the ice pack. You want the Scarlet Moon story, I told her. I want the truth without another relationship invoice. She leaned closer. One night is a small price. I told her, you just destroyed a plate worth more than most buildings. Your pricing system is unstable. Lenora smiled and pressed me back against the couch. Her hand pinned my uninjured wrist above my shoulder. She kept her weight away from the sprain, but the message stayed the same. "Stay," she ordered. I hooked my foot behind her ankle and shifted with her forward pressure. Her balance broke. I rolled her across me and threw her onto the other end of the couch. She landed on her back and stared up at me. I stood before she recovered. "You are stronger," I told her. "You still do not get to pin me until I agree." Lenora sat up slowly. "I could stop you," I answered. "Then you would prove every reason I refuse you." Her smile faded. I held up my injured wrist. "The plate, the guards, the debt, the forced rides. Every time I ask for information, you turn it into access to me." Lenora's eyes dropped to the swelling. "Tell me what the Scarlet Moon did," I said. "Directly. No overnight condition." Lenora stopped advancing. "I will tell you after dinner," Lenora replied. "No payment." While I waited, my father called. Hazel had returned to our house carrying apology gifts for everyone. My father told me she placed the bags on the table and spoke before anyone could remove her. "I will respect your house," Hazel had told them. "Friendship is enough if that is all Cameron chooses. But I will not abandon him because you order me away." My father repeated that she should stay away. Hazel refused, left the gifts, and walked out with the art tickets still waiting on our table. My father admitted that even Serena's mother had stopped arguing after Hazel said she would accept friendship. Serena stayed silent and watched the gifts. Before I could answer, Lenora returned to the main room and closed the door behind her. Lenora sat across from me and pulled the fabric aside at her ribs. Her skin was smooth, no surgical line, no combat scar. "Years ago I was wounded during an operation," she told me. "The strike tore through my side. The field medic said several organs were destroyed. I should have died before evacuation." I watched her face. She did not look away. "A scarlet moon appeared through the smoke," Lenora continued. "I lost consciousness before the evacuation team reached me. When I woke, the bleeding had stopped. The internal damage was gone. The doctors repeated every scan and found healthy tissue. My body kept no scar." I looked again at the unmarked skin. One impossible recovery gave Lenora's research a real starting point. The transfer mechanism stayed unknown. Lenora lowered her shirt. "Afterward, I dreamed about places I had never seen," she continued. "The streets, the machines, and the way men and women lived were all wrong for this world. Then I read your novels. You described those details as if you had lived there. That is why you believed my soul changed," I said. Lenora held my gaze. "It is why I knew the Scarlet Moon connected us. Any second case, any voice, message, or rule?" She shook her head. "None. Only the wound, the Scarlet Moon, the dreams, and your novels. Cause, selection, and the return route were still blank." I stopped dismissing her research and set the ice pack beside me. "I will cooperate with your research under 2 conditions," I told Lenora. Lenora waited. I gave her the first condition. "I keep unrestricted contact with my family. You do not move them, isolate them, or decide when I can see them." Her jaw tightened, but she nodded. I raised my injured wrist. "Second, you never imprison me. No locked residence, no private facility, no guards blocking me from leaving. Research happens with my consent, and I walk out whenever I choose." Lenora held my gaze. "Agreed." I took one breath. "I came from another world," I told Lenora. "When the Scarlet Moon appeared, I woke inside this body.